Ugh, it hurts so much. Didn't I get into a car accident and fall off a cliff? Where am I? Am I still alive? As soon as she opened her eyes, she found herself being held in a man's arms. His face was full of concern as he kept saying, "Wang Qing, hold on. I won't let anything happen to you." Looking at the handsome man in front of her, Wang Qing shamelessly reached out and touched his firm chest. Is this heaven? The man looked a little helpless and turned to the young woman behind him. Jiaoqing, Wang Qing was seriously injured by the painted skin demon and is barely clinging to life. Please use your sex life-saving pill to save her. She's already started talking nonsense. Feng Jiaoqing, the female protagonist of the novel and daughter of the Shuang Tian Peak sect leader, glared angrily at her fiancé holding another girl. Ji Feichen, for Shen Wanqing, you've been with me for a whole day and night, and even forced me to break the sect rules to save her. Do you really care about her that much? Ji Feichen, as always, was oblivious to his fiancé's jealousy. He answered seriously, Jiaoqing, right now, only you can help. Their conversation suddenly reminded Shen Wanqing of something. Ji Feichen, Jiaoqing, the painted skin demon. These familiar names strung together made her suddenly realize, I've transmigrated into a book. At the same time, a screen only she could see appeared before Shen Wanqing's eyes. Congratulations, host. You have successfully connected to the rebellious female supporting character in the novel. Due to your accidental death, the system will compensate you with a second life, allowing you to become the female supporting character Shen Wanqing, who shares your name. We hope you can successfully complete the assigned tasks. Shen Wanqing was stunned for a second, then ecstatic. I get it, a female supporting character transmigrating with a system. Isn't this the standard cheat for a satisfying story? Usually in this situation, it's either seducing the male lead, the second male lead, or the villain, or focusing on a career, becoming a beautiful and rich businesswoman, and finally achieving a happy ending. The system coldly said, no, the difficulty is too high. You're not worthy yet. Shen Wanqing was speechless. This broken system could even mock people. The system ignored her feelings. Your tasks are as follows. Implement the sweet love plan, prevent the male and female leads from breaking up or calling off their engagement, help this world achieve a happy ending, and turn this tragic novel into a sweet one. Current progress, 0%. Having read this novel, Shen Wanqing immediately gave up. Are you kidding me? This task is too difficult. She remembered that this book was about the male and female leads in order to protect world peace. Forming a demon-slaying squad, leveling up along the way, and finally resealing the Demon Lord. It sounded passionate, but it was actually a dog-blooded harem story disguised as a Xinsha novel. The male lead didn't slay many demons, but he did collect all the vicious female supporting characters, without exception, angering the female lead countless times and causing her to break up with him, until finally, the female lead committed suicide and both of them died. In the original Shen Wanqing was the first female supporting character card the male lead collected. The original owner was adopted by the Ji family since childhood. Ji Feichen only treated her as a younger sister, but she desperately wanted to be his wife. She always deliberately provoked the female lead, Feng Jiaoqing, using the guise of being a younger sister to stir up trouble, and did nothing but cause chaos. In the end, she was possessed by a fierce ghost and sealed by the male lead, Ji Feichen, a standard cannon fodder ending. Thinking that she had transmigrated into such a green tea female supporting character, it was a miracle that she hadn't been buried alive by the female lead. Now, I'm supposed to mediate their relationship. Does the system want me to kill myself? At this time, the system announced again, side mission, must stop the novel's big boss, Ji Weiyuan, from slaughtering humanity and save all living beings. Shen Wanqing's scalp went numb looking at this task. The main mission was already difficult enough, and the side mission was directly life-threatening. Asking me to kill that demon Lord Ji Weiyuan, who treats slaughter like breathing, is no different from asking me to die directly. Just destroy everything. Even a male and female leads working together against Ji Weiyuan ended up with heavy casualties. Whoever wants to do this task can go ahead. Shen Wanqing was in pain all over and decided to sleep first. She would think about the tasks later. But this scene frightened Ji Feichen. Wanqing, wake up, don't sleep. Seeing her fiancé so worried about his little rival in love. Feng Xiaoqing was so angry he almost vomited blood. He turned his face away sadly. Let's go back. The life-saving pill is a treasure of our sect and won't be used on outsiders. Please leave quickly. Ji Feichen, still completely clueless about feelings, insisted that he couldn't abandon Wanqing. Feng Xiaoqing couldn't bear it any longer. The urge to break off the engagement was almost overwhelming. You can't abandon her. Then what am I? Just then, a system warning rang in Shun Wanqing's mind. The relationship between the male and female leads is about to break down. Please speed up the mission progress. If the mission fails, the host will be obliterated. Hearing this, Shun Wanqing immediately opened her eyes, her heart turning cold. Enduring the pain racking her body, she struggled to speak. Let me go. I can walk on my own. Ji Feichen sighed helplessly. Wanqing, stop it. Your body can't handle it right now. Listen to me. Shun Wanqing replied firmly. No. Wow, I sound pretty stubborn. The mission is about to completely fail. If the male lead carries me now, it'll be all over. Facing her resistance, Ji Feichen wasn't angry, but instead reached out to carry her. Shun Wanqing quickly stopped him. Don't come near me. Ji Feichen froze, stopping in his tracks. She took a deep breath. My life and this whole mess. I have to solve it myself. Letting the male lead speak will only cause more trouble. She looked at Feng Xiaoqing with tears in her eyes. Sister Feng, I can't die. That painted skin ghost cultivation is extremely high, and its whereabouts are unpredictable. Fortunately, it's deeply obsessed with his body, almost to the point of madness. If I can live, it won't change targets and harm other innocent people. Let's get rid of it together. I could be the bait and lure the painted skin ghost. These words seemed to move Feng Xiaoqing. She stopped, weighing the pros and cons. Just then, Ji Feichen spoke painfully. Wanqing, you know I would never use you as bait. The male lead was so righteous and kind, but Shun Wanqing inexplicably wanted to punch him. She had worked so hard to escape danger, only to almost be pushed back in by the male lead. She quickly covered Ji Feichen's mouth, interrupting his dangerous words. You will. You definitely will. Because I know Brother Ji understands Sister Feng, just like he understands himself. He cares about the world and is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. He is kind and tolerant to everyone. That's why he brought me to Shuangtian Peak for medicine. After weighing the pros and cons, Feng Xiaoqing immediately ordered someone to fetch the soul renewal pill. The servant anxiously reminded her of the sect rules, but Feng Xiaoqing firmly stated that she couldn't ignore a human life. Besides, this matter also concerns the safety of the common people. If there is punishment, I will bear it alone. Shun Wanqing was moved to tears. She knew very well that Feng Xiaoqing was a righteous and kind person and would never stand by and watch someone die. Because of personal grudges, I've won this round. I've finally saved my life. As her mind relaxed, the pain instantly surged through her. She coughed up a mouthful of blood and fainted. 2 days later, Shun Wanqing woke up in the guest room of Shuangtian Peak. Her meridians had stabilized, but her body was still weak from the serious injuries. Shun Wanqing sighed. The soul renewal pill is truly precious. She looked up at Feng Xiaoqing, who was taking her pulse. Thank you, Sister Feng. Feng Xiaoqing replied coldly. Ji Feichen went to find a celestial herb for you. He's not here, so you don't have to act anymore. The atmosphere between them immediately became awkward. Shun Wanqing was speechless. Considering the original host's past actions, wanting to stay by Feng Xiaoqing's side and help cultivate her relationship with Ji Feichen seemed rather difficult. She could only slowly change Feng Xiaoqing's opinion of her and ease the tension. She complimented Feng Xiaoqing's clothes, saying they matched her hairpin perfectly. Feng Xiaoqing glanced up at her, her tone flat. You've said these things before. You also said that Brother Ji doesn't like girls who dress up, that I have no femininity, and that I can only be your companion in slaying demons. You told me not to get any ideas. Shun Wanqing felt extremely embarrassed. Her plan had completely backfired. How could the original host have praised Feng Xiaoqing like that? Shun Wanqing quickly forced a smile to salvage the situation. I was ignorant before. Actually, I understand now. Brother Ji really cares about Sister Feng. Feng Xiaoqing looked at Shun Wanqing with an ambiguous smile. You said these things before, too. You said it was just concern between companions, that he cares for kittens and puppies the same way, and that I shouldn't think I'm special. Shen Wanqing almost went crazy, cursing the original host's entire family in her mind. Seriously, why did she have to say all that? Feng Jiaoqing had probably heard enough of the original host's manipulative words. After checking her pulse, Feng Jiaoqing didn't want to stay any longer. Your injuries are mostly healed. Rest well. She turned and left. Shen Wanqing sighed. With such an absurd original host, Feng Jiaoqing wouldn't believe her good intentions at all. According to the original plot, Feng Jiaoqing should also be injured from cultivation backlash around this time. Ji Feichen's trip to find medicine is actually for her, but I can't tell the female lead the truth. I can only wait for Ji Feichen to return and continue to nudge them together. Just as Shen Wanqing was preparing to rest, she heard voices discussing outside. Missia, the disciples of Twin Sky Peak, are ready and can patrol the back mountain at any time. Shen Wanqing suddenly remembered a detail from the book. Feng Jiaoqing rescued the injured demon lord, Ji Wuyan, who had stumbled into the back mountain of Twin Sky Peak during a night patrol. If the plot continues as usual, Ji Wuyan will pretend to be innocent and sneak into the protagonist's demon hunting squad. Then, when they find the ancient Guang sword that can seal him again, he will steal it and wreak havoc on the world with the female lead. What a mess, right? Shen Wanqing's drowsiness instantly vanished, and she immediately jumped out of bed. She absolutely couldn't let this detail unfold according to the script. She had to prevent the great demon lord from falling for the female lead. Otherwise, her mission would be indefinitely postponed. Shen Wanqing started a scheme. It would be best to take advantage of the demon lord's weakened state when he's no stronger than a kitten and eliminate the root of the problem, thoroughly resolving future troubles and preventing them before they arise. Clutching a sharp dagger, Shen Wanqing headed straight for the back mountain. Unfortunately, after searching half the mountain, she couldn't find anyone. In the original story, the female lead encountered the demon lord as soon as she went up the mountain. Does this also depend on luck? How annoying. Because her body hadn't fully recovered, Shen Wanqing quickly became exhausted. Just as she was about to sit down and rest, she suddenly touched something wet. Gripping her dagger, Shen Wanqing immediately stood up and raised her lantern towards the body. The man's eyes were tightly closed, his body covered in blood, and strange spiderweb-like patterns spread from under his clothes to his neck. Shen Wanqing rejoiced inwardly. This aura, this appearance, it must be the demon lord, no doubt. Without hesitation, she put down the lantern, raised her dagger, and prepared to contribute to the bright future of humanity. However, Shen Wanqing discovered that attacking from the front offered no leverage and was very inconvenient. What if the demon lord woke up from the pain halfway through, and before she could stab him, she was killed instead? So, Shen Wanqing decisively sat on Ji Wuyan, pinning him down, and then reached out to feel around his body. She absolutely couldn't pierce his carotid artery. Otherwise, blood would splatter on her, and it would be troublesome if the people from Twin Sky Peak saw it. So she decided to aim for Ji Wuyan's Adam's apple. But just as she raised her hand to stab him, Ji Wuyan suddenly opened his eyes, his blood-red, icy gaze calmly fixed on her. Shen Wanqing could feel the invisible pressure, as if the demon lord was silently declaring, "Even though I'm weak now, I can still easily kill you." On the surface, Shen Wanqing tried to appear calm, but her heart was in turmoil. Didn't the book say that the demon lord's magic was severely damaged, making him no different from an ordinary person? Didn't it say that the female lead took care of him for 3 days and 3 nights before he woke up? How could he open his eyes and stare at her now? Just then, a strange wind suddenly blew through the forest, carrying a strong, killing intent. It seemed she couldn't kill the demon lord. She could only try her best to divert Ji Wuyan's attention and wait for Feng Jiaoqing's search party to rescue her, at least saving her own life. So, Shen Wanqing decisively stabbed the ground hard next to Ji Wuyan's face. After doing so, she casually patted her hands and said with a smile, "That was close. You know, an ant almost crawled onto your face while you were sleeping. But don't worry, I've already sent it to heaven for you. You don't have to thank me. Just buy me a meal sometime. Someone like you, injured here, must have been attacked by a monster, right? I know people from Twin Sky Peak. Don't worry, I'll definitely have them rescue you." Ji Wuyan looked deeply at Shen Wanqing, chuckled softly, and replied, "All right." Shen Wanqing didn't expect the demon lord to agree so readily. She was stunned for a moment, feeling that something was off. Why was this villain so agreeable? Then she heard Ji Wen coldly say, "But can you get off me?" Only then did Shen Wanqing realize her position relative to the demon lord and awkwardly stood up. "Oh no, now the demon lord will hold a grudge against me." At that moment, another gust of wind carrying a sinister aura blew through the forest, and Shen Wanqing felt an extremely dangerous presence. They're heading this way now. The great demon king is seriously injured. If he encounters the malevolent ghost, he'll have no chance of winning. Shen Wanqing immediately thought of a perfect solution. She cast a spell to create a decoy to stall the ghost. Then she looked seriously at Ji Wuyuan and said, "I need to discuss something with you. I don't think we can defeat that ghost. The decoy can only hold it off temporarily. So, I'll go find someone to help. You hold on here for a while. I'll definitely come back to save you. Don't worry." Inwardly, Shen Wanqing thought, "Just go meet your ancestors in peace, villain. I'll definitely intercept Feng Jiaoqing, who's patrolling the mountain. After the ghost kills you, I'll come back and collect your body." Ji Weiyuan had already seen through her plan. He didn't say anything, but looked at Shen Wanqing with a deep gaze. Shen Wanqing had just lifted her foot to sneak away when a sword suddenly flew from somewhere, piercing straight through the ghost. At the same time, the ghost let out a shrill scream and instantly turned to ashes. Feng Jiaoqing appeared, retrieving her sword. Seeing Shen Wanqing there, she frowned slightly. "Miss Shen, why are you here?" Shen Wanqing was momentarily speechless. The female lead always appeared at the most inopportune moments. Shen Wanqing desperately clung to the villain's leg and said, "See, didn't I say I was going to get help? I didn't lie to you." Shen Wanqing knew how absurd her words were, so she quickly changed the subject. "Miss Feng, someone is injured here. Come and see." Feng Jiaoqing quickly walked over to the seriously injured Ji Wuyuan and checked his wounds. After examining him, Feng Jiaoqing was somewhat surprised. "You've been hit with a heart-locking curse. Who are you? Why would someone use such a cruel method on you?" Ji Wuyuan's acting was also on point. He coughed lightly, making his already weak body seem even more fragile. He replied, "I'm a demon hunter. Half a month ago, I rescued several children from an evil cultivator. Since then, they've been targeting me. I was ambushed, and they forcibly planted the heart-locking curse within me. I've been plagued by demonic creatures these past few days and had no other recourse but to come to Twin Sky Peak for help." Feng Jiaoqing, with her benevolent heart, never doubted Ji Wuyuan's lies. Instead, she was filled with admiration. "I understand. Don't worry. Twin Sky Peak will never mistreat someone who does good. Come back to Twin Sky Peak with me, and I'll heal your injuries." Yivuyuan smiled faintly. "Thank you." His goal of infiltrating the righteous path had been achieved. Shen Wanqing looked at Ji Wuyuan's harmless appearance and genuinely admired his acting skills. If he lived in modern times, he would definitely win an Oscar. No wonder he could wrap the male and female leads around his finger. Just as Shen Wanqing was pondering how to expose his identity in front of the leads, Feng Jiaoqing suddenly called her name. "Miss Shen, you haven't answered my previous question. Shouldn't you be resting in your room?" The sudden question left Shen Wanqing speechless. She could only use the excuse of taking a walk after dinner to aid digestion. Feng Jiaoqing almost couldn't maintain her composure. This Miss Shen was truly strange. Shen Wanqing nodded vigorously. "Yes, I just came out for a walk to help with digestion." Of course, she didn't forget to twist the truth and take credit. Pointing at the villain, she continued, "I met this young Master Ji on the way. Seeing how serious his injuries were, I carefully tended to him and stayed by his side until he woke up." At this point, she looked at Ji Wuyuan with self-satisfaction. "No need to thank me. Doing what's right is what one should do." Ji Wuyuan had never met someone so shameless and so talented at lying. He smiled slightly and said in a low voice, "Thank you, Miss Shen. I will certainly repay you in the future." Although he was smiling, Shen Wanqing couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. "It's over. I can't fool this villain's intelligence. He probably resents me now. Forget it. I have to find a way to raise Ji Wuyuan's favorability again." Later, back at Twin Sky Pavilion, Feng Jiaoqing immediately began treating Ji Wuyuan. Shen Wanqing paced anxiously outside, silently praying that the female lead's treatment would fail and Ji Wuyuan would die. Half an hour later, Feng Jiaoqing finally opened the door and walked out. Shen Shun Wanqing quickly asked in a low voice, "Miss Feng, how are young Master Ji's injuries?" Feng Jiaoqing replied, "Although the heart-locking curse hasn't been lifted yet, he's out of danger. He just needs to recuperate slowly." Shun Wanqing still held a sliver of hope. Is he really alright? Not even a small, life-threatening injury. Although Feng Jiaoqing didn't like Shun Wanqing because she had brought Ji Wuyuan back, she patiently replied, "I will personally treat him." If elder sister had really been paying attention, would she have made a mistake? Feng Jiaoqing felt that Shun Wanqing seemed too concerned about Xiao Yuan and began to suspect if Shun Wanqing's heart had changed. Feng Jiaoqing coldly replied, "Don't worry, Miss Shun, I never make mistakes." The female lead's words directly shattered Shun Wanqing's heart. She sighed wearily, thinking to herself, as expected of the main villain, his vitality is truly strong. Now that my relationship with Feng Jiaoqing isn't good, and it's not appropriate to speak directly to the female lead, I can only secretly find an opportunity to remind her to be wary of Zhu Yuan. Thinking of this, Shun Wanqing hurried after Feng Jiaoqing. The rear mountain of the Twin Sky Pavilion was heavily guarded. How could he possibly? But before she could finish, Feng Jiaoqing interrupted her. "You're right." A glimmer of hope sparked in Shun Wanqing, only to hear the female lead say, "To have the courage to risk everything and Chao the Twin Sky Pavilion's rear mountain, to offend the evil path for the sake of innocent children, and to stubbornly resist the heart-locking talisman, that is a true hero." After saying this, she went to the kitchen and instructed the servants to use the best ingredients to nourish the great hero. Shun Wanqing really wanted to cry. In just half an hour, the female lead had been brainwashed by the villain. I really can't carry a teammate like this. Forget it. Since I can't persuade the female lead, I can only pin my hopes on the male lead. I'll think about it again in a few days. Just then, Shun Wanqing's index finger suddenly felt a sharp pain. Looking down, she discovered that she had cut her finger at some point. Shun Wanqing didn't think much of it, assuming she had accidentally injured herself during the assassination attempt. After a busy day, she dragged her tired body back to her room, intending to have a good sleep to recover her strength. She didn't notice a wisp of demonic energy quietly following her back. Late at night, Shun Wanqing was sleeping soundly. She suddenly felt a gust of cold wind and a sense of oppression. If she guessed correctly, it should be the Demon Lord. So, although she was already awake, she didn't dare to open her eyes and continued to pretend she didn't know anything. The current Shi Yin was no longer his usual gentle and trustworthy self. His crimson eyes held only coldness. The most audacious person he had encountered since breaking his seal was this little girl, so he absolutely couldn't let her live. The Demon Lord's hand slowly reached for Shun Wanqing's neck. In fact, when Shun Wanqing pointed her sword at him, he had already seen through her intentions. Since he had been sealed, countless people had wanted to kill him, but he really couldn't understand which important figure would send such a useless girl to assassinate him. That person's brain must be filled with water. His hand reached towards this presumptuous little girl, but paused in midair for a long time, as if pondering something. Shun Wanqing, pretending to sleep, couldn't bear the oppressive feeling any longer. She deliberately turned over to allow herself to breathe more easily, but her lips accidentally brushed against Shi Wuyan's fingers. Shi Wuyan was startled and immediately withdrew his hand, looking at it with disgust. This girl's sleeping posture was truly unsightly. Finally, he stared deeply at the sleeping Shun Wanqing, his gaze profound. He didn't actually want her life. He was just very curious as to what kind of fool would send someone like this to assassinate him. So he turned and left, his gaze moving away from Shun Wanqing's room. Hearing the sound of the door closing, Shun Wanqing remained cautious, maintaining her sleeping posture for a long time before secretly opening her eyes. Seeing the villain leave the room, Shun Wanqing suddenly woke up, clutching her heart and letting out a long sigh of relief. Heavens, she was almost scared to death. This big villain snuck into a girl's room in the middle of the night, touched and stared for a while, and then left without saying anything. Didn't he know how much pressure this would put on someone? In fact, before going to sleep, Shun Wanqing had secretly written a letter. "If I die, the murderer is Shi Wuyan." Then she stuffed the letter under the bed before daring to sleep. Shun Wanqing figured that if she was silenced by Shi Wuyan, at least she could trade her life for his. But Shi Wuyan's actions tonight frightened her even more. She got out of bed and drank a whole pot of cold tea in one go, but still felt stifled, so she opened the window for some fresh air. As a result, as soon as she looked up, she saw the villain she least wanted to see. Shen Wanqing's heart tightened, and her whole body froze. Did he discover that she was pretending to sleep? Shi Huiyin looked at Shen Wanqing lazily, his eyes devoid of any emotion, yet it sent chills down her spine. The two stared at each other in silence for a long time. Shen Wanqing decided to pretend she hadn't seen anything and closed the window to go back to sleep. But Shi Huiyin appeared at the window like the wind, stopping her from closing it. Shen Wanqing forced herself to stay calm, managing a strained smile. What a coincidence, young Master Xie. Are you here to admire the moon as well? Shi Huiyin was amused by her reaction, curious to see what other strange things she would say. He gave a light hum in response. It is quite a coincidence. Shen Wanqing feigned ignorance. It's so late, and young Master Shi's injuries have just healed. Why are you still here? Shi Huiyin leaned against the window, watching her with interest, and used the same excuse she had given him back in the mountains, taking a walk after dinner. Shen Wanqing finally understood the cunning of this great demon. He was quick-witted indeed. She also sensed that this great demon didn't seem to be in a hurry to kill her, although she didn't understand what Shi Huiyin was planning. Every extra day she lived was a bonus. Seeing that he had no intention of leaving, she had to find a way to get rid of him. Otherwise, she was afraid she would have a heart attack. So, Shen Wanqing put on an ingratiating smile. Actually, I'd love to invite young Master Shi in for a cup of tea, but you're injured, and it's late at night. You should go back and rest. She didn't get to finish her sentence. Shi Huiyin interrupted with a smile. Then let's have tea. I naturally can't refuse the kindness of my savior. Shen Wanqing realized that this great demon was just looking for trouble. She regretted her polite words deeply. But since she had already said them, she could only reluctantly open the door and invite him in. Only then did Shen Wanqing notice that the room wasn't lit. She rejoiced inwardly. Wasn't this a perfect excuse to get rid of the demon? Oh dear, I can't find the flint. It seems we won't be having tea tonight. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Shi Huiyin's dismissive voice. It's all right. He snapped his fingers, and all the lamps in the room lit up. Shi Huiyin had once again effortlessly thwarted her carefully thought-out excuse. This demon was truly formidable. Shen Wanqing hurriedly poured a cup of tea for Shi Huiyin, pushed it towards him, and then tried to keep as much distance as possible. Once she had retreated to what she considered a safe distance, she sat down. Shi Huiyin glanced at her and casually asked, I heard that Miss Shen was recently injured by a shape-shifting demon and has just recovered. Shen Wanqing replied, yes. She watched him warily, afraid he would take her away again. Shi Huiyin chuckled. Indeed, it's been the talk of the demon realm lately. The seal is broken, and many demons are running rampant. As he spoke, he raised his hand as if to cast a spell. Shen Wanqing quickly dodged. He looked up, his gaze fixed on her, and continued. It seems that until the demon lord is eliminated, the living beings of this world will never know peace. Miss Shen, wouldn't you agree? Shen Wanqing felt utterly miserable. This unpredictable demon was truly difficult to deal with. What kind of self-deprecating question was that? If she agreed, she might anger the demon and be sent to meet her ancestors. If she disagreed, it wouldn't fit the righteous image of the protagonists. It was clearly a deliberate attempt to make things difficult for her. Either answer was a dead end. Shen Wanqing cursed the demon 1,000 times in her heart. Her weary mind decided to take a gamble. I think whether the demon lord lives or dies doesn't really matter. Look at me. I can't even light a lamp. I'm clearly not the fighting type. I'm lucky if I don't get killed by a minor demon. How can I worry about grand matters like slaying demons and eliminating evil? Shi Huiyin looked at her, silent for a moment, then slowly nodded. You're right. You are indeed useless. Shen Wanqing could only give a stiff smile at being insulted to her face by the demon. But he was the demon lord, after all. Being insulted was better than being killed. Then she heard Shi Huiyin say, with displeasure, actually, I'm quite curious to see how the demon lord will eventually die. What do you think, Miss Shen? Shi Huiyin's question made Shen Wanqing want to die on the spot. Were all the characters in this novel so sharp? The protagonist was busy praising the demon as a good person, while the demon was constantly thinking about his own death. Being caught in the middle was too difficult. Did the demon want her to cheer him on and praise him? Shen Wanqing reached out and grabbed Shi Huiyin's hand, her face full of sincere flattery. A unique villain like the demon lord is beyond my comprehension. But let's work hard together. I believe good will always triumph over evil. Sherwian looked at his hand, held tightly in hers, and fell silent for a moment, seemingly lost in thought. Suddenly, he sat down and burst into laughter. Shen Wanqing was completely baffled, having no idea what he found so amusing. After a while, his laughter subsided. Sherwian suddenly stood up, an inexplicable pressure sweeping over Shen Wanqing. Her body went weak with fear, and she dared not move. She could only watch as Sherwian reached out towards her, panic rising in her heart. Had she said something wrong to anger him? Was he going to finish her off? Shen Wanqing squeezed her eyes shut, waiting for her fate. Unexpectedly, Sherwian's hand simply patted her shoulder. "Miss Shen, I understand. Since that's the case, I won't disturb you any longer." After saying this, he turned and left. Shen Wanqing stood frozen in place, completely baffled by the villain's actions. He just left like that. Did he really just come to drink a cup of tea, ask a few life-threatening questions, and then leave? What was he thinking? Forget it, forget it. At least I'm still alive. As long as he doesn't torment me every night, it's fine. It was getting late, and I was exhausted. The next morning, Ji Feichen, the male lead, finally returned from his search for medicinal herbs. Shen Wanqing's eyes reddened with excitement upon hearing the news. She rushed over. "Brother Ji, you're finally back." Besides the male lead, who else in the Twin Heavens sect could deal with that big villain, Xiao Yuan? I must cling tightly to this thigh. Ji Feichen gently stroked Shen Wanqing's head, teasing, "You're all grown up now. Why are you still acting like a child? Did you miss me that much?" Shen Wanqing nodded repeatedly, thinking to herself, the male lead is back. I no longer have to worry about that villain harassing me in the middle of the night. Just then, Ji Feichen suddenly asked seriously, "Wanqing, I heard that as soon as your injuries healed, you ran off to the dangerous back mountain. If Ajiao hadn't arrived in time, do you know how serious the consequences could have been?" Shen Wanqing nodded repeatedly. "Brother Ji, you're right." Then she began to subtly hint about her rescuing someone in the back mountain and Sherwian's involvement. But before she could finish, Ji Feichen interrupted her. "Even if you're saving someone, you need to consider your own safety. Ajiao has been worried about you these past few days. Don't be so reckless anymore." Shen Wanqing nodded repeatedly. Just as she was about to steer the conversation towards Xiao Yuan, the male lead interrupted her again. "Ajiao has been taking care of you these past few days. Did she mention me? I'm back now, but she's avoiding me. Did I hurt her feelings?" Seeing the male lead's heartbroken expression, Shen Wanqing was speechless. "Back then, I helped you keep your wife, and you dragged me down. Now I'm trying to talk to you about serious matters, and all you can think about is Ajiao, Ajiao." Shen Wanqing took a deep breath. She grabbed the male lead's hand and brought the topic back to Sherwian. "Brother Ji, let's talk about Master Shi, who was afflicted with a heart-locking curse." Before she could finish, the male lead interrupted her again. "Little sister Wanqing is right. I heard that Ajiao helped Master Shi break the heart-locking curse. She must be very tired. I need to go check on Ajiao's injuries." With that, he ran off impatiently. Although Shen Wanqing was a little frustrated by being interrupted 3 times in a row by the male lead, Sherwian was a ticking time bomb, and she still had to try again. So, Shen Wanqing hurried to stop Ji Feichen. To avoid being interrupted, she quickly said, "Brother Ji, don't you find it strange? Master Shi was afflicted with a heart-locking curse. So how did he enter the Twin Heavens sect without anyone noticing? I was fine, but I'm worried that Master Shi has ill intentions towards the Twin Heavens sect or Sister Phone. If we harbor a wolf in sheep's clothing and Sister Phone gets hurt, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Her words finally made the male lead take notice. Ji Feichen said seriously, "Your concerns are valid. I will thoroughly investigate this matter." He then left with a solemn expression. Shen Wanqing breathed a sigh of relief and happily went back to eat breakfast, thinking to herself that although Ji Feichen was obsessed with Ajiao, he was still quite astute and would definitely uncover Sherwian's problem. Although the book didn't explicitly state who was stronger between him and Sherwian. Based on the ending, Ji Feichen should be superior. Once he deals with Sherwian, I won't have to worry about anything. Shen Wanqing skipped along happily, only to be met with a horrifying sight. The male lead, Ji Feichen, and the villainous second male lead, Sherwian, were actually getting along extremely well in the pavilion, playing chess in a harmonious atmosphere, constantly praising each other. Shen Wanqing nearly vomited blood in anger. The female lead being brainwashed by the villain was one thing, but was the male lead going down the same path? Were they trying to anger her to death? The male lead even took the initiative to create an opportunity for the villain. Master Sure, it's fate that we met today. Why don't we join forces to fight evil and uphold justice in the future? What do you think? Sure Wuyin replied politely. Since young Master Ji is so kind, I can only obey. From now on, let's dispense with the formalities and call each other brothers. Shen Wanqing hid in a corner, wanting to punch the male lead again. They had clearly agreed to fight demons and uphold justice together. So why was he now trying to become sworn brothers with the demon lord? Was the villain's status too high? Or was the male lead just too stupid? Just then, she heard Ji Feichen say he needed Xiao Yuan's help. Out of curiosity, Shen Wanqing secretly hid in the nearby bushes, eavesdropping on the conversation between the male lead and Shi Wuyin. Master Sure, you must have heard about the skin stealer ghost causing trouble recently, right? That monster has injured many people, and my younger sister, Wanqing, whose cultivation is limited, was also injured by it. I'm worried about protecting her, so I wanted to ask Master Sure to accompany us and help keep her safe. Shen Wanqing, who was eavesdropping, was stunned to hear herself being discussed. I clearly told the male lead to drive the villain away, so why is he now asking the villain to stay? I don't need this bodyguard. However, Shen Wanqing breathed a sigh of relief, because this plot wasn't in the original novel, so perhaps Shi Wuyin wouldn't agree. Unfortunately, she didn't realize how poorly she was hidden, and Shi Wuyin had already discovered her. Shi Wuyin had initially intended to refuse, but a thought struck him, and he cheerfully agreed. Ji Feichen found himself increasingly pleased with Shi Wuyin. On the other hand, Shen Wanqing was so angry she almost spat blood. I really don't understand what went wrong. Why did the villain agree? In contrast to her frustration, Ji Feichen was very happy and sincerely thanked Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan smiled harmlessly. You're welcome. Miss Shin saved my life. I naturally should repay her with all my might. As he spoke, he deliberately glanced towards where Shen Wanqing was hiding. Shen Wanqing's heart skipped a beat. This didn't sound like gratitude. It sounded like a warning. At that moment, Ji Feichen excused himself to go see the female lead, and Shen Wanqing also wanted to sneak away. As soon as she crawled out, she saw Shi Wuyin standing in front of her. Miss Shen, where are you going? His tone carried a smile, but it sent chills down her spine. Shen Wanqing shuddered and quickly retreated, staring at Shi Wuyin. How long have you been here? Shi Wuyin approached her, reached out, and gently touched her forehead, asking, were you eavesdropping? Shen Wanqing knew no one would believe she was just passing by. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and immediately made up a plausible excuse. Well, I ate too many osmanthus cakes today and came out for a walk. I happened to see you and young Master Ji playing chess. I think young Master Ji's chess style is steady, righteous, and very heroic. I admire him very much, so I watched for a while. I really wasn't eavesdropping on purpose. I'm just genuinely interested in chess. Xiao Yuan wasn't swayed by Shen Wanqing's flattery. Instead, he suddenly understood why so many people sent useless fools to assassinate him. It was probably because they couldn't stand their incessant chatter and found another way to send them to their deaths. Shi Wuyin asked again, so, Miss Shen, you admire me and are interested in chess. Shen Wanqing nodded vigorously. Shi Wuyin chuckled softly. All right then. He turned to leave, and Shen Wanqing breathed a sigh of relief, thinking she had fooled him. The next second, however, she heard the villain coldly say, then let's play a game, Miss Shen. Shen Wanqing cursed inwardly, realizing that Shi Wuyin had seen through her lies and was preparing to expose and mock her publicly. The most venomous heart belongs to the male lead. He's truly a villain, with so many ways to torment people. But I don't even know the rules of chess. How can I play? Shen Wanqing racked her brains, trying to make one last struggle. I feel bad about taking up Master Xie's time. Shi Wuyin smiled at Shen Wanqing. If it's for Miss Shen, I'm naturally happy to oblige. Shen Wanqing knew he was toying with her. Since she couldn't refuse, she had to find another way. So, Shen Wanqing sat down opposite Shi Wuyin. We can play, but I don't know how to play Go. Shi Wuyin immediately replied. Then let's play something you know. Shen Wanqing rolled her eyes. You might not know how to play what I know. Hearing this, Shi Wuyin couldn't help but laugh. Miss Shen underestimates me. He wanted to see what this little good-for-nothing, who couldn't even light a lamp, actually knew. So, Shen Wanqing used the chessboard to lay out a map. Then she smiled triumphantly. Come on, let's play flying chess. Looking at this game that even Shi Wuyin had never heard of, Shen Wanqing finally managed to escape from him. On her way back, Shen Wanqing was in exceptionally good mood. The dignified demon lord of the demon realm had been completely bewildered this time, so let the big devil ponder it himself. Shen Wanqing planned to go find a male and female leads to advance their relationship and complete some tasks along the way. Her cultivation level was too low, so she was completely unaware of the demonic aura hidden behind a tree, preparing to attack her. Just as the demonic aura was about to touch Shen Wanqing, it was blocked by an invisible barrier, shielding her from the attack. The powerful spiritual energy stirred up a storm around her, and only then did Shen Wanqing realize something was wrong. She turned to look around and found that the protective amulet Ji Feichen had given her was glowing faintly. Shen Wanqing immediately realized that a demon was trying to attack her. Then she saw a small, unconscious bird on the ground. As soon as Shen Wanqing saw the bird, she felt a sense of familiarity. Why did this aura seem so similar to the demon lords? This wasn't just any bird. It was Shuang Miao, Shi Wuyin's pet. The original story said that Shuang Miao was the demon lord's capable assistant before being sealed. But ever since Shi Wuyin went to the land of slumber, Shuang Miao's spiritual power had also dissipated. It wasn't until Shi Wuyin's seal was broken that Shuang Miao, smelling its master's aura, followed all the way here. So the current Shuang Miao was nothing more than an ordinary talking bird with pitiful cultivation. Anyone could easily capture it. After all, the Shuang Miao clan wasn't just any ordinary demon, but an ancient divine bird. That's why it dared to swagger into the Twin Heavens sect without anyone noticing. Shen Wanqing looked it up and down, poked its belly, and said it looks just like a pigeon. Shuang Miao woke up with a start and yelled, "You dare use a magical artifact, shameless woman. Who are you? Why do you have my master's aura on you? Tell me quickly, where's my master now? I'm telling you, when I regain my true form, I will definitely take your life." A mere human dares to provoke the Shuang Miao clan. Shen Wanqing had never seen such a talkative bird. She glared at it with disgust and casually tied its beak with a rope. Then she conveniently tied its feet and wings as well, dragging it towards the kitchen. The quickest way to stop Shi Wuyin from destroying the world was to slaughter his capable assistant first. Encountering such a godsend opportunity, how could she let it go? She couldn't defeat Shi Wuyin, but could she not defeat a pigeon? Entering the kitchen, Shen Wanqing quickly boiled some hot water and remarked, "I'm going to stew you and use the pigeon soup to curry favor with Feng Jiaoqing. This will definitely help us become fast friends." Shuang Miao struggled desperately, cursing inwardly. "Who's a pigeon? I'm a divine bird. You arrogant human, how dare you blaspheme a god?" Shen Wanqing placed Shuang Miao on the chopping board and raised the kitchen knife. "This pigeon is quite lively, isn't it?" The kitchen knife slammed down next to Shuang Miao. "Want some spring onions with that?" This time, Shuang Miao truly panicked. For the first time, it felt an unprecedented fear from a weak human woman. A divine bird, the demon lord's pet. How could it die at the hands of such a woman? It struggled desperately to break free from the ropes. Of course, Shen Wanqing wouldn't let it have its way and immediately cast a spell. Thus, the spells of a human and a bird clashed in the kitchen, nearly turning the place upside down. Pots, pans, and bowls crashed to the floor. Shuang Miao still couldn't escape from Shen Wanqing's grasp. Just then, Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing, hearing the commotion, rushed over. Upon entering, they saw the kitchen in complete chaos. Even the ceiling was about to collapse. Ji Feichen asked, "Wanqing, what happened? What are you doing?" Shen Wanqing quickly hid Shuang Miao behind her back and explained, "I caught a pigeon. I want to make pigeon soup for Sister Feng." Hearing Shen Wanqing call it a pigeon again and again, Shuang Miao silently complained, "I'm a divine bird. You're the pigeon. Your whole family are pigeons." It funfent bit Shen Wanqing's hand, drawing blood and making her wince in pain. Ji Feichen was about to speak, but Feng Jiaoqing stopped him. The female lead looked into Shen Wanqing's eyes and asked, "You said you wanted to make soup for me." Shen Wanqing nodded earnestly. Feng Jiaoqing smiled gently, rolled up her sleeves, and said, "In that case, let me help you." Both Shen Wanqing and Ji Feichen were stunned. This kind of thing shouldn't have happened. Shuang Miao was also terrified, thinking it had to escape quickly. This place was too scary. It clutched Shen Wanqing's hand tightly with its claws. Shen Wanqing was startled and loosened her grip. Shuang Miao seized the opportunity and flew desperately towards the door, finally escaping. However, with a bang, it crashed directly into someone at the door, becoming dizzy and breaking out in a cold sweat from the pain. Its heart sank. Could it be that I, the dignified Shuang Miao, am going to die here today? But the next second, it sensed a familiar aura and immediately came to its senses. It looked up joyfully. His Highness has finally come to save me. Shi Ruiyan glanced at his pitiful pet and immediately understood what was happening. With a calm expression, he picked up Shuang Miao and strolled towards Shen Wanqing. He smiled gently. "Miss Shen, what's going on?" But to Shen Wanqing, that smile was a death sentence. She guiltily looked away, her mind screaming, "Don't ask me. It's nothing to do with me." Feng Jiaoqing, oblivious, chimed in innocently, "Oh, it's Master Shi. It's nothing." Miss Shen caught this little pigeon and said she was going to make soup for me. They might be having a little disagreement. Shen Wanqing thought to herself, even good intentions gone wrong are a crime. This is the female lead, all right. After hearing what happened, Shi Ruiyan's gaze, sharp as a knife, locked on Shen Wanqing, a smile still playing on his lips. Shen Wanqing felt a chill run down her spine. Oh no, the great demon king is holding a grudge against me. She desperately racked her brains for a plausible lie to save herself. But before she could speak, Shi Ruiyan took her hand, placed the bird in her palm, and said calmly, "I understand, Miss Shen. Here you go." Shuang Miao was stunned. What just happened? Has my master been possessed? Shen Wanqing was equally bewildered, clutching the divine bird tightly, but not daring to move. Is the great demon king threatening me? Who would dare eat his pet right in front of him? She couldn't say anything, but her eyes said it all. With teary eyes, she looked at Shi Ruiyan. "Your Highness, don't you remember me? We fought side by side. I'm your most precious spiritual beast, the one everyone fears. Okay, mostly you did the fighting, and I cheered from the sidelines, but our bond is inseparable." Shuang Miao's pitiful appearance caught Feng Jiaoqing's attention, and she couldn't help but sigh. It seems this pigeon really does have a connection with Master. Hearing this, Shuang Miao nodded vigorously, screaming internally, "Yes, yes, yes. Especially connected. Can you give me back to him?" Seeing this, Ji Feichen's kind heart was also stirred. He advised, "Miss Shen, all living things have a spirit. Since this pigeon is sentient, it's best we don't harm it." Facing a life or death situation, Shuang Miao forgot all about holding grudges and nodded frantically. "You're a good man, hero. Since you're so reasonable, let's just be a pigeon then." With both protagonists pleading for Shuang Miao and the great demon king standing by, the idea of pigeon soup was naturally off the table. But Shen Wanqing still wanted to make things difficult. "You all want me to let it go." Shi Ruiyan saw right through Shen Wanqing's little scheme. It was time to play his trump card. He smiled faintly. "How about this?" he said, raising his hand and casting a spell to release Shuang Miao from her restraints. Finally free, Shuang Miao gave Shen Wanqing a vicious peck before happily flying back to his master, landing on the great demon king's shoulder. Shi Ruiyan's smile deepened as he looked at Shen Wanqing. "Since it has a connection with me, Miss Shen wouldn't mind it staying with me, would you?" "Right." Shen Wanqing immediately understood, pretending to be indifferent on the surface while inwardly roaring, "I've been played." Now you've helped the great demon king keep Shuang Miao by his side. His goal achieved, Ji Feichen took Shuang Miao and excused themselves. Before leaving, Shuang Miao didn't forget to glare at Shen Wanqing. "You vicious woman, just you wait." Shuang Miao's provocation filled Shen Wanqing with regret. "If I had known this would happen, I should have just thrown that beast into the furnace and roasted it." Feng Jiaoqing looked at the ingredients prepared on the kitchen table, then at the dejected Shen Wanqing. For the first time, she took the initiative to tug on Shen Wanqing's sleeve. "Miss Shen, thank you for the soup." She then turned and left. At the same time, a system notification popped up in front of Shen Wanqing. "Congratulations, host, for completing the hidden mission. Establish a good relationship with the female lead, Feng Jiaoqing." Shen Wanqing stared blankly at Feng Jiaoqing's retreating figure, a smile unconsciously spreading across her face. So Feng Jiaoqing was cold on the outside, but warm on the inside, her heart actually very soft. No wonder the book said that no matter how many times she was deceived, she always remained kind. Perhaps only someone like that would have a compassionate heart and desire to rid the world of evil. Although she hadn't managed to get rid of Shuang Miao this time, at least she had broken the ice with Feng Jiaoqing, so it wasn't a total loss. Shen Wanqing skipped out of the kitchen in high spirits. But as night fell, her mood became tense again. She was afraid the great Demon King would come looking for her again tonight for tea and another all-night chat. So Shan Wanqing locked the front door and didn't forget to check the windows. She even checked the ceiling for holes. After doing all this, Shan Wanqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Now the great Demon King definitely won't be dropping by in the middle of the night. I can finally get a good night's sleep. Just as she finished this sentence, sleepiness washed over her. As she was about to get into bed, the candle in the room suddenly went out, and a sense of unease filled her heart. Shan Wanqing felt the room grow abnormally cold, her whole body stiffening. This familiar aura, this situation, could it be the great demon lord? A sliver of hope flickered within Shan Wanqing as she turned her head. When she saw a figure sitting not far away, all hope was extinguished. Shi Wuyin lazily raised a hand in greeting. "Good evening, Miss Shan." Shan Wanqing wanted to cry out loud. Why was this great demon lord in her room in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? All her precautions had been completely useless. But then she remembered she had secretly stewed his pet. No wonder he held a grudge. She forced herself to ask, "Has Shizuan come for tea again tonight?" Shi Wuyin replied, "No." He gave an innocent smile. "I've come to learn about the secluded life, cultivate emotions, and refine my character. Therefore, I've come to specifically consult Miss Shun on how to play flying chess." Shi Wuyin was once again mocking her with her own words, leaving her helpless. After all, she had brought this upon herself. She forced a smile. "I'd be happy to teach Shizuan, but first, we need dice. We can't play without dice." Shi Wuyin understood that Shan Wanqing was looking for an excuse to avoid him, so he raised his hand and took out 2 dice from the ring on his finger. He then handed them to Shan Wanqing. The great demon lord had once again effortlessly dismantled her obstacle, but Shan Wanqing was still unwilling to give up. "I have to draw the board, but unfortunately, I have no paper or pen." Before she finished speaking, paper and a pen appeared in front of her. She was silent for a moment, then said, "I also need game pieces in 2 colors." Black and white game pieces then materialized before her eyes. Seeing this, Shan Wanqing became a little carried away. "I also need a plate of braised duck gizzards, sweet-scented osmanthus cake, and almond paste." This time, Shi Wuyin didn't produce the food. He simply rested his chin in his hand, staring intently at Shan Wanqing, toying with the dice, his eyes full of menace. Shan Wanqing didn't dare to speak nonsense anymore. She obediently sat down, carefully drew the game board, and then taught Shi Wuyin how to play. Half an hour later, Ji Feichen's pieces had all smoothly reached the finish line, as if they had completed the journey with a bang, while Shan Wanqing's pieces were still stuck at the starting point, not having moved a single step. Shan Wanqing looked sideways at the great demon lord with suspicion. It was blatant cheating. Every time she rolled, she only got a 1, while he could casually roll a 6. Shan Wanqing really wanted to grab the great demon lord by the hair and ask him what he was up to, but in the end, she chickened out, swallowing her anger and preparing for more torment. Was this the great demon lord's silent killing move? Was he trying to drive her mad with the humiliation of this board game? Sleepiness overwhelmed Shan Wanqing, and she couldn't hold on any longer. She fell asleep directly on the table. Shi Wuyin quietly watched Shan Wanqing, finding it somewhat amusing. This girl clearly knew his true identity, yet she could still sleep so soundly. He had thought she valued her life, but it seemed she wasn't afraid of death after all. He had just stood up, about to touch Shan Wanqing, when the ring on his hand suddenly glowed and Shuang Miao sprang out from the ring space. "Your Highness, it's her. She plucked my feathers, treated me like a pigeon, tied my feet, and even wanted to stew me in his soup. I want revenge." With that, it angrily lunged at Shan Wanqing's neck, only to be blocked by an invisible barrier. Shuang Miao bumped its head in a daze and flew back to Shi Wuyin's side, dejectedly crying. "Your Highness, why are you protecting her?" Shi Wuyin shushed Shuang Miao. He reached out and played with a strand of Shan Wanqing's hair. "Don't wake her up, or you'll have to play that boring game with her." Shuang Miao was very dissatisfied with Shan Wanqing, muttering, "She dares to seduce my master. Women are such trouble." Shi Wuyin sensed Shuang Miao's resentment and glanced at it. "Has your spiritual power recovered?" Shuang Miao froze, realizing that the spiritual power that had disappeared in the morning seemed to have indeed recovered a little. But how could it be so fast? Shi Wuyin looked at the sleeping Shan Wanqing. The wound Shuang Miao had bitten that morning had already scabbed over. A guess formed in his mind. Perhaps Shuang Miao had inadvertently swallowed Shun Wanqing's blood, which was why it recovered so quickly. This girl's blood was indeed unusual. To verify his conjecture, he waved his hand, made a small cut on the back of Shun Wanqing's hand, and took a drop of blood. As soon as his spiritual power touched the drop of blood, it immediately burst open. Shuang Miao's eyes widened as it watched a wisp of black smoke slowly dissipate. Its voice suddenly became serious. "Your Highness, is it that thing?" After a few seconds of silence, Shi Wuyin smiled, the corners of his lips curling upwards. "Just as you thought, this little one is even more special than I imagined." Shuang Miao panicked immediately, urging Shi Wuyin to strike first. "Your Highness, if that's the case, we can't keep her. Who knows if she'll be used against you in the future?" Shi Wuyin didn't speak, and it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. He simply picked up Shuang Miao with an indifferent expression and left Shun Wanqing's room. Shuang Miao asked tentatively, laced with jealousy, "Your Highness, is she really that important to you? Is that why you can't bring yourself to do it?" Shi Wuyin replied, "You could say that." Shuang Miao muttered heartbrokenly, "Women are truly troublesome." "Your Highness, you've changed." Xiao Yuan chuckled softly. "Her constitution needs to be properly nurtured. It's perfect for sword forging. She is very important to me." After a night of playing board games, Shun Wanqing had a dream. She dreamt of a woman with tear-stained cheeks, holding a newborn baby in her arms. The woman walked towards a blazing sword-forging furnace, repeating something over and over again. As the firelight flickered, a layer of blood red flashed before her eyes. Shun Wanqing abruptly woke up to find herself lying in bed, completely bewildered. Did the demon lord carry me to bed? At that moment, remnants of the dream still lingered in her mind, causing her to frown. Although the book mentioned that the original Shun Wanqing was always too lazy to cultivate, she was still from a cultivation family and should have some basic foundation. Yet cultivators rarely dreamt. If they did, unless it was a past memory, it was likely a premonition of the future. Now, she was almost certain that the scene in her dream was likely a memory of the original Shun Wanqing. However, the book barely mentioned Shun Wanqing's background, only stating that she was an orphan who had caused trouble for the male and female leads before disappearing. Now it seemed that her background was far more complicated than it appeared. Just then, Shun Wanqing's gaze fell upon the chessboard lying quietly on the table. "I actually played flying chess with the Demon Lord all night and lived to tell the tale. I really can't understand what he's thinking." Shun Wanqing sat in front of her dressing table, trying to cover her dark circles. Just then, a maid came in to report, Miss Feng said that if you're awake, you should go to the front hall for breakfast." Shun Wanqing nodded in response. After changing her clothes, she hurried to the front hall. "Feng Jiaoqing, I'm here." But as soon as she entered, upon seeing the third person in the room, the smile on her face instantly froze. That person was none other than Shi Wuyin and his bluebird, Shuang Miao. Meeting Shi Wuyin's lazily calm gaze and seeing Shuang Miao's feigned, resentful expression, Shun Wanqing's heart sank. This breakfast is going to be hard to swallow. Her steps into the room became stiff, and she weighed whether or not to turn and flee right then. Just then, Ji Feichen greeted her with a smile. "Come here, Wanqing." Shun Wanqing froze. Come, sit down." Shun Wanqing had no choice but to enter and pull her chair closer to Ji Feichen. With the Demon Lord here, it's safer to stay further away. Seeing her evasive manner, Shi Wuyin simply raised an eyebrow, a playful smile playing on his lips. Ji Feichen, completely oblivious to the underlying tension, simply assumed his younger sister liked to cling to him. He affectionately reached out to brush a fallen leaf from Shun Wanqing's hair, gently scolding, "Why are you still so careless? You didn't even notice the leaf in your hair." This intimate gesture and way of speaking set off alarm bells in Shun Wanqing's heart as she saw Feng Jiaoqing's eyes darken. "I finally managed to change Feng Jiaoqing's opinion of me yesterday, and now Big Brother is digging a pit for me." At the same time, the system issued a warning. Feng Jiaoqing's wariness towards the host has increased. Please resolve this as soon as possible. To unravel this knot, you must convince her that you have no ulterior motives towards Ji Feichen. The Demon Lord beside Feng Jiaoqing is the best tool, but he is not to be trifled with. Shun Wanqing looked at Shi Wuyin for a long moment, finally making up her mind. She suddenly slammed the table and stood up. Everyone looked at her in confusion, only to see Shun Wanqing pull a chair towards Shi Wuyin. then sit down and give Shi Wuyin a brilliant smile. Young Master Shi, may I sit here? Seeing the bewildered expressions on Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing's faces, Shen Wanqing explained, I just suddenly thought the dove on young Master Shi's shoulder was so cute, and I wanted to get a closer look. Shi Wuyin didn't refuse, but Shuang Miao reacted intensely, screeching frantically, You wicked woman. You wanted to stew me yesterday, and now you say I'm cute. You're lying. Shuang Miao knew they couldn't reveal their master's identity and had to pretend to be a speechless dove in front of outsiders, but they still protested continuously with dove-like calls. Shen Wanqing knew the truth, but pretended to be oblivious, deliberately twisting the facts. It seems as Dove really likes me. Shuang Miao cursed angrily. Wicked woman. Who likes you? Amused by something, Shi Wuyin chuckled softly and cupped the twin birds in his palms. Shen Wanqing was the one who found them. If you like them, why don't you give them a name? Shen Wanqing hadn't expected the demon lord to give her this opportunity, so she readily accepted. If the birds and I don't like each other, then let's call them Mimi. The twin birds immediately spread their wings, eager to fight Shen Wanqing to the death. You woman, I'm a dignified divine bird. How dare you give me such a name? I'll peck you to death. Unfortunately, their tails were held by the demon lord, so they could only fume in frustration. Seeing the twin birds bristling with anger, Shen Wanqing quickly hid behind Feng Jiaoqing, feigning a wronged expression. Oh dear, Feng Ji, it seems they don't like the new name I gave them. But right now, all I can think of is Mimi, Wang Kai, and Qiu Qiu. Shi Wuyin casually tightened his grip on the twin birds and said indifferently, choose one. The unspoken threat forced the twin birds to yield. I, a dignified divine bird, am being called Mimi by a woman, and your highness not only doesn't stop her, but agrees. Truly, the beauty is a calamity. Feng Jiaoqing, noticing the amusement in Shi Wuyin's eyes and Shen Wanqing's expression, felt that the two weren't as distant as they appeared. Moreover, Shen Wanqing hadn't been pestering Ji Feichen recently, which meant that Shun Gunyang was no longer an obstacle between her and Ji Feichen. Feng Jiaoqing's mood instantly brightened considerably. At this moment, Shen Wanqing heard the system's notification. Congratulations, host. You have successfully established a good relationship with Feng Jiaoqing. Her wariness has significantly decreased, and you have gained 27% trust. Please continue your efforts. Shen Wanqing stared blankly at Feng Jiaoqing, feeling like she hadn't done anything. Yet Feng Jiaoqing had automatically filled in the blanks and completed the task. Although she didn't know what Feng Jiaoqing was thinking, it was good that their relationship was harmonious. Unexpectedly, the system's warning tone sounded the next second. A new female supporting character has appeared. Please be vigilant, host, and pay attention to the emotional fluctuations of the male and female leads. Shen Wanqing sighed helplessly. Couldn't she just have a break? Here we go again. Just then, a figure flashed past her. Rushing straight towards Ji Feichen, she enthusiastically hugged the male lead's arm, her cheek rubbing against him affectionately. Feichen Gidge, you're really here. Before anyone could react, the young woman smiled sweetly at Feng Jiaoqing. Feng Ji, you're here too. I was so excited just now that I didn't see you. You don't mind, do you? Shen Wanqing cursed inwardly. This girl's acting was too smooth. She was either scheming or a masterclass green tea. Feng Jiaoqing smiled wryly. You're always so eager every time you come back. Have a seat, Ziyun. At this moment, Shen Wanqing remembered. This thorn in the side of the male and female lead's relationship was Zheng Ziyun, the daughter of the Shuang Tian Peak elder. She had grown up with Feng Jiaoqing. Although her cultivation wasn't high, she was troublesome and often used the excuse of demon hunting to get close to Ji Feichen. She pretended to be a friend on the surface, but secretly wanted to steal Feng Jiaoqing's man. Currently, Zheng Ziyun only had a crush on Ji Feichen and wasn't completely head over heels. In the original plot, it was only after being rescued by the painted skin demon that she became deeply infatuated with him. As Shen Wanqing recalled the plot, Zheng Ziyun had already sat down beside Ji Feichen and chattered. I heard that Feichen Gidge and Feng Ji are going down the mountain to hunt demons again. I've already spoken to my father, and I'm going with you this time. Shen Wanqing almost choked on her tea. See, the supporting female character was here to cause trouble again. Ji Feichen looked at Shen Wanqing quizzically and asked with concern, Wanqing Mei, are you all right? Shen Wanqing cleared her throat. I'm fine. Then she tried to persuade Zheng Ziyun, Miss Zheng, this painted skin demon has a very high cultivation level and specifically targets young women. It might be dangerous for you to go now. Zhang Ziyun smiled and linked arms with Feng Jiaoqing and Ji Feichen. It's all right. My father said that as long as I gain more experience, and with Feng Ji and Feichen Gij here, I'll definitely be protected. The elder has already agreed. Feng Jiaoqing could only nod. Then you can come along, but remember to stay by Feichen and my side at all times, understand? Understood. Zhang Ziyun nodded excitedly. Seeing that their plans were set, Shen Wanqing fell into deep thought. Although she couldn't dissuade Zhang Ziyun, the situation wasn't entirely unchangeable. As long as Zhang Ziyun wasn't captured by the painted skin demon, the subsequent hero saving the damsel scene wouldn't happen. She glanced at the demon lord beside her. In the original plot, Shi Wu Yin didn't come along, so he's the only variable. With the demon lord's power, if he helps this time, catching the painted skin demon will be a piece of cake, and everyone will be happy. Shi Wu Yin felt her burning gaze, turned his head, and met Shen Wanqing's eyes. This woman, who usually treated him like a beast, now looked at him with bright, hopeful eyes. I heard young Master Shi's cultivation is remarkable. Shi Wu Yin was silent for a few seconds, then reached out and pushed Shen Wanqing's forehead. Apologies, Miss Shen. His skills are limited, only enough for self-preservation. The hope in Shen Wanqing's eyes instantly vanished. As expected, I knew I couldn't count on the demon lord's mercy. 2 days later, the group prepared to descend the mountain to eliminate the demon. Zhang Ziyun excitedly tried to rush towards Ji Feichen. Brother Feichen, I want to ride in the same carriage as you. But before she could finish, Shen Wanqing pulled her back. Miss Zhang, you're the first friend I made at Twin Sky Peak. Let's ride together. When it comes to cock-blocking, Shen Wanqing confidently considers herself the best in the world. She firmly grasped Zhang Ziyun's arm, giving her no chance to escape. No matter what, she couldn't let this female supporting character become a third wheel between the male and female leads. Feng Jiaoqing sat in the carriage, lifted the curtain, and looked at the two with a puzzled expression. When did you two become so close? Zhang Ziyun was about to speak, but Shen Wanqing covered her mouth, not giving her any chance to explain. Princess Feng, Ziyun has been helping me practice my swordsmanship and exorcism techniques lately. Our bond is inseparable now. Feng Jiaoqing smiled gently upon hearing this. Since that's the case, then Ziyun should ride with Wanqing. Thus, the atmosphere in the second carriage became exceptionally awkward. Along the way, Zhang Ziyun sullenly stared out the window, completely ignoring Shen Wanqing. Shi Wu Yin closed his eyes to rest, while Shuang Miao glared at Shen Wanqing, who was leisurely eating snacks, its gaze sinister, yet it didn't dare make a fuss for fear of waking Shi Wu Yin. It could only try to make Shen Wanqing feel guilty with its eyes. Shen Wanqing leaned closer to it, widened her eyes innocently. Mimi, be good. You're just a pigeon. Pigeons can't eat everything. Shuang Miao immediately bristled, but still refrained from making a sound. Just then, Shi Wu Yin slowly opened his eyes, his gaze emotionless, sending chills down one spine. It had been a long time since Shen Wanqing had seen Shi Wu Yin like this. He stared at the pastry in her hand for a long time, without saying a word. Shen Wanqing felt a little awkward and tentatively asked in a low voice, "Do you want some?" Unexpectedly, Shi Wu Yin actually curled his lips, lowered his head, and took a bite of the pastry in her hand. Crunch, crunch. Looking at that handsome face up close, Wanqing couldn't help but blush. After she came to her senses, she quickly pulled away, pretending not to see the playful glint in Shi Wu Yan's eyes. Just then, the carriage suddenly stopped. Ji Feichen lifted the curtain. "Young Master Shi, there seems to be something up ahead. I'll go take a look with you." Seeing this, Zhang Ziyun also hurriedly spoke, wanting to go with him. How could Shen Wanqing let this stumbling block follow, in case it triggered some hero saving the beauty scenario? Before Ji Feichen could speak, she pulled Zhang Ziyun back. "Miss Zhang, it's dangerous outside. You should stay in the carriage with me." Having been thwarted twice by Shen Wanqing from approaching Ji Feichen, Zhang Ziyun stamped her feet in anger. The male lead already understood Zhang Ziyun's abilities and felt that Shen Wanqing had a point, so he said, "Little sister Yun, you should stay in the carriage." Zhang Yun was extremely reluctant and still tried to persuade him, but in the end, she couldn't break free from Shen Wanqing's grasp. She could only unwillingly stay in the carriage, gnashing her teeth in hatred towards Shen Wanqing. "Shen Wanqing, do you like Brother Ji?" If it were the original Shen Wanqing, she would definitely nod her head vigorously. But Shen Wanqing just looked at Zhang Ziyun blankly. Why do you ask? Zhang Ziyan finally couldn't hold back anymore. Stop pretending. I've heard that you always act pitiful and innocent in front of Brother G, but in reality, you're just hindering Princess Phone. You must be jealous that I have a good relationship with Brother G, so you're deliberately preventing me from interacting with him. Listening to her rambling, Shen Wanqing was speechless. If I wasn't afraid you'd affect my mission progress, I wouldn't bother with you. Shen Wanqing said casually, no, I definitely don't like him. Zhang Ziyan didn't believe her at all, glaring fiercely at Shen Wanqing. Only a ghost would believe you. I'll tell Princess Phone about your true colors later. This sentence finally made Shen Wanqing serious, and she quickly forced a fake smile. Miss Zhang, you misunderstood. I already have someone I like. Zhang Ziyan naturally didn't believe her. Who? This stumped Shen Wanqing. Since she transmigrated to this world, she had only met a few people. After careful consideration, the only person she could rely on and who Zhang Ziyan would believe was none other than the Demon Lord, Shi Wuyan. The male supporting character was like a brick, movable wherever needed. Moreover, the Demon Lord wasn't present and couldn't hear what she said, so using him as a scapegoat was the most suitable option. Therefore, Shen Wanqing nonchalantly told Zhang Ziyan, the person I like is Shi Wuyan. Just then a voice rang out, is that so? Shen Wanqing subconsciously nodded. Yes, yes. After nodding, she realized something was wrong. Didn't that voice sound like the Demon Lord's? She guiltily closed her mouth, wanting to bluff her way through. But how could Shi Wuyan let such an interesting opportunity slip by? He leaned closer, staring into Shen Wanqing's eyes, his own filled with amusement. Miss Shen, why aren't you speaking? Shen Wanqing was nearly angered to the point of fainting. She cursed inwardly. This devil clearly knew she was lying, yet he wouldn't let her off the hook. He was too wicked. Couldn't he see her face was burning up? Shen Wanqing took a deep breath and pushed Shi Wuyan away, feigning shyness. Young Master Shi, please stop teasing me. I'm still young. Don't take what I said seriously. Having heard the rumors about the two of them, Zhang Ziyan wasn't as angry as before. Instead, she was in a mood to eavesdrop. Still young. You're already 18. Girls of that age are already married with children. Shi Wuyan laughed heartily. Miss Zhang is right. Shen Wanqing gritted her teeth in anger, cursing inwardly. Zhang Ziyan, can't you keep your mouth shut even when you're watching the drama unfold? Fortunately, at this moment, the male lead, Ji Feichen, called out young Master Shi from outside, unintentionally breaking the awkward atmosphere. Shi Wuyan then dismounted his horse. Shen Wanqing, seeing this, just wanted to breathe a sigh of relief, but she happened to meet Shi Wuyan's meaningful smile. Shen Wanqing immediately lowered her head, obediently placing her hands on her knees, her eyes fixed on the ground. It was over. The Demon Lord had no intention of letting her go. Shi Wuyan held his sword, looking at Shen Wanqing with a smile. Zhang Ziyun's gaze darted back and forth between the Demon Lord and Shen Wanqing, afraid to miss any changes in their expressions. Such explosive news. She had to tell Brother Feichen and Sister Jiaoqing quickly. After the matters outside were settled, the group continued on their journey. Upon boarding the carriage, Shi Wuyan sat directly next to Shen Wanqing and intimately put his arm around her shoulders. Shen Wanqing's heart fluttered in panic. See, the Demon Lord truly wasn't human. Then she heard Shi Wuyan say with a smile, Miss Shen, aren't you going to tell me something? Shen Wanqing was speechless, looking up to glare at him. You actually dare to ask. Girls need to save face too. Shen Wanqing gritted her teeth, deciding to go all out. If she admitted to lying now, it would be better to bite the bullet and confess to having a crush on Shi Wuyan. The Demon Lord would definitely reject her anyway, and when the news reached the male and female leads, it might make the female lead believe she had given up on Ji Feichen. So, Shen Wanqing deliberately put on a shy expression and turned to look at Shi Wuyan. Since that's the case, I can only admit it. I do have a crush on young Master Shi. Shen Wanqing thought Shi Wuyan would immediately reject her, but unexpectedly, he just looked at her quietly, without any reaction. Shen Wanqing panicked. Why wasn't the Demon Lord speaking? Could it be that he was captivated by her? Please don't. Half a minute later, Shen Wanqing heard Shi Wuyan clear his throat, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. Her premonition grew worse. It made sense. Shi Wuyan never played by the rules. What if he really agreed to be with her, just to get closer to the male and female leads and torment her? So before Shi Wuyan could speak, Shen Wanqing quickly grabbed his arm. Young Master Shi, you must consider this carefully. This concerns our entire lives. Facing Shen Wanqing's earnest gaze, Shi Wuyan laughed inwardly. It wouldn't be good to brush it off now, so he released Shun Wanqing's hand and continued to tease, "I'm sorry, I refuse." Hearing those 2 words of rejection, Shun Wanqing was so moved she almost cried. Her favorable impression of Shi Wuyan skyrocketed. Great. She hadn't expected the demon lord to be so understanding. She quickly turned her face to eat some pastries, struggling to suppress her laughter. Shi Wuyan glanced at Shun Wanqing and suddenly lost interest. He had originally wanted to tease her more, but he didn't expect Shun Wanqing to be so timid. A woman's petty thoughts were truly boring. Just then, Shun Wanqing also noticed Zhang Ziyun's pitiful look and felt a little strange. Zhang Ziyun took the initiative to come over and comfort her. "It's okay. Miss Shun, I'll keep your secret." Hearing this, Shun Wanqing just smiled faintly. "Haha, thank you." An hour later, the carriage finally reached its destination. Zhang Ziyun dashed out like a wisp of smoke, excitedly calling out, "Brother Feichen, Sister Jiaoqing." Seeing this, Shun Wanqing figured she must be going to spread the good news and quickly lifted the carriage curtain to follow. Sure enough, she saw Zhang Ziyun whispering something to the protagonists. Ji Feichen immediately frowned and said, "Wanqing, is what Ziyun said true? Have you forgotten the Ji family's teachings? What proper young lady forces a man into marriage?" Shun Wanqing was rendered speechless by the scolding, muttering to herself, "Who's forcing who into marriage?" Seeing Zhang Ziyun sneak away, Shun Wanqing was even more exasperated. She understood in her heart that a woman's words truly couldn't be trusted. In just a short while, she could fabricate such an outlandish story. "Zhang Ziyun, you just wait." But then she reconsidered. Feng Jiaoqing had probably let down her guard against her this time, so such a rumor could be considered a good thing. The group stayed at the inn for a few days, but the painted skin demon never appeared. Shun Wanqing realized that her transmigration had caused a butterfly effect. According to the original plot, the protagonist should have been at odds by now, wanting to break off their engagement. The Twin Sky Pavilion and the Ji family would also be in conflict because of this, and Ji Feichen would have no time to deal with demon hunting. But because she hadn't disrupted the protagonist's relationship, everything remained unchanged, which had instead advanced the demon hunting plot. Because Shun Wanqing still carried the painted skin demon's demonic aura, it should have come looking for her the first night. But now, so much time had passed, and it hadn't been attracted. Yet, the number of victims was increasing. In just a few days, 3 people had already died. Zhang Ziyun grew impatient and complained, "Has the painted skin demon found better prey and given up on me?" Feng Jiaoqing and Ji Feichen were also worried. "Ziyun, don't say that. The painted skin demon hasn't been eliminated yet, and innocent people are still being harmed. We really can't stand idly by." Logically, when I treated Shinganyang's injuries, I deliberately left a trace of demonic aura. With the painted skin demon's obsession, it should have taken action long ago. Feng Jiaoqing's words helped Shun Wanqing find a reason. She stroked the protective jade bracelet on her wrist. In the original story, when the protagonist began demon hunting, the painted skin demon's power had already greatly increased, and it quickly sensed the demonic aura on her. But now, with the plot accelerated, the demon might not have broken through yet. Coupled with this protective artifact, the demonic aura was concealed. So now, besides waiting for the painted skin demon to come looking for her, they could only wait for it to absorb the blood of cultivators to increase its cultivation. The most suitable target was the low-level cultivator, Zhang Ziyun. According to the original plot, the painted skin demon also leveled up through Zhang Ziyun. Just as Shun Wanqing finished her analysis, the system alarm sounded. Important female supporting character Zhang Ziyun is in imminent danger. To prevent the protagonist's plot from deviating, it is recommended to complete the demon hunting task as soon as possible. She sighed. She still couldn't avoid the plot point of the painted skin demon capturing Zhang Ziyun, allowing Ji Feichen to play the hero. Now, she could only take a gamble. She stood up and walked towards the protagonists. "I was just thinking it's highly possible that the artifact is shielding my demonic aura, which is why the painted skin demon can't sense it." Shun Wanqing decisively removed the protective artifact and handed it to Feng Jiaoqing. "Let's try it tonight." Everyone knew that Shun Wanqing's cultivation was low, so doing this could be life-threatening for her. Feng Jiaoqing hesitated. "Wanqing, if you don't wear the protective artifact, you might die if we don't arrive in time." Shun Wanqing gave a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, you'll definitely make it in time." Shi Wuyan glanced at Shun Wanqing. He knew how much this girl valued her life and already had a plan in mind. But from morning till night, nothing unusual happened at the inn. The guests continued drinking, eating, and making merry. Ji Feichen looked around at the lively atmosphere, but his heart was filled with vigilance. He also noticed that Shi Wuyan was absent and couldn't help but ask about him. Feng Jiaoqing told Ji Feichen that she had already gone to call him, but Shi Wuyan seemed to be affected by the heart-locking curse and was feeling unwell resting upstairs. Hearing the words unwell, Shen Wanqing inwardly scoffed. Such words simply didn't fit a great demon like Shi Wuyan. If a villain said such a thing 8 or 9 times out of 10, they were up to no good behind the scenes. Just then, Zhang Ziyun hurried downstairs. Seeing the bustling and harmonious atmosphere in the inn lobby, her tense mood gradually relaxed. She quickly ran to the protagonist and habitually complained, "What's going on? There's no activity at all." No one spoke. Shen Wanqing watched Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing, the male and female leads, eating and drinking impassively. The atmosphere felt strangely odd. Usually, this lovey-dovey couple, Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing, would be all over each other during meals, but now they were excessively quiet, as if deliberately pretending nothing had happened. The strange atmosphere grew thicker. She glanced at the surrounding guests and found everyone was focused on their food, completely oblivious to them. These people were like paper dolls in human skin, mechanically playing their roles, without thought or soul. Just as she was about to do something, the waiter came over with a jar of wine, smiling, "Honor guests, your wine." The waiter bent down to place the wine on the table. Shen Wanqing keenly noticed that Feng Jiaoqing and Ji Feichen both tensed up at the same time. Something was definitely wrong. Shen Wanqing called out to the waiter. The waiter asked with a smile, "What else can I do for you?" Shen Wanqing said she wanted to order a few more dishes. She reached up and touched her hairpin. Then, with a swift movement, she flung it at the waiter. The hairpin went straight through his shoulder, and a shrill scream echoed through the hall. Zhang Ziyun was scared out of her wits, frozen in place. What was going on? A moment later, she realized that there was no blood where the waiter had been hit. This guy wasn't human. Feng Jiaoqing and Ji Feichen drew their swords simultaneously, pointing them at the waiter. The waiter's face cracked, and his skin began to peel off. The other guests who were eating also began to transform, just like the waiter, turning into murderous monsters surrounding everyone. Originally, there was only one painted skin demon in the original story, but now there was a whole group. Shen Wanqing inwardly cursed. She had intended to lure the snake out of its hole, but she had been outsmarted. There wasn't a single living person in this inn. Everyone was already dead, leaving only their skins to trap unsuspecting passersby, just like them. But the painted skin demon that had attacked her before wasn't among them. For some reason, the plot seemed to have changed drastically. Meanwhile, in the upstairs bedroom, Shi Wuyan was quietly meditating. The candlelight flickered. Shuang Miao alerted him. Shi Wuyan slowly opened his eyes and looked towards the door. Relying on their numbers, the painted skin demons focused their attacks on the male and female leads. Caught off guard, Shen Wanqing tightly clutched the talismans in her hand. Her face was full of panic. If this dragged on, something bad would happen sooner or later. She had to find a way to resolve this quickly. She looked up at the Demon Lord's door on the 2nd floor. If the Demon Lord were willing to help, there might still be a glimmer of hope. Following Shen Wanqing's gaze, the painted skin demons roared and charged into Shi Wuyan's room, completely unaware of their own recklessness, targeting the great demon inside. Shi Wuyan was leisurely sitting on the bed, eating an apple, as if everything had nothing to do with him. He merely glanced at the painted skin demons, and the pressure he instantly released froze them in place, their fear evident. Knowing they couldn't afford to provoke the nobleman in the room, the painted skin demons pretended nothing had happened and quickly fled. Shi Wuyan scoffed, too lazy to pay them any mind. Shuang Miao flattered him. As expected of the Demon Lord, not only did you discover that there were no living people in this inn long ago, but you also saw through that painted skin demon who is skilled at concealing its aura. Shi Wuyan ignored him completely and walked straight out of the room, quite interested in the chaos downstairs. These painted skin demons weren't particularly strong individually, but their sheer number made them troublesome. Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing were cooperating fairly well, but the 2 flower vases in their group were holding them back, making the fight even more difficult. Zhang Ziyun was already crying her eyes out, yelling, "Brother Ji, save me," while trying to throw herself into the male lead's arms. Seeing this, Shun Wanqing quickly knocked Zheng Ziyun unconscious with a chop to the neck, thinking to herself, "I'm sorry, Miss Zheng, but the situation is urgent. I can't let you cause any more trouble, and I definitely can't let any hero saving the beauty scenes play out." Then Shun Wanqing laboriously hid Zheng Ziyun under a table. Shi Wuyan, watching this scene from the second floor, couldn't help but burst out laughing, finding this mission quite amusing. Shuang Miao looked puzzled. "Your Highness, why don't we go down and help? If you want to gain their trust, now is a good opportunity." Shi Wuyan yawned, leaning against the railing. "I'm too tired, too lazy to move. Let's wait until they're almost finished." Shuang Miao was speechless, thinking this excuse was too perfunctory. Meanwhile, after hiding Zheng Ziyun, Shun Wanqing had just stood up when she was targeted by a painted skin demon. It quietly circled behind her, its demonic energy transforming into a giant hand, aiming straight for her heart. Shun Wanqing didn't have any protective talismans on her. With her cultivation level, this attack would most likely be fatal. Ji Feichen noticed the commotion, his face instantly darkening. "Shun Wanqing," he shouted, but he was blocked by numerous painted skin demons and couldn't get close. Fortunately, his shout caught Shi Wuyan's attention. In an instant, a golden light appeared, directly shattering the demonic energy. Shi Wuyan appeared as if out of nowhere, pulling Shun Wanqing into his arms, protecting her from the demonic aura. The expected pain didn't come. Shun Wanqing looked up and saw Shi Wuyan. She was momentarily dazed, finding it hard to believe that this great villain would actually save her. Shuang Miao was also shocked. "Your Highness, didn't you say you were too tired to go down? Why did you appear for this woman?" Shi Wuyan looked thoughtful. Spiritual energy gathered in his palm. After a moment of hesitation, he pulled a painted skin demon in front of him and crushed it into dust. Feng Jiaoqing stared at Shi Wuyan in shock. That was the combined demonic energy of more than 10 painted skin demons. Yet he shattered it with one palm and remained unharmed. Could he really just be an ordinary demon hunter? Feng Jiaoqing couldn't help but doubt Shi Wuyan's identity. Ji Feichen couldn't afford to think too much at this moment. This was a good opportunity. He flung out countless talismans. The painted skin demons shrieked as they were hit. Soon, the painted skin demons turned into smoke and dissipated, and the demonic energy in the inn gradually faded. Shuang Miao noticed the strange look on Feng Jiaoqing's face and quickly flew to Shi Wuyan's side, whispering, "Your Highness, the strength you just revealed has made them suspicious." Shi Wuyan quickly restrained his spiritual energy and then coughed up a mouthful of blood. He collapsed weakly to the ground. Shun Wanqing had intended to thank him, but seeing this, she hurriedly stepped forward to support him. The demon lord's hands were stained with blood. Shun Wanqing was stunned. Since she transmigrated, this was the first time she had witnessed such a scene. To save Shun Wanqing, the villain Shi Wuyan did not hesitate to expose his strength, then deliberately suppressed his spiritual energy and injured himself into unconsciousness to avoid suspicion from the male and female leads. Shi Wuyan's series of actions indeed turned the protagonist's suspicion into concern. Ji Feichen stayed behind to clean up the mess, while Shun Wanqing and Feng Jiaoqing quickly helped Shi Wuyan back to his room. At this time, Shi Wuyan pretended that his heart-locking curse was acting up, the blue veins on his chest spreading like spiderwebs. Feng Jiaoqing frowned, using her spiritual energy to heal Shi Wuyan. This curse will inflict an equal amount of damage back on the caster. Although it was temporarily suppressed before, young Master Shi's spiritual energy fluctuated too much just now, causing it to relapse. Perhaps young Master Shi didn't want us to worry, so he didn't say anything. I didn't expect the backlash to be so severe this time. Ji Feichen was filled with self-blame. It's all my fault for being negligent. If I had noticed the abnormality earlier, I wouldn't have implicated young Master Shi. Seeing Ji Feichen's distress, Feng Jiaoqing softly comforted him. "Don't worry, I've used my spiritual energy to temporarily suppress the spread of the heart-locking curse. It's not your fault." Shun Wanqing had been worried, but now she began to have doubts. With the demon lord's strength, how could he be so seriously injured dealing with such a low-level battle? Shun Wanqing secretly observed, her gaze fixed on Shi Wuyan's slightly pale face. Shuang Miao also quietly stood by. After a while, Feng Jiaoqing finally withdrew her spiritual energy. "All right, Everyone is tired after the fight. Let's rest. I'll take care of young Master Shi. Shen Wanqing immediately spoke up. Feng Ji, why don't you let me do it? You all go back and rest. Young Master Shi was injured because of you, so it's only right that I take care of him. Actually, Shen Wanqing wanted to take this opportunity to test and see if the Demon Lord was truly sick or just pretending. Ji Feichen felt that it was inappropriate for a man and a woman to be alone together and was about to say something, but Feng Jiaoqing stopped him. Then leave it to Wanqing. We'll be next door. Call us if anything happens. The door had barely closed when Shen Wanqing heard Shuang Miao wail loudly, my lord. My poor lord, you risked your life to save someone, unlike those vicious women. They scream and beg for help over the smallest things, but I will remember your heroic deed for the rest of my life. Shen Wanqing quickly noticed Shi Wuyan lying on the bed, his brow furrowed and eyelids twitching. She immediately realized he was feigning injury. This spirit beast is useless, betraying the Demon Lord so quickly. She wondered why. After confirming Shi Wuyan was fine, Shen Wanqing breathed a sigh of relief. She then prepared a bowl of medicine, brought it to the bedside, and softly called out, Young Master Shi, please drink your medicine. But Shi Wuyan remained motionless, eyes still closed. He's a dedicated actor, Shen Wanqing thought to herself. She didn't say anything more, instead helping Shi Wuyan sit up and lean against her shoulder. Spoonful by spoonful, she tried to feed him the medicine. Open your mouth. Shi Wuyan still didn't react, his lips tightly pressed together. Having tried countless positions to get him to drink, Shen Wanqing finally grew annoyed. Young Master Shi, if you don't cooperate, I'll have to resort to my last resort. Shen Wanqing scooped a spoonful of medicine into her mouth, preparing to feed it to Shi Wuyan. Shuang Miao immediately understood and flew up in terror, using its body to block the two. You wicked woman, what are you trying to do? How dare you touch my lord? Shen Wanqing ignored Shuang Miao completely, treating it as if it were air. Just as their lips were about to touch, her chin was suddenly grasped by a hand. The supposedly unconscious Shi Wuyan abruptly sat up, locking eyes with Shen Wanqing. He said seriously, what else can't you put in your mouth? Shen Wanqing was forced to swallow the medicine, the bitter taste exploding in her mouth, her face scrunching up. Shi Wuyan withdrew his hand, snorted coldly, and slowly straightened his clothes. Shen Wanqing pouted, cursing inwardly. As expected, he was faking it. In the original story, you loved using this trick, pretending to sacrifice yourself to gain Feng Jiaoqing's admiration. Even after being kidnapped and imprisoned by you in the demonic realm for a year, she still believed you would change your ways. Now I've witnessed the Demon Lord's acting skills firsthand. Shi Wuyan straightened his clothes and walked towards the window. Shen Wanqing followed him with a bowl of medicine. Young Master Shi, don't be stubborn. Your wounds need medicine to heal. Shi Wuyan remained silent, his whole body screaming, I don't want to drink the medicine. But Shen Wanqing was persistent, following him like a little tail. She didn't notice when he stopped, bumping into his back. Losing her balance, she fell backward. Shi Wuyan turned and caught her by the waist, preventing her from falling. The warmth from his hand on her waist made Shen Wanqing blush, momentarily stunned. A strange emotion flickered in Shi Wuyan's eyes as he quietly looked at her. After this encounter with the painted-skinned demon, Shen Wanqing had truly witnessed the Demon Lord's acting skills. Even though she knew he was feigning injury, she still insisted he drink the medicine. Shi Wuyan looked down, gazing at Shen Wanqing for a long moment. Finally, Shi Wuyan snatched the bowl from Shen Wanqing's hands and drank it all in one gulp, leaving only one sentence. Satisfied now. With that, he turned and left the room. Shuang Miao cursed the annoying woman in its heart, flying after Shi Wuyan with a smug air. Shen Wanqing didn't understand Shi Wuyan's sudden mood swing and felt caught off guard. No wonder the book said Shi Wuyan was moody, appearing gentle on the surface, but extremely cold to those he knew well. Still, it's a good thing he was only injured himself. If someone had really died to save me, I would regret it for the rest of my life. This incident has also made me determined to become stronger. Since I've transmigrated here, I can't continue being a freeloading good-for-nothing, and I can't always wait for others to save me. Every time I encounter danger, it's like this. Night fell, and Shen Wanqing still hadn't seen Shi Wuyan return. She couldn't help but wonder where the Demon Lord had gone. She pushed open the window, and the scene she saw left her speechless. Shi Wuyin and Feng Jiaoqing were standing in the moonlight, smiles on their faces, their eyes filled with tenderness. Shen Wanqing could practically see pink bubbles floating around them. She immediately crouched down, feeling a surge of panic. Why was the main villain alone with Feng Jiaoqing in the back courtyard? Just now, she was grateful to him for saving her, and now he was secretly flirting with the female lead behind her back. Meanwhile, seeing Shi Wuyin coughing from time to time, Feng Jiaoqing's heart softened, and she became especially concerned about him. Young Master Shi is injured. You shouldn't be out in the cold wind. Please come inside. Shi Wuyin feigned weakness, trying to gain the female lead's trust. I promised young Master Ji that I would help you, but I didn't expect to become a burden to everyone now. Hearing his self-reproach, Feng Jiaoqing felt sympathy and quickly comforted him. Don't say that. Young Master Shi risked his injuries to save us from danger. I already admire you. How could you be a burden? Hiding by the window, Shen Wanqing inwardly cried out, "This villain's acting is too good. If this continues, Shi Wuyin, the villain, will become the male lead." Just then, the system suddenly alerted her. Detected the female lead and the villain are alone together. Please take action, host, as soon as possible. Hearing the task, Shen Wanqing couldn't help but roll her eyes and blurt out, "What do you want me to do now?" Helping the male lead block other female characters was barely manageable, but how could she control the big bad villain? Shen Wanqing's muttering caught Shi Wuyin's attention. A mischievous smirk played on his lips. Wanting to tease her from behind, Shi Wuyin used his magic to make a leaf fly over and gently tickle Shen Wanqing's nose. Shen Wanqing, lost in thought, couldn't help but sneeze loudly. Feng Jiaoqing immediately looked around vigilantly and asked, "Who's eavesdropping over there?" Caught red-handed, Shen Wanqing awkwardly stood up and greeted her, "Sister Jiaoqing, it's me." Seeing that it was Shen Wanqing, Feng Jiaoqing lowered her guard and asked in surprise why she was here. Shen Wanqing didn't know how to answer for a moment, but in order to complete the task of preventing the villain from being alone with the female lead, she had to sacrifice her pride and continue to pretend to have a crush on the villain. Bracing herself, she walked forward, stood between the two, and looked at Shi Wuyin affectionately. "Actually, I've been looking for Big Brother Shi, worried that something might have happened to him. Seeing him with Sister Jiaoqing, I'm relieved." Seeing Shen Wanqing like this, Feng Jiaoqing immediately remembered Zhang Ziyun saying that Shen Wanqing had a crush on young Master Shi. As a woman, she quickly understood Wanqing is jealous. Feng Jiaoqing smiled and patted Shen Wanqing's shoulder, saying, "I understand. Since you're here, I'll leave young Master Shi to you." Watching Feng Jiaoqing's hurriedly departing figure, Shen Wanqing was speechless. What do you understand? But a misunderstanding was a misunderstanding. At least she had successfully prevented the female lead from being alone with the villain. Shen Wanqing turned and looked at Shi Wuyin warily, because she knew very well that the villain knew she was pretending. After a long silence, Shi Wuyin suddenly chuckled softly, looking down at Shen Wanqing. "Why are you so nervous? Are you afraid that if I'm in a bad mood, I'll kill her?" Shen Wanqing avoided Shi Wuyin's gaze, pretending not to understand his words. They had always been tacitly pretending, not exposing each other. This time, the villain asking directly caught Shen Wanqing off guard. But Shi Wuyin didn't intend to let her off easily. He reached out and pinched her chin, forcing her to meet his gaze again, and pressed her aggressively. "If I killed her, shouldn't you be happy?" This question stunned Shen Wanqing, and she cursed inwardly. "Why would you think that, you villain?" She seriously considered telling Shi Wuyin directly that she was here to stop him from becoming the third wheel. Facing the demon lord's cold gaze, as deep as a forest, Shen Wanqing decided to swallow the thought, afraid that her neck would be snapped before she could finish. Finally, she forced a smile, trying to appease him. "You're overthinking it. I just think that if Senior Brother Ji saw this, he might misunderstand." Shi Wuyin frowned, as if pondering something, and repeated Shen Wanqing's words, "Senior Brother Ji." Then he chuckled. "You really do care about everything related to the person you like." After saying that, he released Shen Wanqing. Before she could react, Shi Wuyin had already turned and left, leaving her speechless. Shen Wanqing rubbed her sore neck, unable to understand why the demon lord thought she wanted Feng Jiaoqing to disappear forever. If the female lead was gone, she would be doomed too. After thinking for a long time, Shen Wanqing suddenly realized, could it be that the demon lord actually believed Zhang Ziyun's words? and thought she was wholeheartedly in love with Ji Feichen. Things had become complicated. The demon lord thought that the female lead, who was her, had a crush on the male lead, but the male lead and the female lead thought she had a crush on the demon lord. And she knew that the demon lord would eventually fall in love with the female lead. Oh heavens, this love quadrangle was going to drive her crazy. It seemed she had to explain to Xiao Yuan that she didn't like Ji Feichen. Just as she thought of this, Shen Wanqing ran towards Xiao Yuan's room, but before she could take a few steps, a chill ran down her spine. A dark aura quickly enveloped her from behind, immobilizing her. The familiar aura made Shen Wanqing panic. Oh no, wasn't this the painted skin ghost? The painted skin ghost pinched Shen Wanqing's chin, his low voice ringing in her ear. Do you know how long I've been waiting for you? The painted skin ghost wrapped an arm around Shen Wanqing's waist, drawing closer and closer. His icy aura made her feel like she had been thrown into an ice cellar. She quickly realized that this painted skin ghost was the one who had escaped from Ji Feichen. She had to admit, he was quite clever. He let his underlings exhaust the male and female lead's strength, and when they couldn't hold on any longer, he would come back to deal with her. He'd planned this well. But Shen Wanqing felt that the painted skin ghost was too arrogant. He underestimated the male lead. With Ji Feichen's strength and cunning, he would quickly notice something was amiss. As long as she held on, she would be saved. As if seeing through Shen Wanqing's thoughts, the painted skin ghost extended a sharp claw and slashed her neck. Blood flowed out as he laughed mockingly. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Do you think I'm afraid of those little cultivators around you? Once I devour your flesh and blood, even 10,000 chains won't be able to hold me back. Shen Wanqing felt her back being torn open. Although it was painful, she couldn't scream, which kept her conscious. Damn it, this painted skin ghost is obsessed with me, not because of my appearance, but for another reason. Demonic energy surged into her body through the wound, and the intense pain made her consciousness begin to blur. The painted skin ghost's triumphant laughter echoed in her ears. Die. Even if it weren't me, you would eventually become a sacrifice for other demons. These words seemed to awaken countless buried memories within this body, remarkably similar to the dream Shen Wanqing had not long ago. In the dream, a tearful woman gently kissed the baby in her arms and softly told him not to become anyone's sacrifice. Finally, the woman, seemingly oblivious to the surrounding sea of blood and purgatory, placed the child inside a hollow tree. Blood flowed down the trunk, blooming with a dazzling light under the influence of spiritual power. The woman's gentle voice repeated over and over, "This is a protective charm. Remember, never become anyone's sacrifice. You must live with dignity and hold your head high." Recalling all of this, Shen Wanqing's heart jolted, and the power within her body was instantly activated, regaining control. One moment, she was angering the villain Shi Wuyan. The next, she was captured by the painted skin ghost. Accept fate. Even if it weren't me, I would become a sacrifice for other demons. Countless unknown memories flashed through her mind. Shen Wanqing gritted her teeth, using all her strength to force out a few strands of spiritual power, guiding them along the path of the flowing blood. The blood flowing from the wound on her back instantly ignited. The painted skin ghost was forced to retreat hastily, avoiding the flames. Finally, Shen Wanqing regained control of herself, but her spiritual power was exhausted, and she collapsed weakly onto the ground. She knew that with her own strength, it would be difficult to escape. The painted skin ghost was stunned for a moment. After reacting, he raised his hand towards Shen Wanqing, mockingly saying, "It's useless. Stop struggling. It will only make you suffer more." With that, he launched an attack towards her. Facing a demon much stronger than herself, she closed her eyes in resignation. But the expected pain didn't come. When she opened her eyes, she found Ji Feichen standing in front of her, and his hand was piercing through the painted skin ghost's internal organs. The ghost was in so much pain that he couldn't even scream. Ji Feichen's power didn't come from any sex spiritual energy, but from powerful demonic energy. The painted skin ghost couldn't escape. He knew he had encountered a higher-ranking demon. "Who are you?" Ji Feichen's lips curled into a chilling smile. Although he didn't speak aloud, his voice echoed in the painted skin ghost's mind. "Who allowed you to touch what's mine?" With that, he infused his fist with demonic energy and crushed the painted skin ghost's body into dust. The painted skin ghost, exhausting his 1,000 years of cultivation, barely managed to preserve a wisp of his soul, transforming into demonic energy and escaping. Ji Feichen didn't pursue him. This was the first time Shen Wanqing had seen Ji Feichen like this. He had shed his gentle and jade-like disguise, revealing the violence and cruelty in his bones. The unrestrained demon lord was truly terrifying. After a brief silence, she looked up at Ji Feichen standing before her. "Aren't you going to chase him?" Ji Feichen sneered and replied, "I'd better keep an eye on you, sacrifice." These words reminded Shen Wanqing of what the painted skin ghost had said earlier, and her heart filled with panic. Could it be that demon lord Ji Feichen hadn't touched her before because of this body's special constitution? Did he also want to turn her into a sacrifice? Shen Wanqing stared intently at Ji Feichen, trying to read the answer from his eyes, but after staring for a long time, she couldn't see anything, completely unable to understand this demon lord. At least for now, the demon lord wasn't planning on taking her life. Shen Wanqing looked away and raised her hand, saying, "Since you saved me, why not go all the way and help me up?" Ji Feichen remained silent, staring at her hand, motionless. Sensing that he had no intention of helping her up, Shen Wanqing cursed inwardly. Really, he has no gentlemanly manners at all. Forget it. She withdrew her hand, intending to stand up on her own, but unexpectedly her wrist was suddenly grabbed and her whole body was lifted up. Looking up, she realized she had fallen into Ji Feichen's embrace. Shen Wanqing was slightly stunned. The demon lord wouldn't even help her up, but now he was holding her directly, because the two were so close. The demon lord's handsome face and gentle aura made Shen Wanqing somewhat entranced. On the way back, Ji Feichen's hand accidentally brushed against the wound on her back, causing her to gasp in pain. She leaned her head on Ji Feichen's shoulder, trying to endure the pain. A rare flicker of pity flashed in Ji Feichen's eyes as he asked in a low voice, "Does it hurt a lot?" Shen Wanqing looked at Ji Feichen and softly hummed in agreement, appearing particularly pitiful. Ji Feichen quickly looked away. "Bear with it, consider it a lesson." Despite saying so, Shen Wanqing felt Ji Feichen's icy palm suddenly become warm. A healing spiritual power seeped into her skin, greatly lessening the pain in her back. Shen Wanqing suddenly felt that although the demon lord and the painted skin ghost were both demons, the demon lord's treatment of his sacrifices seemed much better than that crude painted skin ghost. Thinking about how much the demon lord had done for her, Shen Wanqing took the initiative to thank him. After all, the demon lord had saved her twice, so thanking him was only right. Shen Wanqing's words made Ji Feichen pause. He looked down at the girl in his arms, his gaze deep and unfathomable. "Thank me. What is there to thank me for? Do you know why I haven't killed you?" Shen Wanqing smiled wryly. "I really don't know, but let's take things one at a time. Anyway, I can't beat you if you want to kill me. There's nothing I can do." This time, Ji Feichen actually nodded in agreement, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Indeed, seeing him so candid, Shen Wanqing couldn't help but twitch the corner of her mouth. "Wait, isn't this just waiting to die? If you really are going to kill me one day, can you tell me in advance so I can at least struggle a bit?" Ji Feichen suddenly realized that for so many years, this was the first time he couldn't see through someone's mind. Others approached him either to take his life, for power, or for the so-called righteous cause of slaying demons and upholding justice. But Shen Wanqing didn't belong to any of these categories. Instead, she piqued his interest. "Don't worry, someone as interesting as you is much more interesting alive than dead." Having experienced life and death, Shen Wanqing finally figured out, and her view of the demon lord completely changed. If she really had to confront Ji Feichen, even 10 of her wouldn't be his match. Rather than letting the demon lord reveal his true nature and harm the male and female leads, it was better to let him continue playing the role of demon slayer and wait for the protagonist to level up before making a move. Thinking of this, Shen Wanqing suddenly felt much more relaxed. She leaned her head on Ji Feichen's shoulder. "Don't worry, I've changed my mind. I'll help you keep your identity a secret. I won't let them find out." Seeing that Shen Wanqing didn't seem to be joking, Ji Feichen thought to himself, "Sure enough, this girl is different from others." Strangely, he actually felt a sense of anticipation. As soon as the two returned to the inn, They ran into Shi Wuyin and Feng Jiaoqing. Seeing the bloodstains on both their clothes, Ji Feichen's face was filled with anxiety. He said apologetically, "Wanqing, I'm late." Shen Wanqing slid down from Shi Wuyin's arms and quipped, "You're indeed late. Any later, and you wouldn't have even found my bones." Before Shen Wanqing could finish her sentence, she was drawn to the female lead's worried gaze. Feng Jiaoqing looked her up and down, saying apologetically, "It's my fault. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have left you there alone." With that, Feng Jiaoqing quickly pulled Shen Wanqing inside to treat her wounds. Ji Feichen respectfully knelt on one knee and said to Shi Wuyin, "Thank you, young Master Shi, for risking your life to save her. Feichen will never forget this kindness." Seeing this scene, Shen Wanqing suddenly felt a pang of emotion. Since transmigrating into the book, she had always treated Feng Jiaoqing and Ji Feichen as tools to complete her mission, but Ji Feichen genuinely treated her as his younger sister. Meanwhile, Feng Jiaoqing suddenly frowned and analyzed. Everything seems normal on Luo's side. It seems we underestimated the painted skin ghost cultivation. We probably can't stay here tonight. Ji Feichen, quickly go and get Zhang Ziyun. We need to hurry and chase after the painted skin ghost before it hurts anyone else. Hearing Zhang Ziyun's name, Shen Wanqing immediately remembered her mission, to prevent her from falling in love with the male lead. Extremely uneasy, Shen Wanqing thought, "Oh no, how could I have forgotten about the female supporting character, Zhang Ziyun?" She could only comfort herself. It should be fine. Shi Wuyin has already severely injured the painted skin ghost. It's probably just thinking about escaping now. How would it dare return to its lair to kidnap someone? Besides, the system hasn't issued any warnings. But in the next second, this thought was shattered by Ji Feichen's hurried return. It's bad. Ziyun is missing. At the same time, the female supporting character system issued a warning. Important female supporting character is in danger. Plot correction. Deducting points. Host, please take note. Shen Wanqing was speechless. This broken system, like Ji Feichen, was good for nothing except messing things up. Just then, Ji Feichen closed his eyes and reached out to examine his compass, spiritual energy flowing. The compass vibrated for a long time, then suddenly shot out numerous thin threads, swiftly moving in the same direction. Ji Feichen opened his eyes and said, "Found her. Ziyun has a protective amulet on her. The compass can sense her aura. Ajiao, come with me to save her. Young Master Shi, please take care of Wanqing." Seeing them about to leave, Shen Wanqing hurriedly shouted, "Wait." She anxiously got up to follow, but lost her balance and fell. Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing had already disappeared out the inn door. Xiao Yuan stepped forward to help her up. Seeing the anxiety on Shen Wanqing's face, he said with some displeasure, "Why are you in such a hurry? Your good older brother can't even handle a painted skin ghost that's been beaten half to death. He might as well just bash his head against a pillow and die." Shen Wanqing was extremely anxious. The plot was about to return to the original story. If Ji Feichen really rescued Zhang Ziyun, then everything she had done before would be in vain. She had to follow them to prevent any accidents. But her body was extremely weak, and she had no strength to catch up with those two. Just then, an idea struck Shen Wanqing. She looked up at Shi Wuyin, her eyes filled with hope. Shi Wuyin quietly looked at Shen Wanqing's bright eyes and asked, "What do you want to do?" Shen Wanqing smiled brightly. "Young Master Shi, do you want to slay evil and eliminate demons?" In order to prevent the male lead from embarking on the hero saves the beauty plotline, Shen Wanqing set her sights on Shi Wuyin. Shi Wuyin looked at her speechlessly. Others didn't know his identity, but this girl knew it clearly, yet she could still say such things. He silently stared at Shen Wanqing, watching her anxious expression as she waited for his response. Shen Wanqing guiltily avoided his gaze and lowered her head, biting her lip. "Young Master Shi, look, the painted skin ghost is cunning and treacherous. Although it's injured, older brother Ji is too upright and might not necessarily have the upper hand. If a fight really breaks out, I'm afraid a girl like Sister Feng will be in danger." Hearing this, a strange look flashed across Shi Wuyin's eyes. He asked, "Is that so?" Shen Wanqing nodded repeatedly. Yes. At this moment, she felt she was truly quick-witted. According to the original story, Shi Wuyin had already started paying attention to Feng Jiaoqing at this point. Adding to that, the atmosphere between the two in the back garden earlier wasn't bad. So using the female lead to provoke him a little had indeed made him waver. but Shi Yin simply hummed in response and casually dropped a line. How pitiful. Then he stopped talking. Shen Wanqing was still persistent and waited a while longer, but Shi Yin remained silent. Shen Wanqing cursed inwardly. What went wrong? I practically spelled it out for you. So why are you, the male supporting character who's supposed to be head over heels for the female lead, reacting so indifferently? Could I have transmigrated into the wrong book? Forget it. You're the big bad villain. Untouchable. Untouchable. Shen Wanqing was in a terrible mood and planned to go back for a nap. Seeing Shen Wanqing's gloomy expression, Shi Yin found it a little amusing and finally spoke. You want me to help? Hearing these words, Shen Wanqing immediately perked up and cautiously nodded. Shi Yin stared at her quietly again before finally saying, It's not impossible. Beg me. Shen Wanqing was stunned by these words. After she reacted, without any psychological burden, she bowed to him 3 times with utmost sincerity. Please, please, please. She acted incredibly sincere and well-behaved. This left Shi Yin even more speechless. He thought to himself, don't those righteous cultivators all value hypocritical loftiness? Was this girl really raised by a righteous sect family? How did her family usually teach her to cherish her reputation? Could Shen Wanqing be an undercover agent specifically sent to ruin the reputation of the righteous sects? Seeing the strange expression on Ji Feichen's face, Shen Wanqing tugged on his sleeve, skillfully employing her top-notch coquettish skills. Brother Ji, you promised to help. Ji Feichen scoffed. Brother Ji when you need something, Ji Feichen when you don't. You're quite good at differentiating. He abruptly pulled back his sleeve and, without another word, turned to leave. Watching Ji Feichen's resolute departing figure, Shen Wanqing sighed helplessly. Asking the great demon lord to exorcise demons was indeed difficult for him. Besides, I'm not too worried. Xiao Yuan definitely has a way to deal with the painted skin ghost. I'm just afraid he and Zhang Ziyun will have a hero saves the beauty moment, and then Zhang Ziyun will be moved and completely turn into a vicious villainess. What's done is done. I'll just have to suffer a bit more in the future. Just then, a cold voice rang out. Do you want to stay here alone? Come here, Shen Wanqing. Ji Feichen flew past the window on his sword, his expression indifferent. Silver moonlight sprinkled on his hair, his entire being exuding a do-not-approach aura. But hearing those words, Shen Wanqing's heart was instantly filled with motivation. She knew Ji Feichen was going to help, so ignoring her injuries, she jumped off the bed and ran towards the window, but still hesitated. After all, her indestructible body was too weak. Forget jumping out the window. She couldn't even fly on a sword. The two fell into silence again. Shen Wanqing wrung her hands nervously. Why don't you choose a suitable posture to carry me? I'm fine with anything. Shen Wanqing didn't expect Ji Feichen to actually choose a princess carry, holding her as he flew on his sword. Where the painted skin ghost was hiding, demonic energy and golden light intertwined. Xiao Yuan and Feng Jiaoqing continuously moved through this dense demonic energy. The two forces confronted each other in the air, their momentum majestic. In the center of the two forces, Zhang Ziyun clutched her chest, coughing up blood continuously. Feng Jiaoqing was momentarily distracted, struck by the painted skin ghost, and spat out a mouthful of blood. The barrier shattered. At the same time, the painted skin ghost finally found an opportunity and lunged towards Zhang Ziyun. Death approached, and Zhang Ziyun was too frightened to move. Xiao Yuan immediately summoned his failing sword and rushed forward to block, but someone was faster than him. Ji Feichen descended from the sky, his sword breaking through the barrier and severing the painted skin ghost's sharp claws. Having just escaped death, Zhang Ziyun looked up at the sharp figure. It was actually young Master Ji. The way she looked at him gradually changed. Ji Feichen stood in the moonlight, accepting everyone's astonished and admiring gazes. Everyone still remembered that defeating the painted skin ghost at the inn had triggered Ji Feichen's heart-locking curse. Now, he seemed even more powerful than before, his aura so strong that even Shi Yin and Feng Jiaoqing found it unusual. Before they could speak, a scream suddenly came. Have we landed yet? Everyone saw Shen Wanqing clinging tightly to Ji Feichen's leg, trembling all over, not even daring to open her eyes. They were instantly speechless. Also, because of Shen Wanqing's actions, the imposing aura around Ji Feichen was no longer as sharp as before, but rather much gentler. After waiting for a long time without a response, Shun Wanqing finally mustered the courage to open her eyes. Seeing the male and female leads looking at her with meaningful expressions, she felt a bit embarrassed. Sorry, I'm afraid of heights. Seeing Shun Wanqing still huddled up, clinging tightly to his leg and refusing to let go, Ji Feichen's face was full of disgust. It's over. Only then did Shun Wanqing cautiously release her grip. She looked at Zheng Ziyun, who was staring at Ji Feichen with fervent eyes, then at the worried Feng Jiaoqing, the still wary Shi Wuyan, and the half-dead, blood-spitting, painted-skinned ghost lying on the ground. It seemed this battle was truly over. Thank goodness, it wasn't Ji Feichen who performed the heroic rescue. She immediately turned around, intending to help her mission target up, only to find that Zheng Ziyun's eyes held even deeper hostility towards her. Shun Wanqing was completely confused. At this moment, the painted-skinned ghost, who was on the verge of death, suddenly laughed, staring fixedly at Xiao Yuan. I know who you are. Hearing these words, Xiao Yuan's eyes instantly darkened with a silent threat. Seeing its impending death, the painted-skinned ghost was no longer afraid. Since it was going to die, it might as well take someone down with it. People of the Twin Heavens Pavilion, you dare to be with him. Do you know who he is? The painted-skinned ghost's words instantly aroused Shi Wuyan's killing intent, and Shun Wanqing inwardly cried out, this is bad. When Shi Wuyan had fought the painted-skinned ghost earlier, he hadn't concealed his demonic energy at all. The painted-skinned ghost had most likely guessed his identity. But at this point in the timeline, she absolutely couldn't let Shi Wuyan's identity be exposed in front of the protagonists. Just as Shun Wanqing was rapidly brainstorming countermeasures, Ji Feichen had already drawn his sword and stepped forward, coldly saying, how dare you spout such nonsense? The painted-skinned ghost trembled, waving a hand. I'm not lying. Come closer, and I'll tell you the true identity of the person beside you. Shun Wanqing knew perfectly well that Xiao Yuan couldn't kill the painted-skinned ghost in this situation, so only she could help him keep this secret. Shun Wanqing stroked the green sword in her hand. Then she sliced a cut into her wrist. The pain made her cry out involuntarily. This cry interrupted the painted-skinned ghost conversation with Ji Feichen. Shun Wanqing closed her eyes and, relying on the memories in her mind, manipulated her spiritual power. A wisp of flame rose from the wound on her hand. That power shot straight towards the painted-skinned ghost, preventing it from making any further sound. Its entire body was burned by the flames, leaving only a shrill scream. Ji Feichen sensed something was wrong. Wanqing's power was out of control. He wanted to rush over to help, but couldn't get close. No matter how he called out, Shun Wanqing didn't respond. She only felt a heart-wrenching, lung-searing pain. Her consciousness gradually left her body, drifting towards a gentle, ethereal place. Countless images flashed before her eyes, many faceless figures surrounding her, and then it all shattered. Shun Wanqing saw the painted-skinned ghost standing not far away and suddenly understood. If she used this power to touch someone, when the spiritual power fluctuated to a certain extent, she could see their consciousness and memories. Shun Wanqing felt like she was going crazy, but she didn't know how to get out. Blazing flames enveloped her entire body, as if trying to devour her consciousness. At the moment of deepest despair, a surge of spiritual power suddenly poured in, pulling her out of the pain. At the same time, the surrounding scene changed again. A beautiful woman appeared before her, leading a boy with shackles on his feet. The boy was covered in blood and looked only 7 or 8 years old, with black hair and red eyes, his clothes ragged. But the expression on his face was unusually calm, as if indifferent to life and death, like a piece of wood without a soul. Shun Wanqing was stunned. Whose memory was this? When Shun Wanqing opened her eyes again, she was already lying in the warm bed of the inn. If it weren't for the unscrupulous system suddenly issuing the hidden task Shi Wuyan's past and reminding her to hurry up and advance the task progress to fill in the blanks of the novel, she wouldn't have woken up so quickly. Recalling what had happened back then, Shun Wanqing gradually understood that the memory of that 7 or 8-year-old boy was indeed Shi Wuyan's. Shun Wanqing couldn't help but curse inwardly. This broken system, Even when its workers are on their deathbeds sucking oxygen, it still urges them to work. Truly a typical black-hearted capitalist. Seeing that Shun Wanqing had woken up, Ji Feichen, who was guarding the bedside, hurriedly stepped forward to help her sit up with concern. Wanqing, be careful, don't rush. The painted skin ghost has been eliminated. You're seriously injured and need to rest for a few more days before you can get out of bed. Shun Wanqing tried to calm herself and asked Ji Feichen what had happened to her. Ji Feichen replied gently, I wanted to ask you that. What did you learn that lost art? Shun Wanqing shook her head. I don't know either. I just discovered I had this ability when I was attacked by the painted skin ghost. Ji Feichen wasn't surprised that she couldn't remember. After a few seconds of silence, he cautioned, it might be related to your background, but if outsiders or the elders of those families find out you have this power, they will never let you go easily. Don't think about these things for now. You just need to rest well. Don't tell anyone about this. I'll remind Ziyun and Zhaoqing not to speak carelessly. Until we find out the reason, you must also promise me that you won't use that power again unless absolutely necessary. Shun Wanqing nodded obediently, feeling warmth in her heart. This male lead truly was the best brother who doted on his sister. After his admonishment, Ji Feichen was about to get up and leave, but Shun Wanqing tugged on his sleeve. Wait, Brother Feichen, I haven't been sleeping well lately because of the painted skin ghost incident. I even had a nightmare when I was unconscious. I want to hear you talk about the sealed demon lord. Ji Feichen glanced at her, seemingly a bit helpless, but still reluctantly sat down by the bed. You're interested in the demon lord. Shun Wanqing gave a sheepish smile. Every time the elders mention the demon lord, they look as if they're facing a formidable enemy. Is he really that terrifying? It would be great if everyone could live together peacefully. But Ji Feichen was firm. Impossible. Shun Wanqing pressed. Why? Ji Feichen's expression turned serious. The demon lord is not an ordinary demonic cultivator. He's the son of a heavenly Dao Palace cultivator and a demonic cultivator. His background is extremely complicated. The heavenly Dao Palace practically raised him as one of their own, hoping to erase the demonic nature from his bloodline. They never expected it would be like inviting a wolf into the sheepfold. Even as a child, he couldn't control the violent energy within him. At a young age, he completely annihilated a branch of the heavenly Dao Palace. After hearing the whole story, Shun Wanqing couldn't help but recall the images she had seen. She hesitated for a moment, then asked again, is this true? Ji Feichen stroked her hair and said, Wanqing, I know you're kind-hearted, but neither the human realm nor the demon realm can accommodate someone like him. If I hadn't sealed him, it would have led to utter destruction. After Ji Feichen left, the images Shun Wanqing had seen kept replaying in her mind. Those people dressed in fine clothes, coldly watching him being thrown into the furnace, forced to participate in endless bloody battles. They were all disciples of the heavenly Dao Palace. Those circulating rumors were nothing more than stories they wanted the world to believe. But the memories I witnessed firsthand, my divine sense wouldn't lie. This means those people weren't righteous gentlemen at all. They intended to push Xiao Yuan to his doom from the very beginning. Those self-proclaimed righteous figures used the cruelest methods to force his rapid growth, control him, and make him personally purge the demonic blood from his veins. In the end, they even forced him to forge a sword with his own body. Sure, Wu Yin didn't actually want to become a demon lord who destroyed everything, but he also didn't have the power to become the person he wanted to be. He was forced into becoming the so-called villain. It's just so unfair. Xiao Yuan has saved me twice now, which is enough to prove that the rumors outside are complete nonsense. Shun Wanqing decided to find Xiao Yuan, but as soon as she opened the door, she bumped into Shuang Miao. Shuang Miao rubbed its head against her and meowed aggrievedly. I told you you're hard to kill. Sure, Wu Yin saved your life. How could you die so easily? Shun Wanqing softened and asked, why are you here? Shuang Miao crossed its wings and said arrogantly, I'm a divine beast. I can go wherever I want. Do I need your permission? Shun Wanqing glared at it threateningly. Oh, haven't disciplined you for a few days and you're getting cocky. Shuang Miao immediately cowered. All right. I actually heard you woke up and came to see you. Shun Wanqing felt secretly happy, a little embarrassed, and also expectant. She asked Shuang Miao about Shi Wu Yin's whereabouts. Shuang Miao put on an arrogant air again. His Highness's matters have nothing to do with you. At this moment, a gust of wind carrying the scent of blood blew in. Shen Wanqing looked up and saw Shi Wuyin covered in blood, still with a lazy demeanor. He asked, "Something you need?" His tone was indifferent. "Nothing important." Shi Wuyin suddenly approached, looking at Shen Wanqing with cold eyes. "You were unconscious for so long. Aren't you curious about what I've been doing this whole time?" Shen Wanqing was momentarily speechless. Seeing you covered in blood, could it be anything good? But Shen Wanqing wasn't a righteous person either, so she played along with his words. "What has young Master Shi been busy with lately?" Shi Wuyin rolled up his sleeves, a hint of coldness in his voice. "Killing people, also killing demons. Killing those who know too much." Shen Wanqing's heart tightened as she cursed herself inwardly for speaking. "Isn't this a threat to me? I know too much now. Is he going to silence me?" Shen Wanqing forced a smile, trying to lighten the mood. "Is it too late to take back my question?" Shi Wuyin was amused by her and said lightly, "It would be a pity to kill such an expressive girl like you." Then he added a serious threat, "I'm not threatening you." But that painted skin ghost reminded me. After escaping the seal, quite a few demons gathered near Shuangtian Peak. They want to share my power. To warn them not to speak carelessly, I paid them a special visit. Shen Wanqing was speechless. The demon lord probably really did interrogate those demons about their 18 generations of ancestors and actually went demon slaying. To prevent the demon lord from asking any more life-threatening questions, Shen Wanqing decided to take the initiative. Her gaze fell on Shi Wuyin's bandaged arm, and she asked deliberately, "How did you get injured?" Shi Wuyin glanced at his right hand, raised an eyebrow, and didn't answer. Shen Wanqing feigned a look of concern. "What kind of demon could actually injure you?" "That's outrageous." Shi Wuyin pointed at her. "You." Shen Wanqing calmly took a step back upon hearing this. "Oh, then never mind. Young Master Shi should rest early." Only then did she suddenly realize something was amiss. When did I injure Shi Wuyin? Could it be when my divine sense left my body, and when it was scorched by the flames to its limit, I accidentally touched that spiritual power? Thinking of this, Shen Wanqing felt a sudden touch of emotion. This demon lord always saves me at critical moments. Shen Wanqing reached out and held Shi Wuyin's right hand, looking at him sincerely. "Does it hurt?" Shi Wuyin was stunned by her tone. This was the first person who cared whether he was in pain. His hand, which he had been about to withdraw, froze in midair. Just then, Zhang Ziyun stormed over. "Shen Wanqing, Brother Ji is asking if you want to come downstairs for something to eat." Their posture was already ambiguous enough, and now, with another pair of eyes watching, the atmosphere became even more awkward. Shen Wanqing quickly released her hand, took 2 steps back, and forced a smile. What a coincidence! Seeing this scene, Zhang Ziyun glared angrily at Shen Wanqing and turned to leave. Shen Wanqing, afraid that she would misunderstand again and run off to tell the male and female lead something or other, hurriedly chased after her. "Wait a minute, Zhang Ziyun." Zhang Ziyun stopped and said haughtily, "Let's have a fair competition." Shen Wanqing was stunned by these words. After a moment of thought, she replied, "You've misunderstood. I don't like Ji Feichen." Zhang Ziyun snorted coldly. "I'm talking about young Master Yi. Since you've already been rejected by him, let's have a fair competition." Shen Wanqing was speechless. Hadn't Zhang Ziyun always liked Ji Feichen? How had her target changed so quickly? Was the only way to repay being rescued to offer oneself up as a reward? She looked seriously into Zhang Ziyun's eyes. After a moment, confirming that the other party wasn't joking, Shen Wanqing sighed heavily, put her hand on Zhang Ziyun's shoulder, and kindly advised, "Give up." Zhang Ziyun didn't understand Shen Wanqing's good intentions, and angrily scolded, "Don't you dare stop me." Shen Wanqing quickly shook her head. "No, why would you think that? I mean, Shi Wuyin isn't someone you can approach." Hearing this, Zhang Ziyun gritted her teeth. "Are you threatening me?" Shen Wanqing hurriedly explained, "No, it's just that his identity isn't something I can reveal." Shen Wanqing's attitude only further provoked Zhang Ziyun. She shook off Shen Wanqing's hand, refusing to be persuaded. Then, "I won't give up. And let me tell you, someone as unscrupulous as you, even if you pester young Master Shi, he won't like you." With that, she turned and left. Watching Zhang Ziyun's retreating figure, Shen Wanqing sighed. "Why am I so miserable?" Shen Wanqing awkwardly stretched out her hand, feeling a strange sense of déjà vu. She recalled the time she had clung to Zhang Ziyu's leg, begging her to give up sooner. "He's not someone you can approach." She held her head and sighed. At this moment, Ji Feichen walked over and asked, "Wanqing, why are you standing here in a daze?" Shen Wanqing turned her head blankly. A while later, the two were sitting at a table laden with steaming dishes, a balanced mix of meat and vegetables. Shen Wanqing took the rice bowl Ji Feichen handed her. He said apologetically, "Wanqing, I've really put you through a lot. You've lost weight these past few days." Shen Wanqing was somewhat touched. Actually, since leaving the sect, she had gained 4 or 5 pounds and almost couldn't fit into her dresses anymore. Perhaps only true family would notice if you'd lost weight. Ji Feichen picked up a piece of delicious fish and put it in her bowl. "You've worked hard. Eat more." She politely picked up a piece of fish and gave it to Ji Feichen. "Big brother, you've worked harder. You eat more." The atmosphere between them was warm and gentle. Shi Wuyan glanced at the scene in the dining room, watching as Ji Feichen gently wiped a grain of rice from the corner of Shen Wanqing's mouth. The walnut in his hand instantly crumbled into pieces. The killing intent radiating from him frightened even his spirit beast, causing its eyes to widen. Late at night, in her room, Shen Wanqing, full and satisfied, sprawled on the bed, unable to eat another bite. She happily opened a novel, thinking that being able to read after a good meal was truly a wonderful life. An hour later, someone entered Shen Wanqing's room. It was Shi Wuyan. He walked to the bedside and gazed at her. Shen Wanqing had fallen asleep, the novel covering her face. Shi Wuyan gently picked up the book and looked at it with a puzzled expression. What kind of trashy book was this? A moment later, the book vanished into thin air. He sat on the edge of the bed, gazing at her face. Shen Wanqing slept soundly, her cheeks slightly flushed. Suddenly, she frowned. So hot. She subconsciously reached out and lightly touched Shi Wuyan's ice-cold hand. That light touch startled him. Feeling the coolness beside her, Shen Wanqing immediately snuggled closer, resting her head on his leg, sleeping soundly with a contented smile on her face. So comfortable. Shi Wuyan watched Shen Wanqing's unconscious actions, thinking that this night was inexplicably irritating. With this thought, the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. He extended his hand, gathering a wave of cold energy, and slowly infused it into Shen Wanqing's body. After transferring the energy, he withdrew his hand from her side. His hand gently reached out to her face, brushing aside her bangs. Shi Wuyan sleepily wrapped his arms around himself, letting the person in front of him rest their head on his lap and drift off to sleep. He looked out the window at the moon veiled by thin clouds, recalling the past. It was the same moonlight. He didn't know how many times he'd seen it. Just like when he was young and locked in the Heavenly Dao Palace dungeon, trapped in a filthy cell, with no birdsong and unable to clearly see the moon and clouds. I am a hound who murdered fellow disciples, a villain beyond redemption. Young Shi Wuyan, in order to escape, set fire to the sect just to flee the dark dungeon. But even after escaping, there was no place for him in the world. Covered in wounds, neither the righteous path nor the demonic path would accept him. Forced into a corner, he could only make a difficult choice. If this world gives me no choice, then I will carve out my own piece of the sky. Even after becoming the demon lord, looking down upon all, only the divine bird accompanied him. Everyone feared him. I lived in solitude, but also in peace. But after I don't know how many years of this, I suddenly realized, how is this way of living any different from being dead? Shen Wanqing's movements interrupted his reminiscing. She pillowed on his leg, sneezed from the cold, turned over, and continued to sleep. He looked at the young woman before him, complex emotions flashing in his eyes. His hand touched Shen Wanqing's tangled hair, and she immediately nuzzled her head into his palm, causing him to smile involuntarily. To be able to sleep so soundly beside me. It seems I am just an ordinary person after all. Time slowly passed. The next morning, Shen Wanqing woke up, stretching her body. She hadn't slept so soundly in a long time, waking up naturally, feeling refreshed all over. She reached out, but her movement suddenly froze. Shen Wanqing glanced towards the bedside. Shi Wuyan was dozing beside her. Her eyes widened in shock. Did I see a ghost? She hugged her pillow, panic rising in her heart. The comfortable pillow she hugged in her dream last night was actually the demon lord himself. I actually used this ancestor as a human-shaped pillow all night. I'm really tired of living. Shen Wanqing reached out and poked him. Still alive, still alive. Shi Wuyan opened his eyes, staring intently at Shen Wanqing's actions, causing her to shyly withdraw her hand. She offered him a blanket. She offered him a conciliatory smile. Lord Demon Lord, please raise your head a bit and cover yourself with the blanket. Be careful of stiff necks and catching a cold. Shi Wuyin said coldly. I think you're acting even less like a normal person than I am. She didn't say anything, just retreated to the side. One side of her robe slipped, revealing her fair shoulder. She quickly pulled her clothes back up. Shun Wanqing's cheeks flushed. She asked in a small voice, Big brother, could you excuse yourself for a moment? I want to change my clothes. Shi Wuyin closed his eyes. I can't see anything with my eyes closed. Shun Wanqing sighed helplessly, feeling like she wasn't even considered a person. At this moment, someone called from outside the door. Wanqing, are you awake? Can I come in? She looked around frantically. Shi Wuyin remained with his eyes closed, seemingly indifferent to the world. Almost ready. She hurriedly pushed the male lead behind the curtain. Ji Feichen pushed the door open and asked, How did you sleep last night? She stood in front of the curtain, gripping it tightly, forcing a smile. Ji Feichen asked with concern, Wanqing, did you sleep well last night? She sat on the edge of the bed and replied awkwardly, very well. Shun Wanqing's face darkened, silently praying, Please, great demon lord, just behave yourself and don't cause trouble in bed. Shi Wuyin on the bed casually turned over, completely ignoring her predicament. Hearing the movement, Shun Wanqing gritted her teeth in anger, wanting to strangle him. Ji Feichen tilted his head curiously towards the bed. What was that just now? She was so anxious that she was sweating, quickly changing the subject. All right, Feichen, what brings you here? He replied, We've been here too long. Seeing that your injuries aren't serious anymore, we're preparing to leave tonight. Pack your things well. Don't leave anything behind. Shun Wanqing felt a surge of joy upon hearing this. Okay, I'll go pack right away. Ji Feichen finished his instructions and turned to leave the room. I'll go inform Yao Qing and Ziyu. After he left, Shun Wanqing let out a long sigh of relief. Thinking of the person on the bed, she turned around angrily and pulled open the curtain. Inside, Shi Wuyin was leisurely leaning back and reading a book. In his hands was the very novel Shun Wanqing had seen yesterday. It was the book that had shocked Shun Wanqing so much. Shi Wuyin read aloud from the book. The master forcibly imprisoned the female disciple in the dungeon for 3 days and 3 nights. Her face flushed crimson. Stop reading that out loud, she shouted, then pounced onto the bed, trying to snatch the book back. Shi Wuyin deliberately held the book high, forcing the barely 3-foot-tall Shun Wanqing to stand on tiptoe to reach it. Zhang Ziyan walked in from outside and asked loudly, Shun Wanqing, do you know where young master Yu went? I just came to give him something. Shun Wanqing, seeing someone else enter the room, panicked. Oh no! She bumped straight into Ji Wuyuan's arms, and he caught her. He waved his hand, casting a spell, and the curtains slowly fell. Zhang Ziyan, seeing no one in the room, walked towards the bed. Wanqing, are you still asleep? As Zhang Ziyan drew closer, her heart raced. She prayed silently, Please don't come over. If I'm discovered, I'll never be able to explain myself. The curtain was pulled back. Shun Wanqing squeezed her eyes shut in fright, clinging tightly to Wu Yuan. Zhang Ziyan froze. The bed was empty. No one was in the room. Shi Wuyin pulled Shun Wanqing's head into his chest and lightly touched his finger to her lips, signaling her to be quiet. Wanqing rejoiced inwardly. Is this an invisibility spell? Seeing no one, Zhang Ziyan left, puzzled. Shun Wanqing finally breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you. Ji Wuyuan stroked her hair. You're welcome. How do you plan to thank me? She frowned and fell silent, clenching her fists in annoyance. Enough. How can you take advantage of every opportunity? Fang Jiaoqing, not yet fully recovered, was helped out the door by Ji Feichen. I'm sorry, I was attacked by a black crow earlier and suffered some injuries, which delayed our departure. Shun Wanqing said politely, It's all right, Sister Fang. You should rest in the carriage. Big brother, and I will handle things outside. Hearing this, Shi Wuyin's face darkened. He pushed her directly into the carriage. You go inside. Big brother, and I will drive. Wanqing's cheeks flushed slightly, and she gave a soft laugh. The carriages traveled until late at night, when they suddenly stopped. The air was thick with the smell of blood. Shi Wuyin and Ji Feichen, driving outside, immediately became alert. The smell of blood. Wuyin looked up and faintly heard the sound of horns and drums coming from the forest. A bright red wedding procession slowly appeared, yet everyone in the procession looked solemn, with no sign of joy. What's going on? Zhang Ziyan curiously poked her head out. Whose wedding is it in the middle of the night? Ji Feichen gestured for her to be quiet as the two carriages passed each other. Shen Wanqing lifted the curtain and looked out, her brow furrowed. Inside the bride's carriage, she could vaguely see the bride's pained expression. She seemed to be forced. She was weeping miserably. Ji Feichen, always chivalrous, stepped forward to stop the procession. "Hold on. Excuse me for interrupting, but what are you doing in the middle of the night?" The leader of the procession frowned. "Mind your own business." Hearing this tone, Shen Wanqing immediately became interested. This atmosphere, it's definitely a hidden quest. Just then, two elderly people in the procession knelt on the ground, pleading with Ji Feichen, "Young hero, please save our daughter." Seeing them kneel, Ji Feichen quickly helped them up. "Please get up. Tell me what's wrong." The bride's mother refused to get up, weeping even harder. "You don't understand. We're not celebrating a wedding. We're sacrificing her to a demon." Wanqing frowned. "A sacrifice?" The woman choked back sobs as she recounted the events of 3 years ago. "Our village suffered a severe drought 3 years ago. Then, something calling itself a mountain god suddenly appeared and brought down heavy rain, ending the drought. The village chief built a mountain god temple in the purple bamboo forest and went there every day to burn incense and pray for promotion, wealth, and longevity. One day, the mountain god suddenly spoke. At this point, she cried even harder. This time, he demanded that we offer a beautiful young woman as a sacrifice every month. If we do as he says, we'll get everything we desire. Otherwise, Shen Wanqing listened, bored, resting her chin on her hand. It's obvious that thing isn't a real mountain god. It's most likely a demon playing tricks. The bride's parents continued. At first, no one was willing, but the village chief thought it was a good thing. He didn't have a daughter, so it didn't concern him. He forced us to choose someone to send to the mountain god temple every month. The so-called blessings of the mountain god, most of the benefits went to the village chief. Our lives haven't improved. Ji Feichen was filled with righteous indignation. That's outrageous. Don't worry, I'll definitely help you get rid of this demon. The bride's father couldn't help but shed tears. Immortal Master, you don't understand. This mountain god is elusive. 10 Taoist priests have come before, and they were all killed before they could find him. Ji Feichen was momentarily speechless. Shuyen spoke up, "In that case, to lure out the demon, I'm afraid we'll have to use the sacrifice as bait." Yifeichen pondered. Ordinary people couldn't be used as bait, and Feng Jiaoqing hadn't woken up yet. Shen Wanqing noticed Zhang Ziyun eavesdropping sneakily nearby. She thought to herself, with Zhang Ziyun's impulsive nature, she'd probably jump into the demon's mouth before it even made a move. If that were the case, then she could only. Before her thoughts were complete, she noticed her senior brother and Shi Wuyin standing outside, staring at her. She coughed awkwardly a few times and said, "Let me do it this time. I'm the best at being bait, but I have to say something first." She turned to the bride's parents and said decisively, "If you encounter something like this again, and you really can't deal with the demon, kill the village chief first." Ji Feichen was startled by her tone. Shi Wuyin, however, found it rather amusing. He thought, this girl is quite interesting. Shen Wanqing was led to the bridal chamber. She gently stroked the exquisite wedding dress and phoenix crown on the table. The bride's mother from earlier entered the room carrying a tray of food. "Benefactor, please have something to eat." Shen Wanqing turned and saw pastries and a cup of tea also prepared on the tray. The woman placed the tray on the table and gently combed Wanqing's hair. "Thank you for saving my daughter. If we can truly get rid of the demon on the mountain, I'm willing to be your ox or horse." Shen Wanqing smiled and replied, "Madam, you're too kind. This is the duty of a demon slayer. You don't need to be so formal." After the woman finished combing her hair, she turned slightly and said, "I can change my clothes myself. You don't need to worry." The old woman smiled and handed her a cup of hot tea. "The purple bamboo forest is cold, and the journey is long. Benefactor, please have some hot tea to warm yourself." She took the hot tea from the old woman, took a sip, and thanked her, "Thank you." The old woman quietly left after seeing her finish the tea. Shen Wanqing closed the door, and the room suddenly became exceptionally quiet. She frowned, a puzzled look on her face. Something's not right. She touched her neck, then immediately covered her mouth to stop a cough. Her hand was stained with blood. Very wrong. Logically, the monthly mountain god sacrifice should be extremely important, but the village chief, the one in charge, hasn't appeared for such an important event. She lowered her head in thought. The more she thought, the more she felt something was amiss. and the bridal sedan chair was stopped halfway, causing such a commotion. Yet the villagers calmly brought me home to change the sacrificial offering. Aren't they afraid of being discovered by the village chief or the mountain god? Gently smoothing her hair, Wan Qing continued to ponder. This overly exquisite wedding dress and this elaborate makeup, it can't be without purpose, right? The only explanation is, thinking of this, her pupils constricted, and she realized with horror, they're not treating me as bait to lure the mountain god, but as the actual sacrifice. After changing her clothes, she opened the door and walked out. These villagers are definitely not to be trusted. Rather than confronting these villagers whose intentions were unclear, it was better to pretend to comply for now and meet up with Feichen and the others later. The two sedan chair bearers were already waiting at the door. Wan Qing boarded the sedan chair, and the procession set off again. The sounds of Suona and drums echoed continuously in the night. Inside the sedan chair, Shan Wan Qing gradually felt a sense of dread. She sat with her arms wrapped around herself, the chill seeping into her bones. The deeper they went into the bamboo forest, the colder the air became. Shan Wan Qing shivered, hugging her shoulders tightly. So cold. The sedan chair bearer outside shouted, "Miss, we've arrived. When the sedan chair stops, I'll help you down. Once you reach the temple, you'll have to go in yourself, kneel on the cushion, and wait for a while. The mountain god will appear naturally." Shen Wanqing got out of the sedan chair. The old woman led her to the front of a magnificent temple and softly said, "Miss, I can only see you this far." She turned and called out to the old woman, "Wait." Shen Wanqing reached out and hugged the old woman. "Thank you for escorting me here." While they embraced, she took the opportunity to stick a voice transmission talisman onto the old woman. Under the blood-red moonlight, the temple doors slowly opened. Shen Wanqing's face was filled with fear. Inside the mountain god's temple, corpses were piled up like mountains, stained with blood. Some of the bodies had already turned into skeletons, making the scene even more eerie and terrifying. Shen Wanqing's expression remained unchanged as she raised her hand and removed the golden hairpin from her hair. Something was wrong. So many corpses, yet the villagers hadn't mentioned a word. She gripped the hairpin tightly, trying to stay calm. She walked to the mat. The old woman said, "You have to kneel and wait." Shen Wanqing took out a talisman and asked, "Can the ritual begin now?" The talisman in her hand was connected to the one on the old woman's back. A voice echoed, "Taking 5 fools to their deaths. The mountain god will surely reward us." A villager asked worriedly, "But I heard the townspeople say that the cultivators who came this time seem to have some background." The old woman gave a sinister smile to the two. "Don't worry, I saw these fools drink our concoction with my own eyes. Their cultivation must be affected." Shen Wanqing raised an eyebrow, listening intently to their conversation. How could something sent by the mountain god be problematic? Suddenly, the voice from the talisman was cut off. "Help!" She was startled, a flicker of worry crossing her face. What's going on? Could the talisman have been discovered? Shen Wanqing glanced back at the blood-stained carpet she was sitting on, thinking, it seems quite a few cultivators have been tricked here by the villagers. According to the ritual process, they lure the demon out and then brutally kill it. She walked quickly towards the door, speculating. Although these people are liars, they're right about one thing. According to them, this method can indeed draw the demon out. I have to find a way to meet up with Ji Feichen and Shi Wuyan, and then figure out how to deal with the demon. And these villagers. She pushed hard on the door, trying to rush out, but it wouldn't budge. Panicked, she gripped her hairpin. This shouldn't be happening. How could only a few cultivators have gotten in? Even if the villagers locked the door, I should be able to break it open. Could it be? A rough hand suddenly reached out from behind her. Shen Wanqing also detected an unusual aura, demonic energy. She tightly gripped her hairpin. The mountain demon behind her laughed loudly, squeezing her shoulder tightly. "These fools have brought me such good offerings." He leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Little girl, you're quite clever, but being too clever isn't always a good thing." Shen Wanqing felt the demon's hand wrap around her waist, a wave of disgust washing over her. "Damn it, this demon dares to take advantage of me." She stood there, anxiously thinking. Strange. With such a strong demonic aura, Ji Feichen couldn't have missed it. Could they really have fallen for the trap? Her face paled, and she steeled her resolve. "Forget it. It's better to rely on myself." Shen Wanqing was about to stab the hairpin into her hand, utilizing her special constitution, when a voice suddenly broke the tense atmosphere. To be honest, she was quite surprised. Looking back, she saw Shi Wuyin sitting on a pillar, looking down at her. That wedding dress doesn't suit you. It's truly ugly. The demon seized the opportunity to tighten his grip on her neck. Shi Wuyin flicked out a hidden weapon, hitting the demon's hand, causing him to release Shun Wanqing in pain. Shi Wuyin withdrew his spiritual power and sneered. There's more where that came from. Shun Wanqing looked up at him and asked awkwardly. So you saw through it all along and played along with them. Shi Wuyin said indifferently, yeah, to see how much you'd embarrass yourselves. She froze, then retorted, I figured it out a long time ago too. Shi Wuyin countered, I figured it out before you. Shun Wanqing frowned. That's different. Shi Wuyin shrugged. Whatever, I still figured it out first. Their bickering enraged the demon, who raised his hand and unleashed a surge of violent demonic energy. What do you mean? Looking down on me. The demonic energy rushed towards Shun Wanqing, causing her to stumble back. She instinctively shielded her face with her hands. Fortunately, a protective barrier appeared, dissipating the demonic energy. Shi Wuyin flew down, catching her around the waist and pulling her back. He teased, have you gained weight? Before Shun Wanqing could react, she stiffly replied, now's not the time for confessions. Thank you. The demon's demonic aura continued to surge, enveloping the entire space. He summoned the resentful spirits of the dead cultivators, reaching out with both hands to pull Shun Wanqing down. Overestimating yourselves, trying to play the hero. You're courting death. Shi Wuyin frowned at the continuously released demonic energy. Shun Wanqing thought nervously, this mountain demon's strength is truly formidable. It seems that over the years, the villagers haven't just been sacrificing ordinary people, they've also been tricking cultivators to their deaths. The demon subtly wrapped demonic energy around her legs, slowly coiling upwards, lifting her into the air. Your turn. The demonic energy swirled, forming a vortex. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, hitting the center of the vortex and shattering the swirling demonic energy. The surrounding boulders exploded. The demon screamed. Ji Feichen casually summoned sword energy, standing calmly amidst the chaos. He then sheathed his sword. The matter was resolved. Shun Wanqing watched everything unfold, secretly impressed. To reach this level, he's considered a powerful demon. But compared to the demon lord, he's still far off. The remaining wisps of the small demon fled swiftly, scurrying behind the temple in a panicked escape. Shun Wanqing frowned, watching the direction it fled. It was toward the village. She turned and chased after it, running out of the temple. Her face was pale, and she was filled with terror. Outside the temple, the villagers' corpses lay scattered on the ground. Her heart sank. No wonder the communication talisman suddenly went silent. They were all dead. Who killed them? Shi Wuyin calmly replied, me. His tone was calm. Although I also wanted to see how cruel humans can be, I don't like being manipulated. Sweat beaded on her forehead. All right. She patted Shi Wuyin's shoulder in what could be considered comfort. Thank you for your hard work. Shun Wanqing quickly ran past the pile of corpses. Shi Wuyin watched her retreating figure and sighed. She really was like a rabbit. The two ran for a while in the forest when they suddenly heard a strange noise. Wanqing looked back, wondering if it was Ji Feichen. The person who appeared was the old woman who had brought her there earlier. The old woman clutched her skirt tightly, her face full of terror as she pleaded, heroine, save me, save me. Shun Wanqing took a step back, sneering inwardly. Wasn't this the old woman who had drugged her? Now, having fallen into the demon lord's hands, she looked like a fish out of water. She pointed to Shi Wuyin, who was standing behind her. The old woman trembled all over, clinging to her and crying, heroine, it's him, he's a demon. He killed everyone. He must be in league with the mountain god witch. Shun Wanqing was speechless. There was actually someone in the world more shameless than her, and the old woman put on quite a show. She turned to look at Shi Wuyin, who also sighed helplessly. Someone called out from the bamboo forest, Wanqing, senior brother, where are you? Shun Wanqing thought it was Ji Feichen. She gripped her hairpin and decisively stabbed it into the neck of the old woman kneeling in front of her. Blood gushed out, and the old woman collapsed, silent. Shun Wanqing wiped the blood from her face and said calmly, what a coincidence. I also don't like being manipulated. Shi Wuyin didn't speak, only watched her quietly. The calls from the bamboo forest still echoed. Senior brother, Wanqing. Shi Wuyin calmly asked, are you helping me? Shun Wanqing didn't speak, but turned back and made a silencing gesture. She looked at the old woman's corpse, lost in thought. In this world, killing wasn't a big deal. The key was Ji Feichen and Fang Jiaoqing's temperaments. Even if they knew they had been set up by the villagers, they wouldn't resort to such ruthless methods. If the old woman were allowed to speak, Shi Wuyan would be framed by her, and the two would definitely suspect his identity. True or false, this person couldn't be left alive. She turned to Shi Wuyan with an ingratiating smile. You saved me, and this old woman wanted to harm me. I'm just helping someone who's willing to help me. There's nothing wrong with that, right? A smile played on Shi Wuyan's lips. That's right, nothing wrong at all. Seeing that he didn't object, Shen Wanqing nudged him with her elbow and whispered, You killed one, and I killed one. Why don't we keep this secret together? How about it? Shi Wuyan chuckled, wondering if this person was clever or naive. Shen Wanqing lifted her skirt and moved closer to him, pointing at her face and asking, Is there still blood on my face? If so, point it out to me. Otherwise, it's too unsightly. Shi Wuyan casually pointed at several spots on her face, making her flustered. Here, it's everywhere. She obediently wiped the blood from her face, then turned back and pointed at her face again. How about now? The corners of Shi Wuyan's mouth turned up slightly. Not bad. You wiped it very evenly. Seeing his expression, Shen Wanqing was so angry she couldn't speak and could only glare at him. You're so annoying. At the entrance of the village, a group of villagers were gathered in a circle holding hoes. Shen Wanqing looked towards the crowd. Standing in the middle was Ji Feichen. He could barely stand, supporting himself with his sword, and was carefully searching with a compass in his hand. Brother, Ji Feichen's sword-holding hand was covered in blood. Shen Wanqing pushed through the crowd and rushed up to him. What happened? Logically, even if Ji Feichen was injured, with his cultivation, dealing with the mountain demons shouldn't be this difficult. She sat down and held his shoulder, anxiously asking, Brother, are you all right? Ji Feichen grabbed her, his voice gradually steadying. Wanqing. He hugged Shen Wanqing, relieved. It's good that you're all right. Shi Wuyan stood outside the crowd, his face darkening at the sight. Shen Wanqing also noticed his gaze. This was clearly a perfectly innocent display of camaraderie. But why did she feel guilty under his stare? At this moment, the villagers saw that Shen Wanqing was still alive and began to whisper amongst themselves. The tribute team hasn't returned yet. This person must have angered the mountain god. These damned cultivators, they deserve to be chopped into 10,000 pieces. It's good that they're dead. Ji Feichen heard these whispers, his grip tightening on his sword, his face filled with anger. Wang Xian worriedly touched his shoulder and asked, Wait, Brother Ji, where's Sister Fang? Ye feichen escampas span continuously. Shen Wanqing advanced in the direction the compass pointed. It was the direction of her system, which was also issuing a warning. The female lead's life is in danger. Seeing the urgency of the situation, Wang Xian became even more anxious. That's Sister Fang's direction. Ji Feichen staggered to his feet and pushed her into the house. Be careful. The villagers, seeing him rise, began to stir. He's going back. Don't let him go. Don't let him go. Without the mountain god, our whole village is doomed. Ji Feichen's face darkened. You know that's not a mountain god, but a blood-sucking monster. An ignorant old woman in the village said, Whether god or monster, 3 years ago, when our villagers starved to death, did you cultivators care about our lives? Ji Feichen raised his sword defensively. You're being unreasonable. The old woman retorted, You're the one being unreasonable. She blocked his path, shouting, You cultivators only think about ascending to immortality. What use are you to us? If you dare take another step forward today, I'll bash my head against a rock and die, letting the world see how you righteous Taoists bully and kill common people. Hearing her words, Ji Feichen stopped in his tracks. The video will pause here. See you in the next episode. While waiting for the news story, please visit the channel to watch other equally exciting stories to pass the time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next video. Thank you, and have a vibrant and enjoyable day. Feichen is caught in a dilemma. The Ji family taught him from a young age to be a righteous man, yet these villagers are dying before his eyes. Just then, a loud crash came from Adao's direction. He looked over anxiously, yelling, Adao. Then he looked worriedly at Wanqing. Can I borrow your sword? She immediately handed him the sword. At that moment, Wan Qing stepped in front of him. "Brother, go save Sister Fong. I'll handle this." He looked at her in surprise. "Wan Qing," she looked at him resolutely. Don't worry. Go." By this time, Fong Jiaoqing was enveloped in golden spiritual energy, struggling in agony. She struggled desperately. Seeing Fei Chen rushing towards her, the villagers frantically tried to stop him. The old woman from before, seeing Wan Qing pointing the sword at her own throat, was terrified. She looked at Wan Qing fearfully. Wang Xin said coldly, "If you bash your head against a rock and don't die, you'll suffer a lot more. Why not just run into my sword? It'll be a quicker death." The old woman shrieked. Sure enough, all cultivators are treacherous villains. You talk about slaying demons and devils, upholding the righteous path, but you don't treat the lives of common people as lives at all, without a shred of compassion. If this gets out, just wait for your retribution. She shouted loudly, every word ringing clear. Shun Wanqing. The old woman paused, stunned. What? Wanqing continued. You want the world to know? Then you should at least remember my name. Maybe others would show you mercy, but I won't. As soon as she finished speaking, she pressed the tip of the sword against the old woman's throat, drawing a line of blood. I'm not a demon-slaying hero, just a spoiled young miss, and my temper isn't very good. I was living a peaceful life until you forced me to be a sacrifice. Now I'm very unhappy, so don't force me to kill you. The old woman was inwardly terrified. This girl really would kill. Wang Xin was filled with disdain. These people spoke high-sounding words, but in reality, they only cared about their own interests. They dared to be so arrogant because they knew Ji Feichen wouldn't harm them. But the more selfish people are, the more they fear death. The old woman finally collapsed to the ground, wailing, "The cultivators are bullying me. Why am I so unfortunate?" Then, Wang Xin decisively sheathed her sword. Shi Huiyin stood behind her, his expression grim. Meanwhile, Fei Chen circulated his spiritual energy with all his might, and a fierce wind howled. The formation was broken, and he gently caught Fong Jiaoqing. Seeing this, Wanqing's heart leaped with joy. It seemed she was saved. Suddenly, a small pebble hit her squarely on the head. Wanqing turned around angrily and saw a little boy hiding behind his parents, looking at her with disdain. He even stuck his tongue out at her. Seeing that it was just a child, she couldn't be bothered. She was too tired. The thought that Ji Feichen and Fong Jiaoqing had risked their lives to save such people made it all seem so worthless. Suddenly, her eyes widened. Shi Huiyin grabbed the little boy by the neck and lifted him high. His parents knelt on the ground, trembling all over. The look in Shi Huiyin's eyes as he stared at the little boy was filled with killing intent. But he quickly released his grip, and the boy's parents hurriedly pulled him into their arms. Shi Huiyin sneered coldly. "Excuse me, I have a bad temper and a worse personality, but I have a good memory. The person who threw the stone just now apologized to her." Shi Huiyin pulled the little boy in front of Wang Xin. The boy trembled all over and said, "Wei Chip, Ly sister, I'm sorry." Wang Xin looked at him in surprise, then laughed happily. Then she walked over haughtily and sat on a nearby rock. Not enough. Kowtow 3 times. Seeing Wang Xin like this, he pouted his lips even more aggrievedly and didn't speak. She kept urging him to kowtow, so he had no choice but to kowtow repeatedly. The child's parents angrily picked him up. "How can you treat a child like this?" "Wan Xin Sna Gon Li. I don't quite understand what you mean. Are you here to line up and kowtow?" She was momentarily speechless, then shouted loudly. Then she stood up and sneered, "Kowtow, slowly. No need to rush over here." Shi Huiyin paced back and forth, brandishing his sharp iron sword. Seeing this, she trembled in fear. Then she and her filial child kowtowed enthusiastically. The people next to them were terrified. "Heaven is going to destroy our village." Wang Xin looked at Shi Huiyin. "Why are you looking at me like I'm the villain?" She snapped her fingers. "Fine, if I'm the villain. Then I'm the villain." She stepped onto a rock. "Listen up, everyone. Today you're not kneeling to me, but to your own consciences. Your lives are lives, but our cultivators' lives not lives. Don't really think that just because you're ordinary people, you can be so rude relying on the kindness of others. Even if you truly repent now." Before she could finish her words, Ji Feichen walked out, holding Fong Jiaoqing in his arms. "Wang Xin, what's going on here?" Wang Xin scratched her head awkwardly and glanced helplessly at Shi Huiyin, who pretended to know nothing. Then she stammered, "They're repenting." He asked in surprise, "Repenting? Why?" Suddenly, Wang Xin explained seriously, "I am persuading them with virtue." Both of them looked at Shi Wuyan tenderly at the same time. Shi Wuyan's face was full of question marks. Huh, what's going on? At this moment, Jiaoqing coughed painfully. Fei Chen said worriedly, Jiaoqing. Then he looked angrily at the surrounding people. How many cultivators have you injured? How many innocents have you harmed? If anything happens to her today. Before he could finish his words, Jiaoqing stepped forward and took his hand. Forget it, Brother Fei Chen. They are all people whose minds have been bewitched by demons. Although hateful, they still have a chance to repent. Wang Xin complained inwardly. What's going on? I can even see the holy light on them. Is this the male lead's power of speech purifying their souls? The male lead is here, so a vicious female supporting character like me shouldn't spoil the atmosphere. I'd better find a place to cool off. Thinking of this, she turned to look at Shi Wuyan. His eyes were full of killing intent, which made Wang Xin panic. Oh no, Shi Wuyan wouldn't have fallen for that kind-hearted Fang Jiaoqing even though she's injured, would he? With me as such an obvious contrast, he wouldn't, right? I absolutely can't let him fall for Fang Jiaoqing. Thinking of this, she walked over and bumped into Shi Wuyan. She pretended to fall so that he would catch her, then complained softly, ouch. Then she looked at the handsome Shi Wuyan with gratitude. Brother Shi, let's go back to the carriage and rest. He looked at her questioningly, sizing up Wang Xin. Wang Xin tugged at his sleeve and acted coquettishly. The carriage is so far away, and it's so dark over there. I even saw that scary mountain demon just now. I'm really scared. Shi Wuyan's face darkened, and his mood plummeted. Did cultivation make you stupid? Shi Wuyan looked at Wang Xin suspiciously. Shin Wang Xin, what are you acting out now? Hearing this, she glared at him. Can I act like a cute little sister? At this moment, Fei Chen helped Jiaoqing walk over and said, Brother Shi, could you take Wang Xin and Xiao Yun back to the carriage first? We'll be there soon. Hearing this, Shi Wuyan turned to look at Wang Xin, then walked over and sat beside Xiao Yun. Shi Wuyan held her hand and channeled his energy to heal her. Not long after, Xiao Yun woke up, coughing and clutching her chest. Seeing that she was awake, Shi Wuyan turned to leave. Let's go. Xiao Yun suddenly called out to him, Wait, Brother Shi. He turned back with a cold face. Xiao Yun activated her green tea mode and said softly, Brother Shi, my legs are weak. Shi Wuyan replied indifferently. Oh. Wang Xin, who was beside them, looked at him helplessly, thinking, this man, he doesn't understand romance at all. A while later, back at the Xuantian Pavilion, Wang Xin lay comfortably on the bed and said happily, It's so nice to be back at Xuantian Pavilion. Ji Fei Chen seemed to have been healing Fang Jiaoqing all night. Without Xiao Yun stirring things up, their relationship has improved quite a bit. I just need to keep an eye on the mission progress. Fei Chen's spiritual power slowly increased as he concentrated on healing Jiaoqing. She comfortably closed her eyes. The task was almost complete, but before she could fall asleep, the system suddenly issued a red alert. Warning, the female supporting character is in mortal danger, which may lead to the collapse of the script. Please be vigilant, host. Wang Xin was startled. What's going on? The system explained that it detected the female supporting character being silenced by a traitor. Wang Xin immediately understood. It must be Zheng Ziyue. She's been pestering the demon lord all day, annoying him. Wang Xin had no choice but to drag her aged body out again. If Zheng Ziyue died, the elders of the Xuantian Pavilion would never let it go. This might affect the main character's storyline, causing the script to collapse. She had to find a way to stop it quickly. A moment later, she gently knocked on the main door. Shi Wuyan quickly came to open the door. A flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes when he saw her. Wrapped in a blanket and clutching a pillow, Wang Xin looked at him sincerely. Shi Wuyan asked, his face full of exasperation, What are you doing? Wan Xin Gudin, Brother Shi, I'm afraid of the dark. Of course I have to sleep with you. He blocked the doorway, impatiently saying, Can you speak like a normal person? Wang Xin squeezed into the room, unconcerned. Don't be shy. It's fine if I just sleep here for one night. She quickly put down her things and cheerfully added, We're all people of the Jianghu. Don't be so formal. Let's sleep together. Shi Wuyan bluntly replied, You're like a monster. Wang Xin completely ignored him and settled herself down. Good night, Brother Shi. Have a good rest tonight. I'll be heartbroken if you don't sleep well. He looked helplessly at this unruly person bustling about on the floor. Then he walked over and poked her curiously. Wang Xin was already sweating. I'm actually in the same room, as the Demon Lord. Even with my thick skin, I can't believe I'll be kicked out. At this moment, he asked with a hint of amusement, "Are you really asleep?" Even though she was asleep, she didn't forget to reply, "Asleep. Asleep." But suddenly, Wang Xian woke up with a start. Her petite body was already being carried out the door by Shi Wuyan. He unceremoniously threw all her belongings and things out, completely shattering her shameless scheme. 5 minutes later, Wang Xian was still stubbornly squatting outside the door, her eyes full of defiance. Humph, this lady isn't that easy to get rid of. But after waiting for a while, there was still no movement inside. General Wang Xian had started to space out. Sleepiness washed over her, and she yawned widely. Just then, Shi Wuyan opened the door and saw his rival sleeping soundly. He looked at her peaceful, sleeping face, thinking, this night patrol is way too unprofessional. It's truly admirable. Wang Xian suddenly slumped against his shoulder. Caught off guard, his body stiffened. Shi Wuyan didn't resist, letting her do as she pleased. He carefully and silently watched Wang Xian as she leaned against him, looking very comfortable. He didn't know why, but he suddenly picked her up and threw her back into the room. Wang Xian hadn't yet reacted, looking around in confusion. After figuring out the situation, she looked at him with adoration, as if saying, "Thank you, you're so kind." Shi Wuyan said coldly, "Don't thank me. I'm just afraid that someone will see and ruin my reputation." Wang Xian's heart nearly exploded with anger, but she could only curse inwardly. "I'm so angry. Who sneaks into my room in the middle of the night? I've only been here one night. Do you have to be so hypocritical?" The light in the room was turned off, and Wang Xian tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Shi Wuyan immediately warned, "Get out if you can't sleep." She didn't dare talk back and quickly replied, I'm asleep, I'm already asleep." But Shi Wuyan couldn't sleep either and could only stare blankly. Drowsiness suddenly came, and Wang Xian started to drift off. Then she heard rustling sounds. She immediately woke up and cautiously looked back at Shi Wuyan. He was sitting on the bed, his expression indifferent. Wang Xian's heart pounded. It's over. He looks like he's about to kill someone. He quickly noticed something was amiss, while she desperately averted her gaze, even breathing, feeling dangerous. Just then, Shi Wuyan reached out and gently pulled her hand away, just like that, quietly gazing at Wang Xian. Wang Xian immediately held her breath, but couldn't help but exhale, then held her breath again, her movements incredibly stiff. After repeating this 5 or 6 times, Shi Wuyan propped his chin up, watching Wang Xian with amusement. She must be terrified right now. Why does he keep staring at me? Wang Xian awkwardly turned over, wanting to check the situation. She felt like her face was being cut by knives. She couldn't stand it anymore. She startled awake, clutching the blanket and staring at him in fright. Shi Wuyan chuckled, dropping his pretense. Wang Xian flusteredly retorted, "I was sleeping soundly. It was your restless hands that woke me up." His expression darkened. He repeated, "Restless hands." As he spoke, Shi Wuyan reached out, wrapped his arms around Wang Xian's waist, and pinned her down, covering her mouth. "Wan Xin Voda." Shi Wuyan smirked. "Understand now. This is what restless hands means." When he released her, Wang Xian stammered, "You." Just then his magical beast flew back. Your Highness, I'm back. I just took a stroll around the back of the Xuantian Pavilion. What a dump. Nothing fun at all, just some low-level beasts. Totally beneath my dignity." The little bird, seeing them, startled and quickly ruffled its feathers before flying off. I just remembered I haven't finished exploring the mountain to the left." "Don't worry, Your Highness, my beak is sealed tighter than a drum." Wang Xian calmly said, "Don't worry, I'll explain everything for you." He asked, puzzled, "Explain what?" She replied frankly, "Explain that you weren't seducing me." "Don't worry, I won't ruin your reputation." Shi Wuyan was taken aback. Who is seducing whom? Whose reputation is being ruined? He stood up, putting a hand to his forehead in exasperation. No one in the world dared to provoke her. Others were terrified of her, yet she was the one truly driving him mad. Seeing him about to leave, Wang Xian quickly grabbed his arm. "Hey, where are you going?" He didn't answer, just stared at her darkly, then pulled down his collar, revealing a red mark. Wang Xian's eyes widened. Shi Wuyan said, "Do you know what this is?" She quickly shook her head. He added, This is something that could kill me. Wansin Sureli Zembet. That's right. The original story mentioned that until Xiao Yuan's curse was completely lifted, he continued to suffer from its lingering effects, which suppressed his power. No wonder. She recalled how he felt to the touch, thinking, no wonder his body temperature had been lower at night these past few days, including just now when she touched him. He was like ice. It seemed this curse acted up every night, which explained why he always slept poorly. Shi Weiyin said darkly, Shun Guanyang, I don't know who put you up to this, but I advise you to stop. Don't provoke me. He pinched Wang Xian's cheek. Do you think I really won't kill you? She calmly replied, I understand. She took a step back and pulled something out of her pocket. Then let me give you a monologue. When you can't sleep, you just can't sleep. But if someone keeps talking, you'll eventually drift off. A flicker of surprise crossed Shi Weiyin's eyes. He couldn't help but wonder why she wasn't afraid, even when he was threatening her. Instead, she was trying to help him sleep. He leaned back on the bed. Go ahead. Wang Xian took a while to choose. This one, she read with enthusiasm, passage after passage. Shi Weiyin thought to himself, this stuff is so boring, but somehow calming. He opened his eyes and looked at her, thinking, now I don't feel like killing anyone. By this time, Wang Xian had fallen fast asleep. Shi Weiyin watched her quietly, a gentle smile playing on his lips. Just then, Wang Xian sneezed. She shivered slightly. Her blanket had slipped off. He noticed and, feeling a pang of tenderness, gently pulled it back over her. Seeing her nuzzle into her pillow, he murmured affectionately, silly girl. Daybreak arrived. The third watch had passed. After a restless night, the first thing Wang Xian did upon waking was look around. Where's Ji Feichen? Pastries sat on the table. Wang Xian pondered. The system hadn't mentioned Zheng Zue being in danger, so it seemed Shi Weiyin hadn't gone out to kill last night. She picked up a pastry, relieved. Finally, I can relax. Xiaoyan burst through the door. Brother Shi, come try the walnut cookies I just made. The two stood there, staring at each other. Her expression was incredibly awkward. What are you doing here? She demanded. Xiaoyan pointed at her, her voice rising. What are you doing here? Wang Xian replied calmly. I came to practice swordplay with Brother Shi. She didn't back down. Xiaoyan questioned, practice swordplay. I'll let you into Brother Shi's room. Have you no shame? Young lady. Wang Xian remained unfazed. Seriously, I'm not lying. Ziyun became even more agitated when Weiyin let me in. You're lying. She grabbed Jiaoqing's hand and complained, I've been here for days, and Big Brother wouldn't even let me in his room. How could he possibly let you in? I think you're trying to seduce him. I demand an explanation today. Everyone in the main hall was discussing important matters when Ziyun stormed in angrily. Big Brother, tell me. She shouted. Feichen looked bewildered. Jiaoqing, you too. She began her accusations. I just saw her sneaking around Big Brother's room. Tell me, how can a young woman just barge into someone else's room and mess with their things? Weiyin said calmly. I let her in. Hearing this, Ziyun froze, wondering if she had heard correctly. Weiyin repeated, I let her in. What's wrong with that? The atmosphere turned tense. The elder coughed and said, childish temper. Go sit down. Weiyin glanced at Jiaoqing, gesturing for her to sit beside him. Jiaoqing obediently sat next to Weiyin. Ziyun was green with envy and glared at her. The elder spoke again. Ziyun, what are you doing there? What have I taught you? You can't wrongly accuse others and disrupt the peace. Do you want me to punish you by making you copy scriptures? Jiaoqing quickly tried to smooth things over. Forget it. It's just kids playing around. Don't be angry, elder. Ziyun pointed at Jiaoqing. I didn't wrongly accuse her. She's suspicious. I'm worried she'll harm young Master Shi, so I brought her here. The elder slammed his hand on the table in anger. You still won't admit your mistake. Ziyun retorted, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can ask Brother Feng and Big Brother. Ask them what happened a few days ago when we subdued the painted skin demon. What evil sorcery did Shun Wanqing use? I saw her burn her own blood with my own eyes. Hearing this, both Feichen and Daoqing were shocked. Feichen raised his voice, Ziyun, but she wouldn't listen and continued her accusations. How can a righteous person use evil sorcery? What if she's from the demon realm and wants to harm Sister Feng and young Master Shi? Jiaoqing simply lowered her head and remained silent. The elder asked in surprise, burning blood. Burning blood. He immediately called out, surround Jiaoqing. Fei Chen panicked. Elder Zhang, what are you doing? The elder said sternly, I've heard of the blood-burning technique. This kind of constitution is extremely rare. It's a descendant of the fire vein. Long ago, only disciples of the heavenly Tao Palace used this secret technique, and those who knew it disappeared decades ago. If Shun Wanqing really knows this secret technique, even if the Xuan Tian sect spares her, the heavenly Tao Palace won't. Daoqing said softly, Elder, even if Jiaoqing knows the blood-burning technique, she grew up with Fei Chen. She wouldn't harm anyone. That day, she used it to save us. The elder wouldn't listen and interrupted Daoqing. What do you know? Although I haven't encountered that kind of sorcery, I know how powerful it is. If she truly has this ability, it proves that the blood-burning technique can be inherited. If we can use the blood-burning technique against the demon realm, it would be a blessing for the people of the world. At this point, Wanqing sneered. Inherited. Laughable. If it were truly an innate ability, wouldn't the people who raised me have relied on this bloodline to continue their lineage? Fei Chen, furious, was about to make a move. When did this start? Is the Xuan Tian sect only capable of sacrificing the innocent to fulfill so-called justice? The elder put on a righteous air. Young Master Ji, chivalrous people never care about sacrifice. You should understand this principle. Daoqing said urgently, it's different. Voluntary sacrifice and being sacrificed are completely different. The elder wouldn't listen, a murderous glint in his eyes. In that case, I can only be the villain. With that, he ordered, seize her. Everyone responded and closed in on Jiaoqing. Swords were drawn, but Jiaoqing stood straight, not panicking at all, not even trying to defend herself. Suddenly, someone grabbed one of the swords. It was Wu Yan. He crushed the sword with his bare hand and stared coldly at the person. The person was pushed back and screamed in fright. The elder said impatiently, Gong Shixia, we don't want to be your enemy. The Xuan Tian sect has people everywhere. If you make a move, it will only result in mutual destruction. Wu Yan stood in front of Jiaoqing, his expression impatient. Oh, that makes some sense. Jiaoqing was shocked. Is he protecting me? Could it be that he planned all of this, having me sit here, knowing that Ziyun would cause trouble? These so-called righteous people only want me to sacrifice myself for the greater good. But this great demon only wants me to live. After thinking it over, she simply smashed the teacup and held a shard against her neck, threatening to resist with her bloodline inheritance. Elder, I'm not a member of the Twin Heavens Pavilion. How can you decide my fate? The elder was momentarily speechless, only able to watch as the shard cut Guanqing's neck and blood seeped out. The elder panicked. Miss Shun, the world is in chaos. We need your power to save everyone, not for you to pursue your own selfish interests. Are you really going to watch everyone suffer? Guanqing gave him a sarcastic look. Suffer? There are so many people in this world. If I worried about everyone, how would I ever sleep? The elder was at a loss for words. Just then, Fei Chen walked up to her. Elder Zheng, Guanqing is like my younger sister. My father has always treated her as his own daughter. You can't force her like this. Are you trying to start a war between the Ji family and the Twin Heavens Pavilion? Daoqing also chimed in. The Twin Heavens Pavilion has always taught us not to harm the innocent. If you kill an innocent person to fight the demonic realm, how are you any different from those demons who consume cultivators' essence? If my father were here, he wouldn't agree to this. The elder shouted angrily, You think you can hide this forever? What if the heavenly Tao Palace finds out? Fei Chen interrupted him. Even if we can't hide it forever, we have to hide it for now. I will investigate Guanqing's background and prove that we can suppress the demon lord again without sacrificing anyone. Guanqing looked blankly at the proudly standing demon lord beside her. The elder pointed at them and shouted, Absurd. All of you be quiet. No one is to speak of this again. The four of them stared at him resolutely. As the elder turned to leave, he added, Otherwise, this isn't something that could be resolved with just words. Xinyan glared at Guanqing before following him. Fei Chen asked worriedly, Are you all right, Guanqing? Did they hurt you? Daoqing looked at her and said, I'm sorry. I didn't keep an eye on Xinyan. I'm also responsible for what happened today. Guanqing smiled and said, I'm fine. We're all cultivators. This small injury is nothing. He protectively said, Don't try to be brave. Tell me if you're hurt anywhere. I'll avenge you. Hearing this, she felt grateful. I'm really fine. Actually, I'm very happy. Before that sword could touch a single hair on my head, Shi Wu Yin crushed it. She never thought they would protect her like this. That night, behind the Twin Heavens Pavilion, birds and beasts soared through the night sky. Then, a bird landed on Wu Yin's shoulder. Your Highness, the thing you're looking for has arrived. A crow flew onto his hand. Wei Yin made a small cut on his hand and dripped a drop of blood into the crow's mouth. Remember what I told you to do. In 3 days, tear out her tongue and gouge out her eyes. The demonic crow accepted the order and soared into the sky. Guanxing was being closely guarded. A small bird asked anxiously, "Your Highness, what is this?" He calmly replied, "Tonight is the full moon, when my power is at its weakest." Shi Wei Yin carefully explained, "As someone who is half human and half demon, the night of the blood moon is when my cultivation is most affected." At this moment, he felt a strong urge to kill, a thirst for blood, while the little bird beside him continued to chirp. "Your Highness." Shi Wei Yin struggled to control himself. "No, I have to go back immediately. The best thing to do now is to lock myself away." But then he suddenly saw Shun Guanxing try and climb out the window. He sneered inwardly, a dagger. How troublesome, because the system was frantically alarming. Warning detected a major threat to Zheng Ziyun from the villain. By then, she was already halfway out the window. I know, how annoying. If it weren't for that troublemaker, Zheng Ziyun, getting into trouble at this time, I definitely wouldn't go save her. She needs to learn a lesson. Wang Exen nimbly jumped to the ground, landing silently, but was immediately discovered. Who's there? Needless to say, she was dragged back into the room by 2 handsome men. Wait, let me explain. Their escape route was completely blocked. Guanxing began to plan again. If all else fails, I'll dig a tunnel. Suddenly, she felt a chill behind her and turned to see Shi Wei Yin. She immediately embraced him joyfully. "Master, it's been a while. I'm so glad to see you." Shi Wei Yin looked at her helplessly. "You've only been locked up for 2 hours. Guanxing secretly laughed. "It doesn't matter. As long as you're here, Zhang Ziyun won't die." Shi Wei Yin pulled her hands off him. Guanxing, full of energy, read a book while massaging the handsome man's back. "Oh, why is this night so long? Should we play chess or read a script?" He suddenly asked seriously, "You know nothing about the blood-burning technique." She looked at him in surprise. "Huh?" Shi Wei Yin explained, "It's an extremely cruel secret technique. The more severe the caster's injuries, the greater the power they can unleash. Simply put, those who truly understand the power of the blood-burning technique all hope for the caster's death. That's also why that family was exterminated so quickly. Many people fear this power. They don't allow those outside their control to become strong. So, many years ago, they joined forces to slaughter many people with this bloodline." As he spoke, he recalled scenes from his childhood. Only a very few were kept in the heavenly Dao Palace, becoming tools for them to cultivate similar weapons. From birth, they were destined to be sacrifices. Guanxing, however, responded cheerfully. "Sounds pretty cool." Shi Wei Yin asked incredulously, "You're not sad nor afraid?" Guanxing hesitated, but before she could speak, a force suddenly struck from outside, causing the candlelight to flicker. Both of them felt the chill and looked out the window at the same time. Shi Wei Yin also stood up. Guanxing pondered, "That's not demonic energy. It's a cultivator's technique, but not someone from the Twin Heavens sect. Could it be aimed at me?" The candle beside them finally went out. Guanxing's heart tightened as she suddenly felt cold. Su Yuan shielded her, saying, "Step back." Her gaze fell on a mark on his neck, and she realized it was a seal. Wait, why did he suddenly become so serious? That's right, tonight is a full moon. Could it be that the person lurking in the shadows had planned this all along, preparing to strike while Shi Wei Yin was weak? A strange wind whirled into every corner of the room, making a chilling sound. Guanxing stared nervously at Wei Yin, her face full of worry, as if at a loss. The longer it went on, the more she felt something was wrong with her body. She felt dizzy, as if she might faint at any moment. Suddenly, a golden bell shattered, heralding a new change. The ringing bell surrounded the two, like a fortress. A mysterious force rushed directly towards Wei Yin. His eyes instantly turned cold, filled with killing intent. He moved like lightning, drawing his sword with incredible speed, instantly blocking the force. This was also the key to activating the formation. Suddenly, a black fog enveloped them. Wei Yin said with full concentration, "It's the bewitching heart guidance." Hearing this, Guanxing was slightly startled. Bewitching heart guidance. Isn't that a legendary secret technique of the heavenly Dao Palace? It can invade the opponent's sea of consciousness, disrupt their perception, create illusions, and lure them into making wrong choices. I heard that very few people truly master this technique. How did Sure Wuyin know? Just then, Wuyin opened his eyes and stared straight ahead. He seemed to have fallen into a bizarre illusion, staring at his slowly melting hand, murmuring, "This is an illusion." Guanxing's figure appeared in front of him, calling out, "Hey, Wuyin." She gave a strange smile and said, "I know who you are." Then she swung her sword, piercing his chest without haste, and said triumphantly, "I've always known who you are." Wuyin only frowned slightly. Get lost. This was just an illusion. Guanxing wasn't really there. The black fog then dissipated. Guanxing appeared beside him again, grabbing Wuyin's hand with a worried look. "Sure, Wuyin, are you all right?" He looked at her suspiciously. Wary, he didn't hesitate to hold his sword to her neck. Guanxing froze, motionless, the bell still echoing. Wuyin suddenly looked to the side, reacting swiftly, and decisively thrust his sword into the shadows. The true attacker screamed, "How is this possible?" The illusion dissipated, and he clutched his chest in pain, although I can't see the inner thoughts of those affected by the bewitching heart guidance. "You were clearly under my illusion, so why didn't you kill each other? Do you simply not care anymore?" Wuyin laughed triumphantly. "That's right, I don't care whether she kills me or not." Guanxing interjected with displeasure, "You're that twin heaven sect disciple from the main hall today." Wuyin had already seen through him, staring, "You're from the heavenly Tao Palace. Tell me, who sent you?" He grasped the sword Wuyin had plunged into him and gave a mysterious smile. "You do have some skill. It's a pity if you hadn't interfered tonight. You might have made a name for yourself in the Jianghu." As soon as he finished speaking, he leaped into the air, launching a fatal attack towards Wuyin. "Since you know I'm from the heavenly Tao Palace, you'll die here tonight." The two clashed fiercely, the scene extremely dangerous. Seeing this, Guanxing shouted sharply, "How dare you make a move in the Twin Heaven sect? Aren't you afraid of alerting the elders?" He sneered, saying, "I've already set up the heavenly concealment formation outside the heavenly Tao Palace. Don't worry, they won't notice a thing." Suddenly, she realized something was wrong. He intended to forcefully break the seal. "Wait, Sure Wuyin." But all she saw was a surge of immense power erupting within the room, with no clue as to what was happening inside. Guanxing anxiously grabbed Wuyin's hand. In the original story, no matter how powerful Wuyin was, it still took him half the book to break this curse. Trying to break it now is suicide. Thinking of this, she blurted out, "Stop, Sure Wuyin, stop." But he could no longer hear her, his hand already tightly gripping the hilt of his sword. Little Bluebird and Double Meow panicked as well. Your Highness, if you continue like this, your body will explode." Guanxing looked at him thoughtfully. Sacrifice. The original story described how Shun Guanxing, initially driven by love, turned to hate, willingly offered her body to the vengeful ghost, instantly propelling its cultivation to the peak. Perhaps it's related to my special constitution. To any cultivator, my body is a treasure that can greatly enhance their cultivation. If I help Xiao Yuan enhance his spiritual power and suppress the curse now, he will definitely explode, as Double Meow said. But the Taoist priest at the side grinned. "Little girl, it seems the person protecting you is about to torture himself to death. You're quite stubborn. I don't want to make a big fuss today. If you want to live, come with me obediently." Hearing this, Guanxing made a silent decision. "No, I must find a way to save him." She glanced at the Taoist priest, her words laced with meaning. "Aren't you curious about how powerful this long-lost secret technique truly is?" The Taoist priest looked at Guanxing with confusion. "What do you mean?" She drew the dagger from her side and said calmly, "Well, I'm curious." Guanxing plunged the dagger into her chest without hesitation, her body rising into the air from the intense pain. The light grew brighter and brighter, and the guards outside looked up in astonishment. A moment later, the situation abruptly changed, leaving only Guanxing and Wuyin in the room. She leaned against him and whispered, "All right, stop pushing yourself." After speaking, her body went limp, her eyelids heavy. "Oh, my head hurts." Guanxing collapsed backward, motionless. Her eyes glazed over, staring blankly ahead. She unconsciously saw a group of people locked in iron cages, crying desperately, "Let me out, please, let me out. Let me leave here. Let me leave this place." Seeing this, Guanxing was shocked. This must still be Shi Wuyin's memory. The sect master coldly waved his hand. Your sacrifices are not in vain. The demonic chaos has ravaged the world. We have no choice but to obtain the legends left by the immortals. She repeated in a daze, legends. The scene shifted to another location. She looked at the stone tablet and couldn't help but murmur what's written on it. The child born of the heavenly demons' unique physique can dispel all filth. Their flesh and blood can awaken the demon sealing sword, but it can also destroy the human body. Could it be? After reading it, Guanxing was stunned. I understand. Shi Wuyin is the Heavenly Dao Palace's own self-inflicted curse. At this moment, two figures flashed past, and she immediately recognized Shi Wuyin. On the other side, Wuyin looked at the woman beside him with an expressionless face and asked, Mother, is this what you want me to do? She looked at him with an unreadable expression, a faint smile on her lips. Of course, I hope so. She caressed his emotionless face, her own expression twisting with hatred as she snarled, because I hate you. She repeated over and over, I hate you, I hate you. As if long accustomed to it, the young Wuyin simply held her hand and said, Mother, let's continue. Watching the scene unfold, Guanxing couldn't help but feel heartache for him. She pushed Wuyin into the fiery abyss without hesitation. Unable to bear it any longer, Guanxing closed her eyes and cried out, Why did it become like this? Everyone anticipated his arrival, but no one truly wished for him to come. Her eyelids gradually opened, and she heard someone calling, Guanxing, Guanxing. In a daze, she saw two familiar figures, Big Brother, Sister G. Beside Guanxing, Wuyin held her trembling body and comforted her. Shun Guanxing, you have to learn to control these things. Don't let them gather inside you. You must completely separate them from your body. Guanxing could hear his voice, but her body was devoid of strength. Oh no, I don't have any strength. Seeing her unresponsive, Wuyin continued, Then leave it to me. Guanxing wondered, leave it to him. He gently lifted Guanxing's face and, without hesitation, placed a gentle kiss on her soft lips. The moment Wuyin's lips touched Shun Guanxing's, a surge of energy erupted like a tidal wave, enveloping them both. Guanxing hazily opened her eyes and saw the person before her, recognizing Shi Wuyin's aura and the scent of blood. Ugh! After a while, Guanxing's body seemed to feel it. The pain seemed to lessen. That's it. Learn to control yourself. A glimmer flashed in her eyes as she silently recited, Control yourselves, girls. Focus. Guanxing pulled herself from her thoughts, clenched her hands tightly, and concentrated her inner strength in her palms. In the blink of an eye, the surroundings gradually settled down. The room collapsed. Everything became desolate, and both Shi Wuyin and Guanxing fell to the ground. What a terrible day. Before her eyes, the assassin clutched his chest, trembling all over, blood streaming from his hand. A blood-stained paper crane flew out from his hand. Seeing this, Guanxing exclaimed, It's a blood crane. By dripping blood onto the paper crane and chanting a spell, the crane will deliver a message according to the caster's will. He's going to inform the Heavenly Dao Palace. Oh no, Guanxing said, raising her hand towards him and silently chanting a spell. Soon, the man was engulfed in purple flames, screaming in agony. It hurts. It must hurt a lot. Seeing this scene, Guanxing's eyes widened in surprise. She looked at her palm in disbelief, her face full of confusion. I originally only wanted to spare his life, so I could explain to the Twin Sky sect, but I didn't expect this spiritual power to be even more domineering than I imagined. Oh no, I went too far. Suddenly, a strange energy appeared around her. Before she could react, Guanxing's gaze shifted to Shi Wuyin. Sure enough, this energy was emanating from the unconscious Shi Wuyin. Guanxing rushed over and shook Shi Wuyin, shouting, Shi Wuyin. But the moment she touched him, a scorching heat surged into her palm, making her worry. He's too hot. Guanxing continued calling his name, Shi Wuyin. This finally roused him, and he looked up at her groggily. Ji Feichen suddenly appeared, shouting in panic, Guanxing, get out of here, something's wrong. But Guanxing looked at Shi Wuyin, her eyes full of worry. No, Shi Wuyin became like this because he absorbed the spiritual power from my body. I have to draw the spiritual power out of him, or he'll burn to death. This girl really has a hero complex. But before she could act, Shi Wuyin took the initiative, using his last bit of strength to grab her hand and push Wan Qing away. Clearly, Wan Qing didn't expect Shi Wuyin to do this, and tears involuntarily slid down her face, but she still looked at him, motionless. Fei Chen quickly stepped forward to support her, anxiously urging, "Don't go over there." Several sect disciples also arrived at the scene. They watched Shi Wuyin struggle in the flames and shouted, "Everyone be careful." Soon, Shi Wuyin couldn't hold on any longer and collapsed to the ground. Wan Qing couldn't help but cry out, "Xiao Yuan." She broke free from Fei Chen's embrace and rushed towards him, "Xiao Yuan." Wan Qing hesitantly reached out to check, no breathing. The air seemed to solidify. Wan Qing froze, looking at the reality in disbelief. How could this be? The spirit beast that followed Shi Wuyin flew over, wailing incessantly. But before she could grieve for more than a few seconds, Wan Qing looked up, holding back her tears, and said softly, "Bury him." "All right." She stood up gently, patted the dust off her hands. "I'm so sad I can't even cry anymore." "Bury him. Don't worry. I'll choose a good feng shui spot for you." Upon hearing this, the spirit beast looked up in fear at this heartless human. Shi Wuyin, behind her, also stubbornly raised his head and complained, "You're really heartless." Wan Qing glanced back at him, the movement almost imperceptible. Shi Wuyin was still lying on the ground, grinning, clearly teasing her. But then, Wan Qing finally softened and went over to help Xiao Yuan up, only to find that he wasn't injured at all. She looked at him with a resentful expression, thinking, "Why did you have to pretend to be dead and scare me?" Speaking of which, her gaze drifted to the dramatic double bird, which was squatting on Shi Wuyin, feigning pity. She smacked the double bird hard on the head, making it grimace in pain. Seeing Wan Qing standing in front of him, fuming, Shi Wuyin asked, "How did you know?" She replied impatiently, "Double bird's acting was too exaggerated, terribly fake. Think about it. The last time we caught that skin-changing demon, you pretended to be injured that night, and it cried like this too, didn't it?" Seeing its scheme exposed, Double Bird immediately fled under Shi Wuyin's indulgent gaze. Wan Qing added, "Let me help you up." Shi Wuyin seized the opportunity to tease, "I can't get up. Your fire almost dislocated my internal organs. I didn't expect you to be so powerful." Wan Qing looked at him guiltily. She lowered her head helplessly and said, "Thank you." Shi Wuyin continued with a smile, "How are you going to thank me?" Wan Qing chuckled and touched her forehead. "Then I'll grant you one request, as long as it's within my power." Then came the bargaining. Shi Wuyin immediately asked for 3 requests. Wan Qing immediately refused. 1. He insisted. 3. Wan Qing bargained. Then 2. Shi Wuyin immediately agreed, standing up. Deal. Only then did Wan Qing realize something was wrong. He swaggered toward Fei Chen and Zhaoqing as if nothing had happened. Seeing this, Wan Qing yelled angrily. Who was it just saying their internal organs were displaced? Wuyin lowered his head, lost in thought. Forcibly breaking the seal with my demonic power almost killed me. Fortunately, this woman has a special constitution. The flames didn't kill me, but instead suppressed the seal within me. Just then, the elder arrived, and a disciple ran up to report. "Elder, we've investigated. The deceased was indeed from the heavenly Tao Palace. He used a disguise technique, likely intending to harm Wan Qing and the Line Building." The elder said, "Indeed, after the Golden Light shield was broken, what was revealed was indeed a heavenly Tao Palace artifact. The spy from the heavenly Tao Palace stationed here suddenly self-destructed today, clearly for the blood-burning technique. For centuries, they've prevented anyone stronger than them from appearing, nipping all potential threats in the bud." Fei Chen added, "Elder, do you still intend to keep Wan Qing confined in the Twin Heavens Pavilion?" The elder lowered his head in contemplation. Indeed, the Twin Heavens Pavilion may have some reputation now, but compared to the heavenly Tao Palace, it's insignificant. Any sect that wants to keep Shun Wan Qing is essentially sending a dangerous signal to the heavenly Tao Palace. Thinking of this, the elder looked at them helplessly. Although I don't know if that spy managed to relay the message, if the heavenly Tao Palace finds they can't contact him, they will definitely send someone to investigate. Zhaoqing held Fei Chen's hand and continued, "We'll stick to the original plan and leave in 2 days." 2 days later, they left. Before leaving, Zhaoqing hesitantly held Wan Qing's hand and said, "Wan Qing, I know all of this was caused by Ziyun's impulsiveness, but we're leaving soon. Do you want to see her one last time? After all, you were friends before. Wan Qing didn't answer immediately, only pondering in her heart. Feng Ji is right. Although I really want to strangle Zheng Ziyun, she's not actually a bad person, just too hot-tempered and impulsive. Not long after, Wan Qing went to the cell where Ziyun was being held. Two disciples were guarding the door. Wan Qing pushed the door open and was met with Ziyun's affectionate gaze and kind words. She wasn't dead. Little Wan Qing froze, screaming inwardly. I should have strangled her earlier. Ziyun deliberately glanced at her with an annoying tone. I don't care what you said in front of Feng Ji. I won't apologize to you. I was just telling the truth. Your little tricks can only deceive people for a while. Can they deceive them forever? You shameless thing. She added, he saved me too. The mention of Wei Yin immediately gave Wan Qing a reason to retaliate, and she boasted triumphantly. What? Still trying to hide it. He saved me too. She put on a show of adoration. Senior brother Wei Yin is so gentle. This successfully infuriated Ziyun. You're shameless. Senior brother Wei Yin saved me too. Don't flatter yourself. Wan Qing immediately retorted, blinking at her. But I hugged him. You didn't, did you? Ziyun's face darkened. Impossible. Wan Qing took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. We've hugged many times. Senior brother Wei Yin's chest muscles are so firm. Little Ziyun was so angry she couldn't speak, wishing she could tear Wan Qing apart. Wan Qing tossed her hair haughtily and turned to leave, happily. As she walked, she muttered, so annoying. Senior brother Wei Yin is always clinging to me. Ziyun yelled angrily, you're lying. Wan Qing covered her mouth, giggling, feigning surprise. Really, there are actually people in this world who haven't hugged the man they like. How pitiful. Having successfully enraged Ziyun with a few sweet words, the beautiful Wan Qing strolled away. Zheng Ziyun, you little brat, although I can't strangle you to death, I can annoy you to death. Suddenly, Wan Qing stopped. Her smile gradually disappeared. It was Wu Yin. He watched her with his arms crossed, coldly asking, I'm always clinging to you. Sure, Wu Yin pressed her further, and Wan Qing wished she could find a hole to crawl into. She quickly replied, oh, I just remembered. I seem to have dropped something in this room. But as soon as she opened the door, Zheng Ziyun said unhappily, what are you back for? Wan Qing retorted unceremoniously, to find the face I dropped. Zheng Ziyun rolled her eyes. Wan Qing, what nonsense are you talking about? I'm telling you. Before she could finish, she saw Wu Yin appear and immediately change her tone. Young Master Shi, why are you here? Wu Yin ignored Zheng Ziyun entirely, grabbing Wan Qing's hand and pulling her out. Wan Qing was startled, calling out behind him, slow down, my hand hurts. When he stopped, she immediately put on an innocent look. I'm tired. Wu Yin turned and looked at her warningly. Miss Shun, I don't like people who push their luck. Wan Qing didn't dare say more after hearing this, only muttering softly, what's going on? I was just trying to play dumb and lighten the mood. Why did I suddenly receive a death notice? She thought for a moment, forcing a smile. Then let's go quickly. Whether you want me to walk or run, I'll do it. But Wu Yin was unmoved, still looking at her coldly. I don't like bullies, so she will regret being alive. Wan Qing was confused, but understood the general meaning and placed her hand on her chest. She breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, so you're talking about Zheng Ziyun. She urgently grabbed his hand and added, no, wait, you can't. Wu Yin looked at her meaningfully. As I suspected, you've been staying by my side these past few days because of this, haven't you? You don't want her to die. Wan Qing secretly admired his intelligence, thinking that he had seen through her pretense long ago. But Wan Qing wasn't planning to back down. She put her hands on her hips and began to explain, of course I don't want her to die. Think about it. The entire Tianxian pavilion knows that Zheng Ziyun almost indirectly killed both of us. If she dies, there are only two suspects left, you or me. I'm the most suspicious, and the blame will likely fall on me. Wu Yin actually believed her explanation, thinking that this was the reason for her actions. So he casually responded. Seeing that her tactic was working, Wan Qing embellished further. Then we have to leave this place first, and then think of a way to do it. She said mysteriously, have you heard of an alibi? We have to create an alibi to ensure absolute safety. For example, Ziwian secretly laughed to himself, never expecting to be taught how to commit the perfect murder by a young girl. Leave no trace. But he joined in, crossing his arms. So you don't want to save her, you're just a perfect murder planner. Wan Qing put on a worldly wise expression, pointing at him. That's going too far. Do you really think I'm that kind of person? Sure Yin raised an eyebrow, scrutinizing her. Who's the real villain here? Finally, Ji Feichen carefully pointed at the map and explained, given Wan Qing's situation, she can't stay in Tianxin Pavilion for too long. Coincidentally, the demon's subduing sword appears once every 1,000 years, and we've finally gotten some news about it recently. This trip is to find that sword. Shen Wanqing looked thoughtfully at the map. Along the way, Ji Feichen continued to collect his harem of female companions. Soon, they stopped at an inn, and the waiter quickly brought the dishes to the table. Fang Jiaoqing thoughtfully picked up some food for Ji Feichen and said softly, "Feichen, you've been taking care of everyone along the way. Eat something." Shen Wanqing's sharp intuition immediately upgraded to a new version. She also happily picked up some food for Shi Wuyan. "Young Master Shi, you should eat more too." Wan Qing secretly gloated. "I understand now. He must be jealous, seeing someone picking up food for Big Brother Ji. That's why he's being nice to Sister Foam." After eating, she didn't forget to rest her chin in her hand, watching him with interest. This action made Shi Wuyan stunned, wondering what trick she was up to now. At this time, Ji Feichen looked at her happily and asked, "Wan Qing, you care about others too." She felt a little guilty and could only laugh awkwardly. Seeing this, Shi Wuyan's mood immediately darkened. So that's it. She's just using me as an excuse to attract Ji Feichen's attention. Suddenly, angry shouts came from afar. "Catch her! Don't let her get away." The inn was in chaos as a young girl was chased by a group of men. Ji Feichen stood up with a grim expression. "What's going on? I'll go take a look." Shen Wanqing suddenly froze. Puzzled, something's not right. Why does this smell like a supporting female character? A girl, exhausted, fell to the ground. Shen Wanqing immediately reacted. "I remember now. It's her, Jiang Shujun." According to Wanqing's memory, Jiang Shujun was the girl who was sold to a brothel by her own mother and rescued by Feichen while escaping. A classic tragic supporting female character, weak and pitiful, making people feel sorry for her. This whole storyline is a mess. I skipped quite a bit, so I can't really remember all her experiences. Shu Jun was extremely weak, but she was still desperately trying to escape. Like a little fool, she tripped over a chair, stumbled, and finally, as expected, bumped into Feichen. Wanqing wanted to be the hero and rushed in front of him, but a hand grabbed her shoulder. It was Wuyan. It was unclear what he was thinking, but he pushed Wanqing aside and stood like a statue, letting Shu Jun crash into his arms. The men chasing her roared, "You useless woman, get over here." But Wuyan just glared at him coldly, and the man immediately shut up in fear. Wanqing walked over and helped Shu Jun up. "Be careful." Shu Jun was so moved that she almost cried. "Thank you, Mississippi." Then she looked at Wuyan with adoration, her eyes full of worship. "Thank you, young master." Wanqing complained inwardly. That was fast. She's already clinging to him after just bumping into him. She looked at the two and sighed. Why did it have to be Shi Wuyan? Wanqing was in an existential crisis. Did I read the book wrong? Or did I remember the male lead incorrectly? Shu Jun saw Wuyan reach out and thought he was going to help her up, her heart suddenly pounding. But he didn't. Instead, as she reached down, he caught Wanqing's hand and pulled her up, asking with concern, "How long were you planning to sit on the floor?" Seeing this, the man chasing Shu Jun immediately grabbed her, saying lewdly, "Don't think you can escape by hiding here. We've already paid. Come on, don't waste our time." She screamed in fright. "I won't go." Jiang Chun finally stepped forward, his expression cold. "Stop it. This young lady doesn't want to go with you, so let her go." The man refused to give up. "We're just doing our job. Her own mother sold her to our boss. The money's been paid. We can't just let her go." Zhao Qing retorted impatiently, "I understand. Then name your price. Since I'm here, I can't just stand idly by." The man insisted, "You can't just take a woman from a brothel like this. Don't make things difficult for us. This isn't our decision." Zhao Qing frowned. "Then take me to someone who can make the decision." The man hesitated, and suddenly a group of people appeared, led by an older-looking official. He toyed with a few walnuts in his hand and said coldly, "What's all the commotion? Catching someone shouldn't be this noisy." He glanced at Fei Chun and the others and asked, "Are you demon hunters?" Fei Chun politely replied, "Indeed, we are." The official became even more displeased. "I heard you want to buy our freedom. Selling people is fine, but you have to do something for this brothel of mine." Fei Chun asked seriously, "What is it?" The man replied without hesitation, "Exorcise a demon." Hearing this, Zhao Qing turned to look at Jiang Chun. The official explained, Manu Courtyard is the largest brothel in County. All sorts of people mingle here. It's been bustling every night since it opened. But in the past 6 months, people have been dying mysteriously, sometimes guests, sometimes the girls. Everyone says their souls have been sucked away, leaving only empty shells. It's clearly a demon at work. Everyone is in danger, and business has plummeted. The owner has hired several Taoist priests to catch the demon, but it was no use. Some even died inside, so no one dares to take this job anymore. If you can get rid of this demon from Manu Courtyard, the girl's contract is yours. Jiang Chun immediately agreed. Understood. We will not stand idly by while a demon harms the people. As long as you keep your word and let us take her. Wan Qing secretly admired him. As expected of the protagonist, full of righteousness, a true chivalrous spirit. But her eyes soon widened as she saw Shu Jun looking at Jiang Chun with starry eyes. Thank you, young hero. Wan Qing couldn't help but think, wait, how can you have feelings for 2 people at the same time? That's too greedy. Then everyone crowded inside. Wow, it was incredibly lively. People were eating, drinking, singing, and dancing. The atmosphere was vibrant, and musicians played melodious tunes. She was a little shocked. It was her first time in such a place. Not only were the men enjoying themselves, but the women were also having a great time. She thought being a wealthy female patron wouldn't be so bad. Fei Chen noticed she was distracted, and Xiao Yuan slyly leaned in. Not bad, huh? Makes your mouth water. She replied, it's so boring. This place is awful. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. I can't stand it. While her mouth expressed disdain, her eyes were fixed on a handsome man. Being that good-looking should be a crime. Xiao Yuan glared at the man coldly, a look that could freeze hell over. The man probably thought he wouldn't live to see the night. At this moment, their guide spoke, please wait a moment. He turned to another man. Master He, the madam wants to see you when you're sober. She froze. Master He, so he's also a demon hunter. Feng Jiaoqing interjected, this guy too. Just hearing it gives me a headache. He's a mage. The madam hired him to catch the demon. She nodded. I understand. Then take us to the madam. A dignified and elegant woman stood before them. I've heard about it, but Manua Pavilion can't handle any more trouble. Those demon hunters only boast. None of them are useful. Since you claim to be so skilled, I hope you won't disappoint me. Feng Jiaoqing replied confidently, don't worry, madam. It's just a demon. We won't let it harm anyone else. The madam remained skeptical. Really? Then how do you plan to catch it? She panicked inwardly. How are they going to catch it? Feng Jiaoqing, however, was full of confidence. Don't worry, madam. We'll stay at Manua Pavilion until the demon is caught. Master He, still drunk, thought he'd misheard. Stay here. You're all dressed so neatly and look so respectable. Clearly demon hunters. If the demon sees you, do you think it'll dare to show itself? It would be strange if it did. Although this Yifangshi seemed a bit slow-witted, his words made some sense. Feng Jiaoqing resolutely stated, I can pretend to be someone from the brothel. Yifangshi laughed loudly. You girl, just standing here makes people feel unclean. You couldn't even fool an ordinary person, let alone a demon. Seeing her getting agitated, Ji Feichen held her hand to comfort her, then stepped forward and said, Yifangshi, there's no need to be so harsh. Since you know so much about Full Moon Pavilion, why don't you tell us your opinion? Yifangshi asked my opinion. He deliberately said in a lewd tone, I think she's perfectly suited to be here. Being mocked like this while just sitting here is humiliating. I feel so worthless, but it's nothing really. After all, the protagonist has their own aura, and I'm just a tool, a supporting character. I'll just treat this simple side quest as a contribution to love and peace, being a good person. I agreed. Actually, it's not impossible. Before I could finish, Ji Feichen disagreed. No, Wan Qing's body hasn't recovered yet. I can't let you take risks alone. If it's just a few minor demons, it's simple. Just have someone accompany her. Isn't there another girl here? All we need is a customer. Everyone suddenly realized, that's right. Ji Feichen nodded, I understand. Then I'll go. These words caused a slight pang in Feng Jiaoqing's heart. The system suddenly issued a warning. Supporting female character system warning. Warning. She snapped back to her senses and shouted, there's really no need. She hurriedly stepped forward to persuade him. Ji Dage, your reputation has already spread. If the demons recognize you, we'll be exposed. Ji Feichen remained firm. Even so, I can't leave you here alone with peace of mind. It's nothing. She suggested, it's all right, sure, Dage. She finished, looking at him with bright eyes, hoping he would soften. This scene felt familiar. He wasn't surprised. He knew she would say something this absurd. Wan Qing immediately moved closer to Shi Wuyan. Feeling deeply grateful, thinking that every time she needed help, Xiao Yuan in her heart transformed from a cold-blooded antagonist into the embodiment of justice. Thinking about this, Wan Qing looked at him with adoration, her eyes full of sincerity. But in the end, this trace of affection was ruthlessly rejected by Wu Yin's indifferent gaze, deeply wounding her maiden heart. On her second attempt, Wan Qing grabbed his hand and said earnestly, "Xie Dage, look, this demon has harmed so many people. You're upright, chivalrous, and compassionate. You surely can't bear to stand by and watch, right?" After speaking, she thought smugly, "I'll use moral obligation to force you. I don't believe you won't agree." But Wu Yin looked at her coldly and replied, "I can bear it." Hearing this, Wan Qing was unwilling to give up and added, "No, you can't. You're a chivalrous hero with benevolence for all under heaven." He remained unmoved and retorted, "Then I've changed." At this point, the young girl finally couldn't hold back anymore. Clutching her chest, tears streaming down her face, choked with sobs and unable to speak. "In just a few short months, the great Demon King has learned the essence of playing the rogue for me. But Shi Yin is the great Demon King after all. Acting like a Wanko in front of so many people is truly embarrassing. Moreover, seeing the enthusiasm of the Full Moon Pavilion girls, if word gets out, his reputation in the demon realm will be ruined." After analyzing the pros and cons, Wan Qing perked up slightly and immediately approached him, suggesting, "I understand. If Sure Dage doesn't want to play the customer, then you can switch roles with me. I see Full Moon Pavilion has all sorts of positions. I'll reluctantly be the customer." Wu Yin didn't react for a moment. After understanding her meaning, his face suddenly darkened, and he gritted his teeth. "Are you tired of living?" Feeling the oppressive aura emanating from him, Wan Qing quickly stammered an explanation. "I was just joking, really just joking." At this moment, Ji Feichen walked over and interrupted. "Sure Dage isn't feeling well. Such a request is indeed too much. If that's the case, then let me." But before he could finish, Fang Shi, who was standing nearby, spoke up. "If the young lady doesn't mind, I can accompany you in this play. I frequent these pleasure houses and am more suitable than others." Wan Qing was overjoyed. This was indeed a good idea. It wouldn't provoke Shi Wu Yin, and Feng Jiaoqing wouldn't misunderstand. In her eyes, Fang Shi at this moment was like an angel descending from heaven, and her heart was filled with gratitude. She originally thought this Taoist priest was unreliable, but she didn't expect him to be so dependable at a critical moment. Then she stepped forward, tears in her eyes, and said to him, "This is too much trouble for you." Fang Shi replied with a smile, "No trouble at all, not at all." Then he turned and asked the brothel madam, "However, madam, have you told them exactly how those people died?" Wan Qing asked, puzzled, "What do you mean by that?" The brothel madam lowered her head and awkwardly explained, "It's nothing serious. Really, it's just the way they died. How can I put it?" She hesitated for a moment, closed her eyes, and continued, "It's very strange. Whether it's the customers or the girls, most of them died suddenly at the peak of ecstasy, without any warning. By the time we frantically called for someone to check on them, they were already dead and their bodies decayed extremely quickly. The Taoist priest said that their souls had been sucked away, leaving only empty shells." Hearing this, Feng Jiaoqing couldn't help but feel uneasy and cursed under her breath. "That's outrageous." Fang Shi looked at Wan Qing and said, "So this isn't going to be an easy play." Wan Qing nodded seriously in response. "In that case, let's rehearse the script together." Suddenly, Shi Yin drew his long sword from behind his back and stepped forward. Wan Qing's body instantly froze. A gust of wind swept past her ear, and she widened her eyes, hearing only a scream amidst her terror. Fang Shi narrowly avoided the attack, his face full of panic as he instinctively fell to the ground. Ji Feichen exclaimed from the side, "Brother Shi, what are you doing?" Shi Yin chuckled coldly, sheathed his sword, and fixed his gaze on Fang Shi. With that little skill, who can he protect? Fang Shi trembled on the ground, stammering, This lord is right." Ji Feichen and Feng Jiaoqing exchanged glances, as if communicating something silently, and then simultaneously covered their mouths and snickered. Wan Qing walked to Shi Wu Yin's side and asked in confusion, "But this is clearly about catching a demon, and you didn't agree to it yourself." Besides, Fang Shi volunteered. Shi Wu Yin coldly interrupted, "When did I say I didn't agree?" Hearing this, Wan Qing froze and blurted out, She secretly complained in her heart. "Isn't all this roundabout talk just a refusal? What's not agreeing then?" The more she thought about it, the more frustrated she became, pounding her chest in annoyance. I really don't understand what Shi Wuyin is thinking, but by the looks of it, he's willing to cooperate with me. Resigning herself, Wan Qing quickly adjusted her emotions and forced a smile. Since Big Brother Shi doesn't mind and insists on cooperating with me, does Big Brother Shi want to play the customer or the servant? Ji Feiqian and Feng Jiaoqing couldn't help but burst into laughter upon hearing this. Shi Wuyin looked deeply at Wan Qing and calmly asked, "What do you think?" After a while, a courtesan brought a tray of clothes to the curtain. "Qing Guanyang, the madam specifically asked me to bring you some of the girls' clothes to help you with the exorcism tomorrow." Wan Qing replied from behind the curtain, "Thank the madam for me. Just leave them at the door." A moment later, Wan Qing came out, having changed her clothes. She looked at her clothes with delight, exclaiming, "Wow, I didn't expect the courtesan's clothes to be so in line with modern aesthetics. This job is pretty good. More importantly, the plot is simple. I just need to blend into the group of dancers, pretend to dance terribly, and wait for Zhu Yuan to choose me." Just then, Shu Jun called from outside, "Chun Guanyang, are you in there?" Wan Qing replied without hesitation, "Come in." Hearing this, Shu Jun pushed the door open and entered. "Qing Guanyang, seeing as everyone worked so hard today, I borrowed the kitchen to make some lotus seed soup. Drink it while it's hot." Wan Qing happily took the bowl, secretly pleased. Shu Jun's cooking skills truly live up to her reputation as the best cook among the supporting female characters in the original story. She ate with a look of pure enjoyment, thinking happily, "It's so lucky to be able to eat such delicious food." Shu Jun asked, "How is it? Is it good?" Wan Qing nodded enthusiastically in praise. Seeing this, Shu Jun smiled and turned to leave. "That's good. I still have to take some to Ji Dao. I won't bother you any longer." Suddenly, hearing these words, Wan Qing froze and quickly stopped her, smiling on the surface while scheming inwardly. "I can't let her go," to Ji Feiqian. The supporting female character's feelings for the male lead must be nipped in the bud. Shu Jun asked in confusion, "Chen Guanyang, is there anything else?" Wan Qing immediately got to the point. Ji Dao is probably with Feng Jiaoqing. They rarely have the opportunity to be alone together, so let them have more time. Hearing this, Shu Jun lowered her head, looking somewhat disappointed. "You mean they?" Wan Qing took the initiative and began to weave a dramatic story. A perfect match. Ji Dao and Feng Jiaoqing are childhood sweethearts, deeply in love. They're getting married next month. But in order to eliminate demons, uphold righteousness, and save the world, they travel all over, facing life and death countless times. Shu Jun was completely drawn into the story, her face full of emotion. "I understand, Chen Guanyang. Don't worry, I won't disturb them." Hearing this, Wan Qing was satisfied and continued to enjoy her lotus seed soup, thinking this supporting female character is so easy to fool. But Shu Jun looked at her with sparkling eyes and asked, "What about you, Dao?" Wan Qing froze, the soup almost spraying out of her mouth. She gave her a slightly embarrassed smile. "I have a question." Jiang Shu Jun seemed very concerned about the two of them. Shu Jun shyly replied, "Ah, that's because they have a chivalrous heart, upright and handsome." Wan Qing understood upon hearing this. "Oh, so she's attracted to looks, just like modern girls. As soon as she sees a handsome guy, she's ready to say my heart flutters or my baby is born." In short, she had to seriously evaluate the girl in front of her. If Zhang Ziyan's matter was truly that terrifying, regardless of whether anyone likes Shi Wuyin or not, it could ultimately bring trouble to herself. "I'm sorry, I still have to extinguish this little spark of affection." Thinking of this, Wan Qing quietly opened the door and looked around. Great, no one's here, and Shi Wuyin isn't around either. Seeing her strange behavior, Shu Jun asked in confusion, "Miss Shun, what are you doing?" Wan Qing said mysteriously, "Actually, there's a very deep and complicated relationship between Miss Jiang, Sister Xia, and me." Shu Jun accepted this statement seriously. "What kind of relationship?" Wan Qing seized the opportunity to solemnly declare, "He likes me." After saying this, Wan Qing thought to herself dejectedly, "I wonder if she'll understand. Forget it, as long as she gives up hope." Shu Jun stared at her blankly and asked, "Then are you two Dao companions?" Wan Qing pretended to shyly deny it. "No, but there are many reasons you wouldn't understand. The Jianghu is dangerous, and we're not free to choose. Shu Jun was even more serious than her, stating solemnly, I understand. It must be that you two love each other, but your families object, so it's become like this. This story was even more dramatic than Wan Qing's, her imagination richer than the screenwriter herself. Hearing this, Wan Qing was speechless, but couldn't deny it. You can understand it that way. But Shu Jun held her hand and gently encouraged her. I understand, Shang Yunyang. Don't worry, I'll support you. Wan Qing smiled awkwardly and replied, thank you. After Shu Jun left, she looked at her back and pondered. This supporting female character is quite easy to talk to. Having dealt with her own matters, Wan Qing hummed a few tunes in a cheerful mood when suddenly her eyes narrowed and a look of panic appeared on her face. Right in front of her was Wu Yin's beloved little bird, squatting by the gong bowl and secretly eating. But having heard what she said earlier, the little bird looked up at her blankly. Wan Qing finally reacted, pointing at it. Why are you here? The little bird flew out of the room in a panic, chirping excitedly. Your Highness, this woman dared to spout such nonsense. Seeing that her life was at stake, Wan Qing quickly grabbed the bird's leg, urging, wait, don't go. The bird refused to yield, flapping its wings and struggling. Don't even think about making me submit. I will never betray His Highness. But Wan Qing was prepared and quickly closed the door. The little bird angrily cursed, you despicable woman. She retorted triumphantly, thanks for the compliment. Then her expression immediately changed, and she pointed at the bird threateningly. If you dare tell Wu Yin a single word about what happened today, I'll pluck all your feathers and make a shuttlecock. But at this moment, the main character appeared right behind her. Wu Yin asked coldly, what can I know? The familiar voice made Wan Qing freeze instantly, and the little bird took the opportunity to fly to his side. Wu Yin spoke again, his expression even colder. Come back. Wan Qing could only force a smile and turn to look at him. What a coincidence. Are you here for the lotus seed soup too? The little bird immediately complained. Your Highness, this woman is so vicious. She actually dared to say that you like her. How audacious. Wan Qing instantly realized the seriousness of the situation and quickly shrank her neck. But Wu Yin ominously blocked her path, his voice laced with killing intent. Stop. She could only clasp her hands together, tears welling up in her eyes. In despair, Wu Yin looked at Wan Qing and gritted his teeth. I like you. She could only put on a pitiful look, lamenting inwardly. Why is my life so hard? Is there anything more torturous than this? Before she could answer, he grew impatient, his gaze seemingly wanting to pierce through her heart, repeating that script, mutual affection, yet opposed by their families, loving each other, but unable to express it openly. Wan Qing couldn't bear the pressure any longer. She crouched down, covering her head and yelling, Stop it, stop it. Does a girl have any face left? Wu Yin was no longer as aggressive as before. Instead, he secretly smiled, gently placing his hand on her shoulder, leaning close from behind, and whispering in her ear, do you know what happens to those who dare spread rumors about me? Hearing this, Wan Qing almost cried, silently saying to herself, I really don't want to know. But she still looked up at Wu Yin earnestly. Let me explain, it's not what you think. I didn't spread rumors about you. He asked impassively. Then what is it? Wan Qing's mind raced. Big brother, you don't understand. I did all this for you. Wu Yin looked at her meaningfully, while Wan Qing sincerely explained, of course, I know you don't like to be disturbed. That's why I said that. I just wanted to be your shield, even if it meant sacrificing my own reputation. He responded with a hint of amusement, so should I thank you? Wan Qing, however, took him seriously and waved her hand dismissively. No need. It's getting late. You should go back and rest. Wu Yin smoothly agreed. You're right. He walked naturally to the bed and reminded her, remember to turn off the lights. Caught off guard, Wan Qing stared at him blankly, then widened her eyes in embarrassment as she saw him occupying the bed. I didn't tell you to stay here. Wan Qing angrily rushed over to question him. Young master, don't you have your own bed? Wu Yin ignored her and instead grabbed her hand, pulling her down. Wan Qing stumbled, her forehead bumping directly into Wu Yan's firm chest. Looking at her flustered appearance, he said impassively, Look up. Wan Qing pointed at her nose with a tearful grievance. Look, it's swollen. Unexpectedly, Wu Yin pulled her even closer, his finger naturally touching the tip of her nose. Just then, Shu Jun happily pushed the door open, carrying a bowl of dessert. Miss Chen, I brought you. Before she could finish, the scene before her eyes made her instantly fall silent. It was definitely an R-rated scene. Shu Jun could only describe it in 2 words, beautiful love. Wan Qing panicked, Under the quiet moonlight, a scream rang out. It's not like that. Miss Zhang, let me explain. Caught red-handed, Wan Qing hurriedly chased after Shu Jun. Miss Yang. It's not what you think. Let me explain. Shu Jun patted her hand reassuringly with a knowing look. Miss Chun, don't say anything, I understand. I'll keep it a secret. Completely bewildered, Wan Qing blinked. What do you understand? Shu Jun put her hands on her hips and patted Wan Qing's shoulder again. I get it, it's that kind of uncontrollable feeling, right? Wan Qing panicked. What else could it be besides being out of control? Seeing Wan Qing's expression, Shu Jun turned around, trying to suppress her laughter. It seems Miss Chun and young Master Xia are already intimate to this extent. With that, the naive young woman practically covered her face and fled. Wan Qing stood there dumbfounded. Sigh, this is really shooting myself in the foot. If she wants to say intimate, then intimate it is. Let her be. Time passed. The next morning, Wan Qing woke up and walked into the inn's main hall, finding the staff already waiting outside. One of them immediately approached and whispered, "Rest assured about the mission. For confidentiality, no one knows your real identity except us. Everyone thinks you're new girl." He handed her a sachet. "Tonight, you'll be performing with everyone else. Don't worry, with your looks, even if you can't sing or dance, you'll still fetch a good price." Wan Qing looked at the sachet suspiciously. "What is this?" The man explained this is a sachet. It contains aphrodisiac powder. Every girl in the brothel has one. If you're going to pretend, you have to look the part. Understanding its purpose, Wan Qing shuddered. "No need. I'm acting with Shi Wu Yan. If he finds out I have this, he'll twist my head off." She took the sachet and casually tucked it under her pillow. That night, the inn was brightly lit, and everyone began singing and dancing to entertain the guests, who came in droves. Wan Qing followed the other girls as usual. Then suddenly, something caught her attention. She quickly rushed to the dessert tray, grabbed a piece, and stuffed it into her mouth. Xiao Yuan isn't here yet. She casually sat down at a table, thinking it wouldn't hurt to take a nap. Just then, a guest noticed Wan Qing and asked in confusion, "Why is there a girl dozing off here? Is she trying to attract my attention?" "Interesting." He pointed at her. "All right, tonight, I'll pay 500 taels of silver. I want this girl to accompany me." The innkeeper and the staff followed his finger and saw Wan Qing, sound asleep amidst the lively atmosphere. But as if she had a sixth sense, Wan Qing suddenly sensed something was amiss. She opened one eye and abruptly woke up, staring at them. "What's wrong? Can't I even take a nap in a brothel?" At this moment, the madam of the brothel walked over with a smile and took her hand. "Girl, why are you so naive? This gentleman has spent a fortune to choose you. It's a great blessing. Why are you still sitting?" Wan Qing glanced at the man with disdain, who puffed out his chest self-importantly and said arrogantly, "Woman, come here." Hearing this, Wan Qing suppressed a smile, thinking how strangely this man spoke, as if he thought himself so impressive. She stood up resolutely. "I apologize for the trouble." Seeing her dare to refuse him, the man roared, "Stop." The anxious madam hurriedly chased after her. "Girl, don't be stubborn. This gentleman, taking a liking to you, is your good fortune. Go with him quickly." Wan Qing was being pulled, struggling with a look of impatience on her face. Why doesn't he look around some more? Buying something requires careful consideration. Don't spend impulsively. The man grinned smugly and blurted out, 600 taels. Are you satisfied now? Wan Qing stammered, "Are you sure you don't need to think about it again?" He took a sip of tea, nonchalantly, and said lightly, 700 taels. Wan Qing cried inwardly, enough. This push-and-pull tactic only works once. Hearing these arrogant words, Wan Qing clutched her head in despair, screaming internally, "What is all this? Someone save me." Heaven quickly answered her prayer. The handsome Wu Yin arrived just in time and immediately raised a bid. "I'll offer 800 taels." His face was cold as he looked down at the man, his voice full of displeasure. "If you dare touch my beloved wife, your days are numbered."